Yi Qing'an to pick up the leek. He was slightly stunned. How to pick it up? Yi Qiao just threw the stick to the elder brother, took a breath, and immediately started pointing. Behind Yi Qing'an, can you make up the knife? When he was about to kill the monster beast, you caught him by surprise. Kill them in front, so that they can be counted in the number of times we hunted and killed. Ming Xuan was slightly stunned, and suddenly realized, Master, I have realized. It turned out to be like this. After mentioning the points, Zhu Yu and Ming Xuan quickly put up a concealment talisman, and quietly followed behind sword asking Zong. Yi Qing'an injured one, and they rushed over shamelessly to make up the knife. At this moment, Yi Qing'an didn't have time to pay attention to the people around him, and he didn't know that Chang Mingzong's two shameless people were secretly picking up leaks behind him. Zhu Yu and Ming Xuan had the best relationship before Yi Qiao came to Chang Mingzong. They often played together and cooperated with each other with a tacit understanding. Ming Xuan pinched the talisman with his fingertips and propped up the formation to avoid the fate of being attacked by monsters. Zhu Yu was even more straightforward. He directly picked up the alchemy furnace in his hand and smashed it, one hit at a time. Ming Xuan looked at Zhu Yu, who was gentle in the past, looking like a monster in a pill furnace, and fell into a strange silence. He and Zhu Yu can play together mainly because of Zhu Yu's good personality. The same origin of the 8 great families, Zhu Yu is not lethal, at most he is practicing alchemy, not as violent as the 2 swordsmen. Good guy now. Ming Xuan was thinking about whether he should have a better attitude towards Zhu Yu in the future. What if he gets upset one day and twists his head off to play as a ball? Zhu Yu swung the monster that flew towards him. Why are you in a daze? Ming Xuan flipped his fingertips and blasted several wounded monsters away. Seeing this, he shook his head reassuringly. It's nothing. Yi Qiao noticed the movement of the 2 senior brothers picking up leaks, and stayed away from them when quietly passing the stick. So swordsmanship sect and Changfeng sect were even more miserable when they were attacked by monsters. Seeing the sword cultivators flying around, Ming Xuan thought briskly, let them fight, and it would be good for the 2 of them to pick up the leak behind. On the jade slips, the number of the Changming sect, which had been stable until the end, was increasing wildly. Zhou Xingyun was faster than the other 2 juniors, so he took the stick in his hand and specifically challenged Janzong's team to drill. By the time Yi Qing'an sensed something was wrong and struck with his sword, Zhou Xingyun had already disappeared. Yi Qing'an's forehead twitched, his facial expression twisted uncontrollably. Is it amazingly fast? Also, why did Zhou Xingyun join in the fun with those people? Ellipsis. Su Juo, who was far away on the other side of the secret realm, saw that the number of hunted animals on the jade slips was increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye, and he was puzzled. Where did they find the monsters? The Changming sect, who had been at the bottom all the time, seemed to be vaguely surpassing them. Su Juo always felt that it was not good to go on like this, but the senior brother was eliminated on the first day for some reason, and the junior sister disappeared. It was only him and the other 2 senior brothers. They were exhausted in order to find the monster's lair. Run to the location on the map. It turned out to be empty. It was as if all the monsters and beasts disappeared overnight. The audience also followed suit anxiously. Stupid, go find Yi Qiao. The monsters were all taken away by her. If this goes on like this, I always feel that Yue Qingzong is very dangerous. The rankings on the jade slips are updated at a frightening speed. So far, there are monsters in the Zhanjian sect, in the Changfeng sect, in the Yuqing sect, and in the Bishui sect. And Chang Mingzong, who had been at the bottom all the time, was close to 3rd place in just one day. The Jade Water sect was lucky, and encountered many monsters on the road. This was due to the disciples who were not eliminated and the disciples who were missing. The 5 of them walked together in the secret realm, and the whole process went smoothly. Miao Miao looked at the rankings and muttered, Chang Mingzong is actually 3rd. Bishuazong is firmly at no point 4. However, Yu Qingzong didn't know what happened, and they became the last one in the big competition. Ellipsis. With the dazzling light of the teleportation array lighting up, all the direct disciples were sent out after 5 days. After the end of the first game, the points of the 5 cases also came down. Ask Swordsman for 200 points. Cheng Fengong 105. Chang Mingzong 100. Bishuazong 50. Yue Qingzong 0. This ranking made Zhu Yu and Ming Xuan both heave a sigh of relief, and the duo who won the 3rd place by picking up the loopholes looked at each other and clapped happily. People's sorrows and joys are not the same. After seeing the ranking, Yue Qingzong and his party, except for Yun Qiu, all looked ugly. The sect still has a sense of honor, and the bottom one will be ridiculed. When Yi Qiao passed by Yue Qingzong, her footsteps paused, and she blew a long whistle. Seeing this, Ming Xuan also joined in the fun and blew. Oh wow. So fun. The faces of the 5 members of Yue Qingzong all changed. Song Han's tone was serious. Are you mocking us? No. Yi Qiao raised her head as if nothing had happened. We are 3rd, so I will happily whistle to celebrate, can't I? What about him? Mu Chongxi casually tapped the time with his feet, imitating Yi Qiao and whistled, I'm happy too. Zhou Xingyun was silent for a while, looked at the neat words, and said concisely, happy. Seeing that Song Hansheng wanted to say something, fans of Changmingzong immediately echoed. Hey, our Changming sect is the 3rd one, what's the matter with whistling? Yes, what is sarcasm? Our personal biographers are just happy. Is your Yuqing sect in charge of heaven and earth still able to control people's happiness? Song Hansheng probably finally realized that he couldn't talk to them, so he shut up aggrieved. Yi Qing'an, who got the first place, was also very aggrieved. He looked aggrieved. Yi Qing'an, who got the first place, was also very aggrieved. He looked at Yi Qiao coldly, and smiled slightly at the young girl Shi Shiran, probably because he wanted to keep out of sight. Let's go. Although asking Sword Sect is number 1, why do I feel that this number 1 is not as happy as Chang Mingzong's third? I think Yi Qing'an is autistic. It was the first time in the cultivation world that the third-ranked sect could outshine the first sect. For so many years, due to the strong personal transmission of Janjianzong, the disciples of the inner and outer sects are crazy, and their parents don't know each other. It's the first time they fell to the iron plate, so it's no wonder that they're not autistic. Who did you bet on? I bet on Sword asking Zong. Cheng Fengong. Yue Qingzong, Fu Xiu is quite strong. Immediately, someone in the audience weakly said, since you all bet on other sects, then I will bet on Chang Mingzong. There are a total of 1 seats, and those who can come to watch the battle are well-informed monks from aristocratic families, or casual cultivators who are capable, and no matter how bad they are are also young ladies and young masters from the cultivation world who come to join in the fun. In other words, they're not short of money. One bets higher than the other. Originally, few of the 5 sects were besieging Chang Mingzong, but after the baptism of the secret realm just now, they couldn't help thinking, should they follow Chang Mingzong to spot spirit stones? This is only the first game. There are many more games to come. Let's watch again. I still like Sword asking Zong. Then take your time, I'll bet on Chang Mingzong first, and the bet will be over in a few days. There were endless discussions around. Yun Hen stood up abruptly, a little sullen in his heart, ready to chat with Yi Qiao when no one was around. Considering this apprentice's performance in the grand competition, Yun Hen felt that as long as she returned to the sect obediently, it was not impossible for him to forgive her mistakes. Yi Qiao, who didn't know what Yun Hen's evil pen was thinking, ran back to the yard to sleep while no one was paying attention to her. After they came out, Qin Fanfan's bright smile never stopped when he saw the third place. He just wanted to chat with some apprentices, but found that the biggest hero had long since disappeared. Where's that girl Yi Qiao? He wondered. Mu Chongxi knew her better. Have you gone to sleep? She is also quite tired. After tossing for so long. Ellipsis. After the disciples of the 5 sects returned home, Song Hansheng scolded Yun Qiu, are you crazy? Follow the people who asked the Sword Sect. We are the enemy sect, do you understand? But Fan Yi Qing'an can go down. Hand, you will be eliminated first. Yun Qiu was a little overwhelmed by the training. I'm sorry. The next battle is the ancient battlefield. He said coldly, don't follow the sword-seeking sect anymore, do you hear me? The ancient battlefield is full of various ancient formations, and it is completely dominated by the talisman cultivators. Although the first match was a bit embarrassing, the second match will definitely save face. And if Janjianzong doesn't have talisman repairs, they will definitely come to him to cooperate. Song Hansheng only hoped that this junior sister would not lick her face and lean towards Yi Qing'an. Yun Qiu's watery eyes drooped slightly, and he hummed a little aggrieved. Apart from Chang Mingzong and the others, this was the first time a man had spoken honestly to her. Song Han's tone slowed down, and Zhuang Ruo casually said, that Yi Qiao, was there such a shameless person in our Yuqing sect before? If their sect really had someone like Yi Qiao in the past, judging by her ability to do things, it doesn't make sense that Song Hansheng didn't know about her until now. Yun Qiu shook his head blankly. Yi Qiao was taciturn in her impression, who knows how she evolved after going down the mountain. Ellipsis. The 5 sects are currently living in the yard arranged by Janjianzong, probably because they are afraid that they will fight, so they are not allowed to live together, but one by one. Yi Qiao fell into a drowsy sleep, and was picked up by Elder Duanyu to review the things in the secret realm. As the culprit, she deserved to be interrogated for a long time. What's the matter with the stick in your hand? Yi Qiao barely opened her eyes. I picked it up, it's called Duosun. I don't know what happened, but it's very attractive to monsters. Visual inspection is a good thing. Apparently Duanyu felt the same way. After he looked carefully, I'll find a few instrument repairers in a while and let them see if they recognize each other. After a pause, facing the great hero, Duanyu's tone was a little kind, and he patted Yi Qiao's shoulder, also, well done. Keep it going, let's try not to be last. Yi Qiao nodded indiscriminately, her arm hurt a little from Elder Duan's slap. After she came out of Elder Duan's courtyard with a pained face like a ghost, the 4 senior brothers had already gathered together to discuss what to eat for dinner. Shall we go to the restaurant? Celebrate? No, Mu Chongxi pouted, the things in Fusheng City are so expensive. I thought that the prices in their Changming sect's realm were already very high, but I didn't expect that there are strong players among the strong, and the things near Janwen sect are more expensive than them. Eat at least 100 high-grade spirit stones. In fact, except for Yi Qiao, everyone present is quite rich, as you can see from the fact that they casually took out 10,000 plus or even hundreds of thousands of spirit stones. But, they are not very happy when they think that the lingxi will be given to the restaurant in the question Zong's realm. Yi Qiao rubbed her painful shoulder, turned her head to look at the senior brothers, and thought for a moment, in this case, why not go to the sect next door? Song Hansheng still owes me money. At that time, we will take the spirit stone he gave to the restaurant. Spend the lingxi deducted from the enemy's hand, so that the bottom of my heart will not feel uncomfortable. Yi Qiao had never had the chance to meet Yue Qingzong in the secret realm before, and now, taking advantage of the opening of the next secret realm for some time, she happened to go to ask for debts. Zhu Yu, who was holding his chin, raised his head when he heard the words, "How much does he owe you?" Yi Qiao thought for a while, 10,000 plus high-grade spirit stones. Plus high-grade spirit stones. Ming Xuan stood up immediately. Let's go ask for debts. With so many spirit stones, Yue Kingzong couldn't be cheap. It's late at night, Zhu Yu said silently. They shouldn't be able to hear it, right? If you go directly to the door, you will be judged to be provoking trouble, and the game points will be deducted. That's not easy. Mu Chongxi turned out 3 gongs and drums, struck them twice, and made a dull sound. Use this. We just blocked the door and knocked. I don't believe that Yue Kingzong can afford to lose face like this. Not too good. Zhu Yu hesitated a little, and felt that the 4 of them would be criticized collectively again for the death. It's okay. Zhou Exingyun, who had never had any sense of presence, also said slowly, we are the 3rd. The implication is, they just won the 3rd place for the sect, and the master will not punish them for this kind of thing. The big brother has already spoken, so there is nothing to worry about at all. Ming Xuan took out 2 talismans from the mustard bag. I have amplifying talismans. Use this to call when the time comes. Me. Leave it to me. I'll call. Mu Chongxi was very excited. Sleep you paralyzed, wake up. Ellipsis. On the willow shoots in the moonlight, the quiet courtyard of Warong suddenly became lively. Mu Chongxi took the lead, and shouted loudly there, Yue Kingzong doesn't pay back the money he owes. Zhu Yu said casually, thunder strikes from the sky. Ming Xuan, pigs are not as good as dogs. Yi Qiao, I'm devastated. Zhou Exingyun couldn't help laughing, why did they all have idioms? Mu Chongxi walked in front and shouted slogans, followed by a few people beating gongs and drums together. The movement was so loud that it directly woke up people from other sects. Just after the first round of the secret realm was over, all the personal interviews were exhausted, and fell asleep after returning to their respective residences. Originally, they were all sleeping soundly, but suddenly they were startled by the sound and sat up. What's the situation? This movement, could it be that the demon lord has invaded the realm of comprehension? Qin Fanfan, who was dying and sitting up in shock, heard the sound of gongs and drums outside, as well as the familiar shouts of several apprentices. He wiped his face and took a deep breath. I just feel that the face I just earned with number 3 has been completely lost tonight. After finally taking the 3rd place, can't you bastards keep a low profile? Sect by playing badly. Chapter 47. The movement made Five people was so great that the lights in the courtyard next door were all lit up, and the pro-inspectors collectively poked their heads out to watch the play. Song Hansheng was still immersed in the shame of being the last one and couldn't sleep. When he suddenly heard the sound of the gong, he was shocked. In the next second, Mu Chongxi said angrily, Yue Kingzong didn't pay back the money he owed. It almost made him fall to the ground. Yi Qiao. He always knew that Chang Mingzong had changed, but he didn't expect that this group of people shamelessly knocked on the door of the house. Song Han was so angry that his nose was crooked, so he could only borrow money from his senior brothers and sisters first, and tell them to shut up quickly. Otherwise, according to the trend, the news that Yue Kingzong chief disciple owes debt not repaid might be the news that hangs high on the Jade Slips forum the next day. It took Song Hansheng a long time to make up enough spirit stones. Just as he was about to send Yi Qiao over the mask, Yunhen came out. Master, Song Han blushed. It was purely angered by Yi Qiao's shameless behavior. Yunhen listened to the noise outside with a complicated expression, and sighed, give me the spirit stone, and I'll talk to Yi Qiao. Someone was willing to be humiliated for him. Of course Song Hansheng agreed without hesitation. With the character of the members of Changmingzong, he might be ridiculed again when he went out. Seeing that his master seemed to be fearless, Song Hansheng decisively gave the spirit stone to Yunhen. After Yi Qiao saw who it was, her tone was drawn out, Sect Master Yun. Why, Song Hansheng didn't dare to come out and confront us head-on, so did you ask you to come forward and deal with it? Yunhen frowned, inexplicably heard a bit of ridicule from her, but couldn't tell where she was being ridiculed. He could only throw the mustard bag over with a cold face. Ming Xuan stretched out his hand to receive it, without changing his face, thank you. Sure enough, shamelessness is the ultimate skill, and the speed of debt collection is incredible. Let's go to a restaurant for dinner. He turned his head and left. Mu Chongxi yelled, I want to eat roast chicken. Changming Zong's life was so miserable, people who ate steamed buns would vomit every day, and before that they had to prepare for the grand competition and didn't have time to visit Fusheng City. Now that they finally have free time, they must have a good meal. Yi Qiao is rare and generous, eat. Anyway, they are the spirit stones of Yue Kingzong. Every word you say to me, everyone completely ignores Yunhen. Yi Qiao, Yunhen said abruptly, ignore your elders, is this how the Changming sect taught you? Yi Qiao paused, wanting to see what compelling words he could say, so she rarely said anything. Yunhen said slowly, as long as you are willing to admit your mistakes and leave Changmingzong, I will consider leaving you a place when the competition is over. Mu Chongxi rubbed his chin. Save a place. Pass it on personally. Yunhen was almost laughed out of anger. Biography, how can it be? Personally, they are all geniuses who started with top-rank spiritual roots. No matter how good Yi Qiao performed, he would not consider this kind of thing. Zhu Yu is the best at observing words and expressions, and he can understand it just by looking at Yunhen's expression. He smiled. Why don't you go to sleep to realize the reality? Hey, old man, although our Changming sect is a little poor. Mu Chongxi pointed to the few people present, but we are personal. Do you understand what personal inheritance is? In other words, we are the hope of the future cultivation world. The importance of personal inheritance can be seen from the 5 great competitions. Only those with the best talents of the same generation are eligible. This Yunhen's head was kicked by a donkey. Who would let the personal transmission be inappropriate and go to their Yuqing sect as the inner sect? Mingxuan's expression also became half a smile. Sometimes I envy your sect's self-confidence. Do you know that I have always been inferior since I didn't break through the golden core, but now I find that sometimes inferiority is also a kind of virtue. Zhou Xingyun put it more succinctly. If you dare to dig a corner, you will die. After several senior brothers took turns to speak, Yi Qiao came to finish. She shamelessly said, I am a disciple that your Yuqing sect will never get. Qin Fanfan, who was eavesdropping behind him, almost went up to give these bastards a thumbs up. Well said. Shameless old man, how dare to pry the corner of their sect. Shameless. Yunhen's face turned pale with anger, and when the other party was about to lose his temper and wanted to attack on the spot, Qin Fanfan tried his best to adjust his expression that was about to laugh, and put on a sad look. He rushed over quickly, and made a sound before Yunhen got angry, and said, Friend Daoist Yun. Don't be angry, don't be angry. Qin Fanfan apologized. My few incompetent disciples have caused you trouble, but maybe they're too happy to take the 3rd place tonight, please understand a little bit. Yunhen's heart was stabbed again. Who doesn't know that their sect is the last one? With a tight face, he pulled out a sneer, and only uttered 2 sinister words, really? Isn't that right? Qin Fanfan was afraid that he would irritate Yunhen, so he hurriedly stepped forward and kicked Mu Chongxi. Thanks to the fact that Sectmaster Yun doesn't care about you, why don't you leave quickly? Leave quickly. Yunhen, who was full of anger for no reason, could only watch the 5 people leave as if nothing had happened. Yunhen held his chest aching from anger, seriously suspecting that the old man deliberately waited for Yi Qiao and the others to say something, and when he couldn't bear it anymore and wanted to do something, Qin Fanfan came out slowly. Ellipsis. Asking Swordsman was still staying up all night discussing plans. Be careful with Yue Kingzong in the next game. Yi Qing'an thought of Mingxuan's square formation in the photo stone just now, and changed his words again. There is Mingxuan. It doesn't matter that there are few talisman repairs in the cultivation world, the key is that anyone with good talent will go to the Yuqing sect. It seems that in the eyes of those talisman cultivators, only Yue Kingzong is the place where the orthodox talisman cultivators should go. As the so-called drought dies and floods die, the Yuqing sect has 4 Fushu alone, and the other 4 sects only have 1 Changming sect. At the beginning, after finally waiting for a talisman cultivator with top-grade spiritual roots, Mingxuan went to Changmingzong to learn from him without waiting for Janjianzong to throw an olive branch. Yi Qing'an didn't understand. They're also the 5 great sects. They asked how could Janzong be inferior to Changmingzong. Mingxuan's formation that can trap even Qin Huai shows how difficult it is. If there is no need for it, it is better not to have any conflict with Fu Xiu in the next round. Chu Xingji is the person who most provokes Mingxuan among all the personal biography. In the past, Mingxuan was favored by a group of elders because of his status as a top-grade spiritual root and Ming family talisman cultivator. Now that he has not him and mocking him. However, after being warned again by the elder brother, he could only hold back his temper. I see. Several people resumed the game until late at night, and suddenly there was a sound of gongs and drums outside, which was very lively. Jiang Shu's hearing was very sensitive, and Chu Xingji blinked. Who is it? Yi Qing'an heard it, the Changming sect. Fine. Not surprisingly. The little junior sister was puzzled. Are they celebrating the 3rd? They were not so high profile in the first place. Yi Qing'an listened carefully again, and said expressionlessly, no. They're dunning. Is there such a debt collector? Chu Xingji couldn't help laughing. Who is so unlucky to provoke Yi Qiao? Yi Qing'an felt that he had been conned. He hadn't given Yi Qiao the spirit stone yet. Yi Qing'an was actually a little lucky at this moment. He didn't provoke her before the match. Otherwise, would he be the next one to be knocked on his door? Thinking of that scene, Yi Qing'an's expression became a little exciting. Ellipsis. The next game is the ancient battlefield, and there are endless formations. In order to improve his self-protection ability, Mingxuan was enlisted to do special training, and other senior brothers are also working hard. Mingxuan lazily said, the terrain and environment of the ancient battlefield are ever-changing, and there is always the danger of stepping on the formation. At this time, the role of talisman repair comes. He is the only talisman cultivator in Changmingzong, so he has to gather quickly. What if he is late and his brothers and sisters are trapped in the formation? So Mingxuan, who is responsible for the rise and fall of the next game, once again started the mode of drawing symbols day and night. In order to relieve the other party's pressure, Yi Qiao went back to her room and took out the Langhao brush, laying down at the table and began to think about what to draw. Because she often helps to copy books, she has paid special attention to the runes and drawers of various talismans. Why don't you try the quartet talisman? The square talisman of the second senior brother in the secret realm was so handsome back then. Yi Qiao sat up straight and recalled the rune patterns recorded in the talisman book. As soon as he wrote the pen, he realized that the square talisman was more complicated than the ones drawn before. Terribly detailed. A little carelessness will destroy it. After discarding 5 talisman papers in a row, Yi Qiao pursed her lips, calmed down her mood, and went to Mingxuan to ask for a square talisman, planning to try copying it first. Although Mingxuan was puzzled, he gave it to her directly without asking any further questions. It was only assumed that Yi Qiao wanted to use it to defend herself in the next secret realm. He actually didn't have many. This kind of talisman was very difficult to draw. He only drew 3 pieces in total, and he failed more than 1,000 times during the period. But who made her Yi Qiao? Ellipsis. Yi Qiao doesn't have OCD herself, she learns as soon as she can, and comforts herself if she can't. She is not a professional talisman master. After failing for the 10th time in a row, Yi Qiao finally grasped the mysterious feeling when starting to touch the square talisman. She kept her hands steady and didn't dare to blink her eyes. Yi Qiao was dizzy until the end, and her eyes were a little dry. A brand mark was left on the corner of the talisman, and the surrounding area was covered with a layer of golden light. Another blessing from heaven. Yi Qiao twisted, and slowly breathed a sigh of relief. Successful. Mingxuan, who was drawing talismans in the dark, saw such a big movement, and sat up in shock, dying. Who? Depend on. Awesome. Another blessing from heaven. Zhu Yu. Zhu Yu, who was making alchemy, raised his hand to prove his innocence. Don't slander me. The last time he saw Heavenly Dao blessing was the last time. Mingxuan stood up, compared a gun with his fingers and put it under his chin, with a pensive look. Then don't you wonder who made the noise? He felt strange when he saw Heaven's blessing before, but he didn't know where it was. He only knew that a disciple of Changming's sect was blessed by heaven. But now there are only 5 of them in the yard. Zhu Yu was really curious, so Mingxuan dragged him and ran to the senior brother's room. It turned out that Zhou Exingyun was about to hang himself, and the man even tilted his head, expressing doubts about the convulsions of the 2 juniors. What are you doing? Mingxuan said, excuse me. You continue. He closed the door calmly, then dragged Zhu Yu to continue running towards Mu Chongxi's yard. Regarding Zhou Exingyun's habit of hanging himself when he had nothing to do, Qin Fanfan was quite worried at first, but then he became numb and decided to respect each student's personal hobbies, so let's do whatever they like. The timing of the arrival of the 2 was not coincidental. The dear junior brother is being beaten by Elder Duan right now. This kind of scene is very common, and all the sword cultivators of Changmingzong come here like this. It's just that Yi Qiao would definitely follow Mu Chongxi when he was beaten up, but today, for some reason, the little junior sister disappeared without a trace. Mu Chongxi's face was ashamed after being beaten, and he was kicked away by the opponent's kick before he even swung his sword. He was very bitter. Elder. Can you slow down? Give it a chance to react. Duan Yu nodded at the side, and said lightly, you were too slow. Who would wait for your sword move to strike before fighting? You were kicked away as soon as you made your starting move. Talents like natural sword bones would take it by surprise, or develop it in an insignificant way. Elder Duan Yu was very satisfied with Yi Qiao's performance on the stage. Seeing this, Zhu Yu and Mingxuan hypocritically sympathized with the junior brother for 2 seconds, and then slipped away. They're just 2 weak Fushu and Danshu who can't take care of themselves. After the junior brother was eliminated, now only the junior sister is left. Ellipsis. Junior sister is left. Ellipsis. Yi Qiao was staring at the talisman she had drawn, when she realized Fushu and Danshu who can't take care of themselves. After the junior brother was eliminated, now only the junior sister is left. Ellipsis. Yi Qiao was staring at the talisman she had drawn, when she realized that the door was knocked open with a bang. She raised her eyes unexpectedly. What's wrong? Can't you just knock on the door when it's so hot all day long? Mingxuan and Zhu Yu looked at each other, and after noticing what she was holding in her hand, they both saw astonishment in each other's eyes. In the end, Mingxuan asked with a serious face, the lucky one in the sect who was blessed by heaven before, is that you, little junior sister? Yes, lucky one. The talisman masters who can be blessed by the heavens are all recognized by the Tao. What is this special honor but the lucky ones? Afterwards, Qin Fanfan also approached them to ask if it was a blessing from the heavens for the 2 of them. Generally speaking, the objects of heaven's blessing would only be Fu Shu or Dan Shu. After hearing that it wasn't the 2 of them, Qin Fanfan sneered twice and let the 4 of them be imprisoned together. The master's original words were to keep the 4 of them sober and sober, don't have nothing to do all day long. Some people can get blessings from heaven, and some of them are still skipping classes because they have nothing to do. At that time, the very connotative words made the 4 of them silent on the spot. Yi Qiao raised her head, looked at the serious faces of the 2 seniors, feeling a little uneasy. It's me. What's wrong? Seeing that she admitted so decisively, the 2 senior brothers looked at each other again, and they both uttered a meaningful voice. Oh, Hatilda. Is this the rumored sword talisman dual cultivation? It was the first time they saw something alive. Mingxuan regained his energy in an instant, hooked her shoulders and dragged her outside, showing a warm smile. Come on, let's talk about junior sister Sin. How many surprises do you have that we don't know? Let's talk a little off topic. In the ND Internet Essay Contest, vote for this book in the present area. It's time for the ball to add more for you. I saved the whole sect by playing badly. Chapter 48 The Genius Underestimated by Everyone. Yi Qiao was grabbed by Mingxuan and walked outside. She had no chance to react, so she could only hastily put away the square talisman. After all, she drew it out of dozens of talisman papers. Come, little junior sister. Mingxuan relied on his height to suppress her, and held her down firmly. Tell us, are you a double cultivator of swords and symbols? I have to say that Rao was mentally prepared, but when he opened the door of the room and saw Yi Qiao holding a talisman in his hand, he still thought it was a big surprise. Sword talisman dual cultivation. The realm of comprehension appeared a long time ago, but those great powers either ascended or fell, and since then, this kind of dual cultivation monks have disappeared. Yi Qiao looked at the two senior brothers who were gearing up for a 3-session trial, and raised her eyebrows, not knowing what they were so excited about. If you go by the standard you said, then I am indeed a sword and symbol dual cultivation. Yi Qiao never thought that she could cultivate both ways before she changed her job. She always regarded herself as a typical type who was not proficient in anything and knew everything. But now that 2 consecutive blessings from heaven have come down, who is she not? Yi Qiao has never been the kind of person who likes to deny herself. She is, who is not a talented dog. After she admitted it, Mingxuan's smile became even more perverted, and he stared at himself as if he was sizing up some cattle and sheep waiting to be slaughtered. Yi Qiao shivered silently. What? Zhu Yu kept his focus a little bit. Although he is not a talisman cultivator, he also understands the rarity of talisman cultivators, little junior sister. He murmured, I suddenly felt that you should be the genius underestimated by everyone, right? In this Zongman Grand competition, many elders bet on Yun Qiu, who made her the only genius who broke through the golden core in less than a year. The quality of Yi Qiao's spirit root is too low. Although it can't be called a waste spirit root, it is no different from the waste spirit root. Therefore, in the best-looking personal biography, everyone has it, except Yi Qiao. As Zhu Yu said, he moved closer to Yi Qiao, closed his eyes and thought deeply, little junior sister, I think there is something wrong with your spiritual root. It stands to reason that there are very few problems with the test stone, and it is possible to achieve dual cultivation of sword and talisman. The width of the sea of consciousness is definitely wider than other people. No matter how you think about it, it cannot be a middle-grade spiritual root. Why do you think so much? Mingxuan was quite indifferent. He was proud. I declare that the next match will be our Changmingzong's world. This year they added Yi Qiao, but 2 talisman repairs. You know, in the past, he was the only talisman cultivator in the sect, and he rolled like a dog every day. He had to compare not only with the direct descendants of the family, but also with the direct descendants of the Yuqing sect. Leng Budding had a second talisman to help him share the pressure. If it wasn't for the fact that he was not allowed to light the fire, Mingxuan would have wished to set off 2 firecrackers at Yue Qingzong's place to celebrate. Does Young Hen know that you can draw talismans? Mingxuan's eyes were shining brightly, flickering with the light of watching the excitement. Yu Qingzong prided itself on the place where the talisman cultivators belonged, and basically all the talisman cultivators went to them. Presumably the other party didn't know about it, otherwise if Yunhen found out that he personally chased away a talisman, he would regret it to death. Yi Qiao spread her hands. Of course I don't know. The original owner is a real swordsman, and she only taught herself after leaving Yue Qingzong. Then you must have learned to draw talismans in Yu Qingzong for more than 10 years, and after you learned it, you came to benefit our Changmingzong, right? Mingxuan looked like there was only one truth, and I found it. Yi Qiao, no. She will come to Changming sect purely because this sect is the last one, with a negative attitude, which is very suitable for those players who don't want to work hard. Yi Qiao didn't speak. Mingxuan said to himself, I can rest assured that Changmingzong has a genius like you. Then I'll start messing around. He said, grinning. Zhu Yu disliked uttering words. You have such an expression, so stupid. Laughing like a fool. Mingxuan Shiren curled his lips. You don't understand the pressure of me being the only talisman cultivator. In the next game, the goalkeepers of the whole sect put their hopes on him, but Mingxuan fell burden at all, and such expectations would only force him to suffocate. Yi Qiao's arrival instantly dissipated the anxiety and haze in his heart. Ellipsis. The personal heirs of other sects also had different opinions when they saw this dazzling light. It's another blessing. This should be the second blessing of Changming. The personal heirs of other sects also had It's another blessing. This should be the second blessing of Changming Sect, right? Who can make the heavenly Tao descend twice in a row? Let's target him together. I guess it should be Zhu Yu. If Mingxuan can really be blessed twice, why have he been stagnant for so many years? Although sword cultivators are blessed less often, it's not impossible. What the hell is Chang Mingzong doing? That was 2 full blessings from heaven. For those with a little sense, for example, Qin Huai of Changfengzong has already sent someone to Chang Mingzong's courtyard to find out what's going on. The commotion was too loud, and all the other sects were dispatched. Yi Qiao pondered for a moment. Someone will definitely come to inquire about the news after a while. We can make a false move to catch them by surprise. How to say? It's not easy, Yi Qiao said happily. If you release the news, say that the blessing of heaven is for senior brother, then they will naturally relax their vigilance towards us. Zhu Yu has a conscience after all, then won't senior brother be targeted next? Mingxuan said, it doesn't matter, they can't beat the elder brother. Oh, when the time comes to enter the secret realm, I can fully imagine their expressions. How did Qin Fanfan know what these bastards were secretly discussing again? He also saw the golden light, but since none of the disciples took the initiative to confess, he didn't ask. It doesn't matter, when the next big competition you know what these kids are doing. As long as he doesn't count down, Qin Fanfan has no obsession with ranking first or second. Anyway, no matter how bad it is just continuing to count down. Chang Mingzong has always practiced a stocking model. Compared with the strict and regular daily life of the other 4 sects, they're much more relaxed, and this has also formed a group of bohemian pros. On the other side, Mingxuan and Yi Qiao, 2 talisman cultivators, stuck together in the room, working together to study what to draw for the next match. I have talismans of spirits, talismans of trapping land, invisibility talismans, and some auxiliary ones here. Mingxuan blinked slightly. What about you? Although he knew that Yi Qiao could draw talismans, he was still very good at drawing talismans, but Mingxuan had never seen any talismans in her hand. Yi Qiao fell silent when she heard the words, and spread out the talisman to show him. This is a crawling talisman. If you can stick it on them, you may be lucky enough to see a group of people crawling on the spot. Then we can take a few more photo stones and record it. It is recommended to watch it every day. And this one, I named it, it's called Demon Dance. Perhaps you will see a group of personal disciples fighting and dancing. Mingxuan. Perhaps the expression of the second senior brother was too silent, and Yi Qiao also realized that she was not doing her job properly. She said, I am holding back the talisman cultivators. Mingxuan has seen one who let himself fly, but never seen one that is worse than Yi Qiao. Since he can easily draw the 4-square talisman among the 4 talismans, why bother thinking about these abnormal things? Who wants to watch those in-persons fight and dance? But, Mingxuan said with an itchy hand, if it can be posted, can I appreciate Yi Qing'an and the elder brother holding hands and dancing the hula together? Yi Qiao imagined that scene and took a breath. Having said that, she actually started to look forward to it. Mingxuan is a serious person. Drawing symbols with him can at least feel the atmosphere of King Wan. He still didn't forget to set a goal for Yi Qiao. 3 days and 3 nights, we will go to bed after painting. Think about the 100 million we bet in the casino. Mingxuan did not forget to draw a big cake for this little junior sister who is good at showing off. As long as we can get the first place, we will get more than 100 million. How do you want to work hard with me? Yi Qiao's dull eyes gradually gathered light, and her sleepy eyes widened a bit. Okay. Mingxuan is a professional talisman master. There are 5 new top-grade Langhao pens in his hand, and after learning that Yi Qiao can also draw symbols, he pushed them to her without hesitation. Use whichever you think works best. Yi Qiao cheered up, tried all of them, and finally picked the one that went well. The gap between the high-grade spirit weapon and the middle-grade spirit weapon became apparent at this time. It took her a long time to draw a few pictures before, but the high-grade spirit weapon did not have this worry, and she could draw with it, and the process was very smooth. In fact, she has recorded many ancient talismans in her mind at the moment, but they are all limited by their realm. With Yi Qiao's cultivation level, she can only draw some simple ones. Yi Qiao's hands are very steady, except for the finishing touches. She will be more careful when drawing, and the rest is almost complete. When Mingxuan's painting changed, he noticed the little junior sister's movement, and the corners of his mouth twitched. To be honest, your speed of drawing symbols will be confessed by those old men or yunhen from our family if they see it. The faster the talisman repair speed, the higher the talent and the stronger the spiritual consciousness. Yi Qiao's speed was so fast that she didn't even need to stop her consciousness, almost every minute. Mingxuan was lamenting the speed of the little junior sister, and the next second she saw blood dripping from the tip of the girl's nose. She was stunned, lowered her head and wiped it skillfully, and then lay down on the table for a while. Consciousness is overdrawn again. I can't draw too much. If I draw too much, I will get nosebleeds and get dizzy. Yi Qiao sighed. If she didn't get dizzy, she would have made a fortune selling talismans long ago. Seeing this, Mingxuan poked her curiously. Then you have a nosebleed after painting like this. You don't suffer from kidney deficiency, do you? Yi Qiao, you're so talented. Saved the whole sect by playing badly. Chapter 49. She lay down on the table for a while before regaining her spirits, and soon she was alive and kicking. The girl waved her hand in front of him, said in front of him, second senior brother, shall we go out and sell talismans now? 3 days and 3 nights without sleep, so many paintings, it's a pity not to sell them out. Mingxuan was stunned for a moment, The sect has regulations, so private reselling is not allowed, right? He has no shortage of spirit stones, so naturally he would not think of going to any market to resell them. Yi Qiao didn't care. It doesn't matter if you go secretly. If you really can't do it, if you get caught, you will be locked up in our forbidden area. I just don't know if Zhangjianzong has a forbidden area. Ming Xuan also completely relaxed after hearing the words. Since junior sister came, the four of them are as skilled in entering the restricted area as they are in returning home. Although a bad life can't make them stronger, it will be very comfortable. It is good. Ellipsis. There are almost no stalls in Floating City, all of them are shops, and it is still very busy during the day. As far as the eye can see, they are all gadgets used by monks, and some of them even sell a group of personal storybooks. Yi Qiao found a conspicuous place, put up a sign, squatted down in front of the stall with Ming Xuan and started to set up a stall. The two waited together for a long time, and the monks around did not stop for a while, which made Ming Xuan somewhat depressed. Shouldn't a talisman be hard to find? Why is no one coming to us? Because there are too many liars. Yi Qiao sighed. I was lucky enough to set up a stall once before. At that time, the little pawn book business next door was better than mine. At that time, Yi Qiao was so envious that she wanted to change careers on the spot. Ming Xuan, do you want to be so shabby? He pondered for a moment and thought that maybe it was because of the lack of display effect. Why don't we show them the power of an explosive charm in the street? Yi Qiao reminded indifferently. Then the next time I see you, it may be Zhangjianzong's prison. Just as Yunzhong City does not allow swords to be drawn, Floating Life City naturally has regulations that do not destroy public property. Ming Xuan pursed his lips, displeased. Just as the two felt the biting fate in the cold wind, the door of a shop not far away suddenly opened, and the next second all the monks around rushed in. The talismans of Yu Qingzong are now on sale. Quick, quick, it's going to be robbed. The talisman of Yue Qingzong. Ming Xuan immediately moved his head over. I'll go and have a look. His cultivation base is still very good in a group of casual cultivators. Ming Xuan quickly squeezed in forcefully without quality, picked up a talisman and looked at it for a few seconds, then disgusted. This painting is not very good. Yue, when did Qingzong's talisman become so rubbish? Immediately, someone in the crowd was furious. He spoke without restraint. Yi Qiao poked him. Did you never get beaten with a sack when you went out? Ming Xuan muttered. How come? I'm a personal heir. As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly became enlightened. He rushed over and grabbed the talisman on his booth, and said loudly, this is the authentic talisman produced by Yue Qingzong. The price is, high-grade spirit stones, first come first served. The rogue cultivators who were told that these talismans were rubbish were very angry. After all, they bought them for so long, and suddenly they were said to have bought a bunch of rubbish to go back. Who wouldn't be angry? After hearing the price, everyone also exploded. I don't even know how to pretend. 50 top-grade spirit stones. Why don't you just go and rob it? Ming Xuan couldn't help but let out a hey, saying that it was the same as who is not a personal biography. He didn't change his face. This is a talisman handed down by me. It's true that it was passed down personally, but it's not from Yue Qingzong, but from Changmingzong. Wonderful. Not only does he not have to be punished, but he can also throw Yue Qingzong on the head if he encounters a pot. Don't ask, the question is that the disciples of Yu Qingzong are here. Both of us are the direct heirs of Yue Qingzong. Yi Qiao answered the words smoothly, and did not forget to admire the eyes of the second senior brother who is a child who can be taught. TSK, Yu Qingzong Fengping was killed again. Sanshu drooped his face and sneered. You say it is. What about the evidence? Ming Xuan immediately found a low-level talisman and asked someone to stick it casually, and the person jumped out for a long distance in an instant. He turned his head and said, look, the talisman you bought is not as effective as this. Okay. It simply took effect on the spot. The complexions of the rogue cultivators present all changed, obviously being stabbed in the heart. Yi Qiao chased after the victory, and showed him the talisman in her hand. In addition to the talisman just now, there is another one that is a bursting spirit talisman, which can instantly adjust the aura to its peak, and the effect can last half a cup of tea. And this. Yi Qiao started to bring the goods without stopping, and the people around were taken aback for a while. After all, they were all half-assed, and they had never seen real talismans. After seeing the good results, everyone immediately believed in their identities for the most part. But I remember that the biography of the Yuqing clan in the big competition a few days ago didn't seem to look like this. Some people also raised doubts. Yi Qiao turned her head and smiled enthusiastically at him. Why don't you look like this anymore? You take a closer look. Are all those in persons pretty good looking? He recalled it again, and it seemed to be so. They're all very nice. Good-looking people are all the same. Maybe you have misremembered. What she said was too sure, and the monk was half believing when he heard the words, that's it. The talisman in his hand was swept away, and the brothers and sisters clapped their hands tacitly. Oh, comfortable. All the spirit stones in Ming Xuan's hand were given by the Ming family, and this was the first time he experienced the joy of making money by himself. Ellipsis. Wu Zong rested for about half a month, and the next secret realm was about to start. In order to prevent these bastards from oversleeping again, Qin Fanfan ordered them to go to bed early and not to be late again tomorrow. It was true that I was not late the next morning. But it may not be so early. When we came, the auditorium was already full, and many people were looking forward to it, waiting for the secret realm to open. In fact, after the first round, the jade slips in the cultivation realm were full of discussions about the secret realm. Some people were analyzing the strength of the pro passengers, while others criticized Yi Qiao for being opportunistic and overturning sooner or later. In addition, more praises were made for her immoral behavior. Most people thought that it would be interesting if the big competition had to start a fight. Originally, the days of cultivating immortals fighting and killing were boring enough. Who wants to watch a group of personal games and kill monsters every day? Therefore, as soon as they arrived, the originally quiet atmosphere was pushed to a peak. Ah, Chang Mingzong's is here. Mingxuan belonged to that kind of flirtatious and affectionate look, and the little girl liked this type. When someone saw him coming out, they immediately threw flowers at him excitedly. Yi Qiao, what a flirt. Zhu Yu blinked. I can't help it, Fu Xiu will play at home, why don't we just let him pretend? That's what I said, but Zhu Yu has a lot of flowers here. Yi Qiao silently prepared to stay away from this group of flirtatious people, she didn't want to be covered in flowers. Yi Lang Lang, look here. Yi Qiao, who was about to find an inconspicuous place, paused. She turned her head and checked with the people around her, who did they call just now? Mu Chongxi curled her lips, be confident, I'm calling you. Yi Qiao subconsciously turned her head to look in the direction of the sound. Seeing Yi Qiao turn her head, the cheers from the auditorium became more intense. Yi Qiao, the sixth in the audience. Yi Chao, you are the most beautiful. Yi Chao, turn 'em over. Yi Lang Lang, a little girl plucked up her courage and shouted, this year Chang Mingzong took the first place and showed us. Yi Qiao turned her head and was almost blown away by the high-sounding slogans of those people. But she seemed shameless, and when she heard the shouts around her, she immediately waved her hands in a polite manner and smiled, okay. Hansheng's forehead twitched when he was standing next door, but he couldn't help it, what makes you so confident? The ancient battlefield, the world of talismans, why would she dare to speak wild words? Yi Qiao glanced at him, but actually didn't want to talk to Song Hansheng very much. So she spit out a nonsense sentence in a deep voice, I understand everything. Song Hansheng had 3 question marks above his head, what do you mean? Mingxuan looked at the other party's bewildered expression, and suddenly got the magical effect of the little junior sister's nonsense literature. He immediately dismissed Song Hansheng's glance and raised his chin, I understand everything. Song Hansheng gritted his teeth and looked at the only normal person, Zhu Yu. I don't have anything to say. Zhu Yu looked back and said very kindly, I can only say, people who understand will naturally understand. The junior sister is the first in the cultivation world to be able to practice both swords and talismans since the powerful members of the 5 sects ascended to the ascension. Obviously, they all decided to let themselves go. Why ask Janzong Changfengzong, their Changmingzong is the most dickish one. All confident. Mu Chongxi couldn't help poking Zhou Exingyun, what kind of riddles are they playing? Don't ask. Zhou Exingyun was also brainwashed by the words of the junior sisters and younger brothers. He was silent for a while, and replied to the younger junior brother, ask is to understand that everyone understands. Okay, Mu Chongxi exploded immediately, you 4 are all isolating me, right? Everyone knows what it means, just don't tell him, right? The audience in the audience murmured, to be honest, after watching the game for so long, I am really worried about the mental state of the disciples of the Changming clan. Before Chang Mingzong, he had always been submissive and muddling along, why is he so crazy that he almost walks with the wind now? Song Hansheng was even more unbelievable, what are they arrogant about? Chevron _ left previous home. I saved the whole sect by playing badly. Chapter 50 Happy Cooperation. The second secret realm is the ancient battlefield. This one was much more unfriendly than the previous one. The wind and sand filled the air, and when I opened my eyes, there were remains everywhere, and some discarded broken copper swords, like an ancient battlefield, every broken weapon had remnants dead angry. The disciples of the 5 sects all have a map of the secret realm, and the monsters circled on it will often appear. Perhaps because Yi Qiao has operated too much, after the discussion of the elders in the second round, it is expressly forbidden to borrow foreign props. Target. Those people who asked about Janzong are really shameless. Upon hearing this news, Mu Chongxi was the first to explode. The host is the group of elders from Swordsmanship Sect. Yi Qiao shrugged and had no objection. She didn't expect to be able to use Duaoju to make things happen every game. If she really played like this, she would probably be beaten by fans of several other cases as soon as she left the secret realm. In the first round, the group of elders could still watch the fun without doing anything to stop it, but if it continued like this, the balance of the competition would be broken. Moreover, the ancient battlefield was much more dangerous than the previous one. Seeing that each of his personal biographies had stepped into the secret realm, Zhu Yu interjected, it's best for you and Mingxuan to separate. Both of them are talisman cultivators, and when one of them leads a senior brother, the survival rate in the secret realm will be greatly improved. If the two happen to be together, the effect is far from being separated. After finishing speaking, several people also entered the secret realm one after another. The familiar dizzy transfer made people feel a little dizzy. Yi Qiao's head drooped after seeing the surrounding situation clearly. She called out, second senior brother. It is you. Ming Xuan and Yi Qiao looked at each other, it's really unlucky. The two talismans were assembled together, and it could be seen that the other senior brothers had been placed in other positions. It's all because of Zhu Yu's crow's mouth. Mingxuan pursed his mouth, and the two of them really bumped into each other. Elder Zhao also didn't understand this. Why does that girl Yi Qiao still despise Mingxuan? Isn't it good to have a talisman to accompany you? Qin Fanfan corrected him. I think they both dislike each other. The disgust beyond words. Elder Zhao nodded. Yi Qiao's luck has always been pretty good. She wasn't alone in the last secret realm, and she landed with Mingxuan in this one. Among other things, staying with Fu Xiu would at least guarantee her safety. Qin Fanfan obviously thought so too. Ellipsis. In the secret realm, Yi Qiao sat on the ground for a while, and Mingxuan opened the jade slip to look at the rankings. So far, Swordsmanship Sect has hunted and killed 2 monsters. They're pretty fast. They just came in, and it turned out that Asking Sword Sect had already found the monster. The brothers and sisters cheered up one after another and chose to go all the way to the south. The climate of the ancient battlefield was a bit dry, and there were several obvious cracks on the ground, and there were signs of fighting. There are monsters ahead, Mingxuan said, visual estimation of the late stage of foundation establishment. Yi Qiao was only at the early stage of foundation building, but the problem was not too big. With Mingxuan behind her, she drew her sword neatly, and she was mentally prepared, but she still frowned when she saw the creature in front of her. Man-eating spider. 8 hairy legs, with cruel red eyes, as if they would pounce on them and eat him up in the next second. Yi Qiao sideways avoided the spider's legs, and at the same time jumped away to pull into the distance, flipped her wrist, aimed at the spider's eyes and pierced in. Her cultivation level was quite a bit short. Although the first attack failed, it gave Mingxuan a lot of attention. Good sneak attack opportunity. The 2 talismans were hit on the left and right sides of the spider, and the talismans took effect in an instant. Yi Qiao spotted the scene where it was sluggish, and the sword energy quickly poured into the long sword, piercing the spider's abdomen hard. With the tacit cooperation between the two of them, Chang Mingzong's jade slip successfully changed from 0 to 1. Yeah, Mingxuan smiled maliciously when he saw this. 1. Eldest brother may be going crazy. He must make up 100. It's okay if no one breaks through, but once someone breaks through, Zhou Exingyun will immediately collect the number of monsters with his sword. I just came here and encountered this kind of late-stage foundation building. Yi Qiao thought of the monster level just now, and said, the difficulty is much higher than the last one. They won't let them encounter monsters as soon as they come up on stage. Mingxuan, after all, it is an ancient battlefield, and the remaining monsters are not weak. This is just the beginning. The two continued to walk according to the location given by the map. The road was calm for a while, and they didn't know whether they were lucky or not. They bumped into 2 disciples of Chang Fengzong head-on. Yi Qiao only recognized Duan Hengdao. She is not very familiar with another personal biography. Mingxuan looked at him twice, and said, that's another weapon cultivator of Changfeng Sect, named Shen Ziwei. Although the 2 weapon cultivators are not reliable, they're also Jindan stage monks. Mingxuan only feels that the situation is not good for them. Apparently, the group of Cheng Fengong also became vigilant secretly. They reached for the mustard bag by coincidence, and they were all ready to take out their magical weapons and fight them. A war is imminent. When Yi Qiao heard this name, she couldn't hold it back after holding back for a long time, and she was happy. Shen Ziwei, the corner of her mouth grinned, and she waved to the 2 people opposite. I am Yi Yuhei by the damming lake. Outside audience. What are you doing? Be serious, okay. What the hell is Yi Yuhei? Hurry up and fight. In the secret realm, don't the pro brothers meet on a narrow road and don't fight? After being teased by Yi Qiao's gag, the originally tense atmosphere disappeared strangely. Shen Ziwei was also taken aback by her enthusiastic appearance. Duan Hengdao couldn't help but turn to look at his second senior brother. Do you know Yi Qiao? Shen Zi shook her head slightly. Who knows her? What the hell is Yi Yuhei? Yi Qiao smiled to herself for a while. Seeing the stalemate, she raised her hand first to break the deadlock. Don't be in a hurry. How about we talk about working together? Saying that, Yi Qiao took a step closer to them. Duan Hengdao couldn't help taking a step back in horror. Don't come here. If you come here again, I'll let my second senior brother beat you. What was the ending of the last collaboration with Yi Qiao? The 2 of them sat hand in hand in the knockout seats. Duan Hengdao also carefully watched the replay of the last secret realm, and after watching it, his only thought was that he was still too simple. Isn't Dabby hunting monsters? Why is there still a conspiracy? Regarding Yi Qiao's cooperation, he just scoffed, believe me. It's not easy for everyone to get together, don't always fight and kill. Yi Qiao smiled slightly. We can join hands and do Yue Kingzong first. Seeing that the 2 Kishu of Cheng Fengong were unmoved, Yi Qiao tried to start playing the emotional card. Senior brother Duan, have you forgotten the days when the 3 of us were dependent on each other in our stomachs? Duan Hengdao was speechless. Can you speak well? It's obviously fallen into the stomach of a monster, so don't act like we have some shady relationship. Yi Qiao clapped her hands and continued. In the ancient battlefield, those scheming talisman cultivators are the most annoying. Yue Kingzong has 4 talisman cultivators. If we don't join forces, then the number 1 in this match will definitely be Yue Kingzong. Kingzong, are you sure you want to watch the number 1 get robbed? Cheng Fengong has always been the second child of 10,000 years. They all dreamed of taking the first place, but when they heard Yi Qiao's words, they hesitated for a moment as expected. But after thinking about it, Duan Hengdao was still extremely vigilant. Why should we trust you? Yi Qiao realized that these people looked at her as if they were some kind of dangerous elements. She spread her hands. We are only a talisman, so it won't pose too much danger to your number one throne, right? Since that's the case, wouldn't it be good to join hands to solve Yue Qingzong's formidable enemy first? This is the truth. Changming Sect is the most harmless sect other than Bishui Sect. Although they missed the last round, the danger factor in the second round skyrocketed, and even a single talisman of Mingxuan would not be too big a deal. Threaten. Of course, there is also cooperation in the secret realm. As for whether the other party is willing or not, it depends on whether the chips you offer can make the other party's heart move. Yi Qiao's words obviously moved the two of Cheng Fengong. Then, happy cooperation. Duan Hengdao hesitated for a moment, and took the initiative to speak. Yi Qiao, happy cooperation. Now that the cooperation has been discussed, the next step is to discuss countermeasures. She picked up the map in her hand and spread it out for the two of Cheng Fengong to see. These places are monster lairs. If Yue Qingzong wants to take the first place, he must go to these places. And if our speed is fast enough, we can completely ambush them before they arrive. Yi Qiao pointed to the location of the handover point on the map. This is the only way for all the disciples to pass. Yue Qingzong is familiar with the formation, so they will definitely be the first to arrive. At that time, we can wait for them here in advance. Listening to her eloquent words, the corners of Duan Hengdao's mouth twitched. Yin is still yours. This Yi Qiao, elder Yue Qingzong outside the court couldn't bear it any longer. Qingzong outside the court couldn't bear it any longer. Hearing the plan of the two groups, he slapped the table angrily. If you don't play well, you think about these crooked ways every day. Shameless especially. It's no wonder he reacted so strongly. It's a tactic that has never appeared before. May I ask whose good people personally spread these conspiracies and tricks every day? I think it's quite good. Duan Yu almost fell to the ground with joy when he heard Yi Qiao's plan. Not enough fun. He said righteously. Isn't this good? Let Yi Qiao exercise their vigilance. Moreover, what is crookedness? This is obviously an outsmart move. Ellipsis. After that, Yi Qiao gave out again, trying to let the two machine repairers learn how to use traps for ambush. And many more. We are serious weapon repairers, not old Yinbi who have nothing to do every day and make traps. Duan Hengdao really couldn't help it. Does she know what an instrument repair is? Refining equipment, forging magical equipment, and adding spell seals to the equipment. After thousands of years in the cultivation world, which serious tool cultivator would figure out how to make traps and plot against others? But you can also become Lao Yinbi. Yi Qiao decided to put more effort into brainwashing him. You are tool repairers, so there must be no problem with this trap, right? Seeing him so rigid, Yi Qiao couldn't help sighing. So, it's no wonder Cheng Fengong is always second. What a group of honest people win. She began to brainwash him crazily, implying that he is omnipotent in weapon repair, and a few traps are definitely not a problem. Duan Hengdao still hesitated. I think. For number one, she said solemnly. Duan Hengdao wavered shamefully, and finally nodded. Okay. Compromise was too quick. Where is the rope you used to tie me up? Yi Qiao motioned him to take it out. It can be used to tie people up then. Recalling the old story, the corner of Duan Hengdao's mouth twitched, and he took out the fairy rope. This rope is similar to the demon rope that I gave you before. As long as there is a living person, it will automatically bind the other party. Yi Qiao smiled more earnestly. That's a good relationship. Isn't this a good thing? One of the necessary things to engage in traps. The two sects cooperated temporarily. Yi Qiao was in charge of providing them with ideas, and the two weapon repairers were in charge of setting traps and hidden weapons. For a time, the atmosphere reached an unprecedented harmony. The audience on the sidelines pointed at this. This Yi Qiao, did you work in an MLM before? I'm dying of laughter. Do Yue Qingzong first, the thinking is quite clear. Ah, Duan Hengdao, you're fucking depraved. Who would do such a thing with Yi Qiao? Even if they were beaten to death, they would never have imagined that their serious weapon cultivation is the future hope of Changfeng Sect. He was really tricked by Yi Qiao, the black sheep, to set up a trap. Ellipsis. Yue Qingzong's first team went very well. They were familiar with the 5-element formations and avoided those dangerous formations ahead of time. They were like ducks in water in the secret realm. If there is no accident, they will go on so smoothly until the end of the secret realm. Until the next journey, Song Hansheng led his junior to the left, and the next second, he fell into the pit. The most important thing is that there is still a net hidden in the pit. Song Hansheng reacted quickly and ran out with a talisman a second before being bound by the net. Go right. He fell into the pit again. Another net fell straight down, and Song Hansheng quickly escaped from the net with a formation. This time, Song Hansheng finally learned to be smart. He picked up a stone and threw it over to explore the way. After confirming that there was no big pit, he breathed a sigh of relief and led his junior to move on. As a result, Song Hansheng just stepped on the ground. The immortal ropes hidden under the branches were caught off guard and tightened tightly binding their feet. In an instant, both of them were hoisted to the tree with their heads facing down. Song Hansheng was stunned for a moment, and under the condition of lack of oxygen in his brain, he finally realized that something was wrong. Yo! Yi Qiao's brisk and beating voice sounded from behind. She bent down and looked at the two people who were hoisted. Yo! Yi Qiao's brisk and beating voice sounded from behind. She bent down and looked at the two people who were hoisted together, and she was overjoyed. Are they both hanging? The tone was like a leader going to the countryside to condolences to the people. Yi Qiao said it was cheap. Song Hansheng's pupils trembled, and when he saw the two Changfeng sect disciples behind her, he almost spat out a mouthful of old blood. It's you again. He can be considered to understand where the big net that fell from the sky came from. No wonder he didn't realize this was a trap early on. In the past, the personal biography was all face-to-face. Who would think about how to plot a sneak attack in the secret realm? Duan Hengdao lowered his head, not daring to look at Song Hansheng's disbelieving gaze. To know. He had been a decent man, too. Until he met Yi Qiao. By playing badly. Chapter 51. With her here, no surprise. Yi Qiao looked the two of them up and down, and couldn't help laughing. It's really interesting. Song Han was hanged upside down with Su Juo with his head down. The appearance of the two brothers and sisters was really amusing. Ming Xuan couldn't help poking Song Hansheng with his hands in embarrassment, and laughed. Ha 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 ha, you have today, Song Hansheng. Yu Qingzong is the sect that looks down on other talisman masters the most. He was very proud now, and Yi Qiao joined in the fun, so the two of them laughed wildly at Song Hansheng and the others like that perverted villain. Not to mention Song Han's voice, even Duan Hengdao was flustered when he heard it. Where's the identity card? Shen Ziwei came to do something serious, and he searched for the mustard bags for the first time, but he couldn't find it after searching for a long time. Obviously, after Song Hansheng learned the lesson of being eliminated in the first game, he became a lot smarter and hid his identity card in advance. Since he doesn't have an ID card, let's grab his mustard bag. Yi Qiao reached out and unceremoniously tore off the two's mustard bag, which contained a lot of talismans and spirit stones. She robbed them both in full view. When it comes to money, Yi Qiao is always extraordinarily enthusiastic and full of motivation. Is this a personal transmission? This is clearly a group of bandits. I couldn't help but look at Ming Xuan's identity introduction. The second young master of the direct line of the Ming family. Shit. Which direct line has this kind of character? This stuff is unbelievable. The higher-ups say that Yi Qiao is a taciturn and honest person. Ha 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 ha. Okay, I understand. The outrageous level of identity introduction is no less than Yi Qiao is an honest person, right? Ming Xuan erased the branding on their mustard bag, and found Song Hansheng's pair of underwear inside. He frowned in disgust. Song Hansheng is a bit of a pervert, right? Even put the underwear into the mustard bag. Little junior sister, he said in disgust, we don't want their talismans anymore. These men are too dirty. Seeing the two bright red underwear, Yi Qiao was silent for a while, and couldn't help it. Brother, is this the year of your birth? It was fine if she didn't speak, but when she spoke, Song Hansheng's face instantly turned red like a prawn, and he roared angrily, what are you looking at? You two wait for me. They're all here for the competition. Who would have thought that someone would rob the mustard bag if they have nothing to do? What happened to him decorating his personal belongings? Exclamation mark. What's wrong with their Chang Mingzong? Some audience members were silent for a long time before choking out a sentence. This group of personal transmissions are all playing abnormally. In the eyes of everyone, those who can afford to be passed on are those who are high-end, elegant, and cold and untouched by the world. Until now, there is nothing left of the force. They seriously doubted that this group of unreliable personal transmissions is really the future of their cultivation world. Duan Hengdao looked at the two disciples of the Yuqing sect who were hanging, and pursed his lips in bewilderment. How should we deal with them now? Yi Qiao didn't turn her head back. Let's tie it up first. If it doesn't work, find someone to guard it. I think senior brother is quite suitable. Zhou Exingyun was in a panic, looking for him to guard. Whoever comes to save someone, kills someone. What an easy job. Of course, the premise of all this is that they can find Zhou Exingyun. Duan Hengdao hesitated for a second, then decisively followed suit. The two teams broke up, leaving only Song Hansheng and Su Juo who were hanging to feel the bitter wind and rain in the secret realm together. After being beaten by Song Hansheng for a while, Yun Qiu became a lot more honest in the secret realm. Her cultivation base is not weak, and her talent is also high. Coupled with her identity as a talisman cultivator, a sect threw an olive branch just after entering the secret realm. She cooperates. Si Miaoyan was the first to meet Yun Qiu. Both of them are girls, and with Yun Qiu's low IQ appearance, Si Miaoyan quickly reached an agreement with each other to cooperate. Having learned the lesson of Song Hansheng last time, everyone hid their ID badges in advance, so as not to give Yi Qiao a chance to sneak attack for a long time. Simiao said, your Yue Kingzong wants to take the first place. We don't have high requirements for this round. The third place is fine. Yun Qiu's voice was soft. Then what do you want to do? A group of reckless people from the Sword Inquiring School is not enough evidence. The Sword Inquiring School will most likely seek cooperation from Chang Mingzong's Fu Xiu. Si Miaoyan smiled slightly. Let's eliminate Chang Mingzong's Ming Xuan first. Among the 5 sects, Changming sect is the weakest and does not pose any threat to the number 1. It is impossible for Yi Qing'an to seek cooperation from Yuqing sect. The only talisman cultivator left is Ming Xuan. As long as Ming Xuan is eliminated, she will see who else Janzong can find to cooperate. Hearing that Chang Mingzong was going to be dealt with first, Yun Qiu immediately agreed. She didn't think much of Yi Qiao when she was in Yuqingzong, but since she entered the secret realm, everyone has a big prejudice against her. She is obviously the genius, but in the end everyone's attention is focused on Yi Qiao. Yun-Q was eager to prove himself, and agreed to see Miaoyan's suggestion without hesitation. It's not just Si Miaoyan who has this idea, Qin Huai and the others also think the same way. As long as Ming Xuan can be eliminated, they will be stable in this round. The audience couldn't help but mourn. Poor Ming Xuan. Except for Zhang Jianzong, all other sects want him to die now. Don't die, it's just elimination tilde. If Ming Xuan is not dead, won't Jianzong take off? His death is the best choice. The first day in the secret realm was relatively calm, and Yi Qiao and Ming Xuan worked together to kill a lot of monsters along the way. The speed is also faster than other teams. This quickly attracted the attention of the elders. Hey, the elder of Changfeng sect's eyes widened. These two children are faster than others. Obviously something is wrong. How did Ming Xuan manage to avoid all the legacy formations, not stepping on a single formation? Even Song Hansheng couldn't do it. But if it's two talismans, that's another story. The elders of Changfeng sect have always suspected that Qin Fanfan, an old man, is hiding something secretly. What made Qin Fanfan gratified was that these few direct disciples did not fail, but really started to look for the monster's lair. The ranking has been rising, and finally stabilized at the 3rd place. At this location, the rushing here. Going to hit it. Ellipsis. Si Miaoyan looked at the two people facing him, the corners of her lips twitched, she didn't expect her to be so lucky. If Ming Xuan was with Mu Chongxi, she would have to weigh whether she could beat her. But Yi Qiao didn't have this concern anymore. Could a foundation building turn the world upside down? Without giving the two of them a chance to react, just before seeing the person, Si Miaoyan lowered his eyes slightly, and blew a long flute sound. The tune was brisk and slightly strange with ups and downs. Yi Qiao suddenly pulled out a thread as if the consciousness in her mind was pulled by someone, and her expression went blank for a moment due to the pain. Ming Xuan ignited the soundproof talisman, but it had no effect, and his face turned pale for a moment. It's Yin Gong. In the cultivation world, some master bows, some use flutes, and some only use swords. Cultivators who can integrate various magic weapons are very few geniuses. Ming Xuan spoke quickly. Clearwater sect can get here safely with a few alchemists. Obviously they have other magic weapons. The soundproof note can't stop it. Bearing the stinging pain from the divine sense, the two of them looked worse than the other, and it was thanks to the strength of the divine sense that they didn't faint on the spot. I'm sorry. Si Miaoyan's voice was slightly cold, and he was speaking to Ming Xuan. You are too threatening. She did not give the two of them a chance to cooperate with Yun-Q, and used formations to divide the battlefield. The sound of the flute sounded again, coupled with the endless killing formations. The two of them simply couldn't last a few rounds in this state. TSK. These dolls are fighting quite fiercely. Yi Qiao can cooperate with Cheng Fengong, and of course Yun-Q can also cooperate with Danshu, but I didn't expect Si Miaoyan to be able to attack Yin Gong. So, both hands are hidden. This year's disciples are all very talented. That cloud magpie is also good. Qin Fanfan drank several sips of water, slapped the table angrily. Shameless old man, he even hides a Danshu who can attack with music. The old god of the Bishui sect took a look at him, disdainful. This is called tactics, soldiers never tire of deceit. Qin Fanfan shut himself up. He really didn't dare to look at the next scene, so he found a reason to run away. The head of the Clearwater sect smiled and was very happy. Hey, why are you so fragile mentally? Deal with Ming Xuan first. Si Miaoyan's goal was very clear, and Yi Qiao was not something to be afraid of in her eyes. Yun-Q immediately accelerated the operation of the formation. The cold light was cold, and countless sword shadows stabbed at her at this moment. Yi Qiao's face was pale from the pain, and she had to deal with the annoying things in the formation. At this moment, she was extremely irritable. Yi Qiao sneered, okay, you forced us to do this. She rolled on the spot to avoid the stabbing sword, and took out a suona from the mustard bag with no expression on her face. The preparations were too complete on the day when the dead was due, but considering how much face Yue Kingzong didn't blow the suona, it doesn't matter now, it can be used. She wiped the blood from her ears, and shouted in Ming Xuan's direction, second senior brother, where are your gongs and drums? Take it out and hit her. Seeing this, Ming Xuan, who was avoiding the ultimate move in the formation, hastily dug out the gongs and drums from the mustard bag. It's not that he is stingy, even a gong and drum has to be brought into the secret realm. But that day when I came back from beating gongs and drums with the big troops, I was so sleepy that I stuffed it into the mustard bag and forgot to take it out. Ming Xuan had been holding back thinking of witty words for a long time. His spiritual sense was almost the most vulnerable part, and he could become a fool if he used too much force. At that time, the piercing pain came from time to time and blood dripped from his ears, which made others a little perverted. Upon hearing Yi Qiao's words, Ming Xuan's beautiful face gradually showed a ferocious smile, pointed in the direction of Si Miaoyan, and quickly knocked down the hammer. Come on, hurt each other. He just said that he had such a miserable life before because he didn't follow the right person. In the past, he followed the third junior brother and the others to the secret realm, and was chased like a dog every day. Now it is much more comfortable to follow Yi Qiao. When Si Miaoyan outside heard Yi Qiao's voice, you forced us, his fingers paused slightly, feeling a bad premonition for some reason. Next second. Bang! The sound of gongs and drums colliding, and the symphony of the ensemble with suona sounded continuously from the secret place in an instant. There is a sound of gongs and drums, followed by a sound of suona, one in front and one in back. The voices of the two were so loud that the personal team not far away could hear them. Quote dot dot dot. It's so lively. Mu Chongshi folded his hands, biting the dog's tail grass, and blinked strangely. Is anyone getting married in this secret realm? It is the sound of gongs and drums and the sound of Suona. Zhu Yu frowned. Let's find junior sister and the two of them earlier. The two of them established a foundation and the other reached a peak foundation. If they really met Yi Qing'an and the others, they would only be eliminated. They don't pursue the first place, they're trapped in the formation, they leisurely try various positions slowly, and finally find a breakthrough. It's very comfortable if you don't roll inward. Mu Chongshi nodded indiscriminately. I know. Are you still worried about Yi Qiao? With her here, it's no accident. The corner of Zhu Yu's mouth twitched. But he was afraid that Yi Qiao would do something again. Ellipsis. The two sounds lingered in the surroundings endlessly, and the impact that directly hit the soul was so great that Simiayan's pupils trembled slightly. The movement of playing the flute stopped for a second, and the rhythm and tone changed in an instant. Yi Qiao took the opportunity to fill the Xuanjian with Qingfeng Ju and slashed towards the weakest point of the formation. The formation broke inch by inch in an instant and turned into ashes. The elder of Changfeng Sect frowned. With such a fast speed, does she know formation? Yi Qiao and Mingxuan broke out of the formation almost at the same time, so let's forget about Mingxuan, he is a talisman after all. But as a swordsman, she actually knows formations. An elder explained, it should be a coincidence. They didn't see Yi Qiao observing the layout of the formations just now, but with a light and skillful swing of the sword, the formations were broken, it was purely a blind cat meeting a dead mouse. Don't touch us. Elder Zhao blew his beard and stared. Maybe it's because Yue Qingzong's formation is too fragile. Isn't it too much? Elder Yue Qingzong gritted his teeth. What do you mean the breaking formation is too brittle? The elder of Changfengzong had a complicated look on his face. In fact, he had always suspected that Changmingzong might be hiding something. Anyway, it is also the top 5 sects. Will Qin Fanfan really let a disciple who is only mediocre and mediocre in foundation building become a personal heir for no reason? To be honest, the things those two people took out just now almost sent him away. It's gongs and drums, and it's Suona again. Who doesn't bring magical artifacts and medicines in the secret realm, but such useless things? Are there really any normal people in your Changming sect? If there is no such showy operation, with Si Miaoyan's surprise and Yun Q's continuous cooperation, let alone a Mingxuan who is at the peak of foundation establishment, and Yi Qiao who is at the early stage of foundation establishment, even Yi Qing'an will rest when he comes. Vegetable. In the end, who would have thought of this? Even if they were killed, they would never have thought of this. Hey, these two bastards survived. Qin Fanfan was too scared just now, so he went to the toilet, just to avoid the fate of his two disciples being eliminated. As a result, as soon as he came back anxiously, he saw the scene of two disciples breaking the formation together. Duan Yu, who was so nervous that he stood up, sat back slowly when he saw the two people coming out, and gave Qin Fanfan a glance. Pay attention to the words you use. What does it mean to have survived? Those who don't know think that their 5 great competitions are some kind of murder scene. Qin Fanfan turned a deaf ear and kept asking, how did you survive? How did you survive the repeated bombings by Yin Gong? He guessed, could it be that Zhou Xingyun's kid arrived and came out to save the scene? Forehead. What to say? Duan Yu's expression became more subtle, and he hesitated for a moment in an indescribable tone. Old fan, hey, have you heard of the combination of Suona and gongs and drums? Chevron, I saved the whole sect by playing badly. Chapter 52. Qin Fanfan, what? What is the combination of Suona and gongs and drums? Can this thing be combined? After you're done, can this thing be combined? After you're done, you can go back and look at the picture stone by yourself. Duan Yu's tone was erratic. The two children just took out the gongs, drums and a Suona. The movement just now, I reckon the whole secret realm heard it. No matter how calm Si Miaoyan was, she couldn't stand the ensemble of these two people knocking and blowing. When the tone was messed up, the two immediately caught the opportunity to break Yun Q's formation. Qin Fanfan sat back subconsciously. Hearing these words, his eyes widened again. Why is she bringing these things? Duan Yu, you ask me, I'll ask who to go to. The ghost knows what these children's musted bags are filled with, including gongs, drums and suonas. However, Duan Yu is relieved when he thinks that Yue Qingzong's group also packed underwear. He found that this year's personal biography was more or less flawed. Used to it. Qin Fanfan has never felt the feeling of being tortured, but to him, it is a good thing that the two disciples are alive. He immediately laughed so hard that he couldn't see his teeth. That kid Yi Qiao can do it. Qin Fanfan was sure that if it wasn't Yi Qiao who got together with Mingxuan today, then Mingxuan would definitely have to be eliminated. Disciples like Yi Qiao are very turbulent, but they never fell off the chain during the big competition, which makes people love and hate. After breaking out of the formation, the situation is 2 on 2. Si Miaoyan took a deep breath, put away the clarinet, lean on. Next time she enters a secret realm, she must bring earplugs in. These two people sang together just now, which broke her long-standing conventional cognition. Si Miaoyan decided to confront them head-on. Since Mingxuan had to be eliminated anyway, she and Yun Q were both in the golden core stage, so it was easy to deal with the two foundation establishments. Yi Qiao estimated the combat power of the next two parties. In broad daylight, the sky is bright, you actually. In the next second, her words turned sharply, run. Chang Mingzong's personal biography is a master of group running, and in the blink of an eye, the two of them ran for 2 miles. Miaoyan was dumbfounded for a moment. Mingxuan was dragged by her to run fast. He was stunned. We just retreated without a fight and ran away. What is running away? Yi Qiao corrected his wrong grammar. We call this retreat. Ellipsis. On the first day, Chang Mingzong's rankings were rare. Mingxuan and Yi Qiao cooperated well, and the two talisman cultivators had very wide spiritual senses, so they could escape even if they were in danger. For a while, it was like a loach, unable to catch it. Looking at the constantly changing rankings, Qin Huai gradually became a little impatient. The ranking so far is Yu Qingzong first, Chang Mingzong second, and Zhang Jianzong third. Do you want to cooperate? Zhai Chen took the initiative to approach him and asked. You need talismans, and we need to get rid of Mingxuan. Obviously Chang Mingzong threatened their number 1 position. Zhai Chen didn't understand. He had never seen Mingxuan so powerful before. How did the other party manage to get close to the number 1 without stepping on a single formation in the ancient secret realm? When the time comes, our Yuqing sect will be number 1, and your Changfeng sect will be second. How about it? It was impossible for Qin Huai to agree to this kind of transaction before changing his job. Wanyan's second child and the others have already been treated as Fengong. But judging from the current trend, if they don't cooperate with Yue Qingzong, they may be the last one in this countdown. Okay. After weighing for a while, Qin Huai agreed. The audience is looking forward to it. How did Mingxuan do it? With his own strength, so many sects want to get rid of him. The big tree attracts the wind. It's almost number 1. It's the first time I've seen Chang Mingzong rank so high. It seems that since that little junior sister got started, the situation of Chang Mingzong's countdown has been reversed, but it is only the first day, and it is easy to be slapped in the face if you make a conclusion too early, so no one dares to say too much. Yi Qiao and Mingxuan pulled up all their hatred, and almost everyone chased him around in the secret realm. Mingxuan couldn't help complaining in a low voice. Let me tell you, now everyone in this group of people thinks that I'm very talented, and they all hate me. No one knew that their sect actually had 2 talisman cultivators, and those people took it for granted that Mingxuan relied on his profound understanding of the battle method to make his ranking soar. Yi Qiao, thank you for your hard work. When you are eliminated, I will lead our sect to victory. Mingxuan, thank you. As soon as the words were finished, a savage sword energy struck across the air. The two of them quickly dodged and were blocked by Qin Huai and Zhai Chen. Die. Qin Huai picked up the sword and flew towards Mingxuan. Yi Qiao's reaction was far slower than his, and he threw the Xuan sword directly. In an instant, it collided with the sword energy and broke in the air. What a fierce sword move. Yi Qiao had used it for so long to have feelings, but she was suddenly broken by someone, and she was in pain for a long time. Go back and ask master to give me another one. Qin Fan from outside the arena was very happy. Give it, not to mention 1 sword, as long as she can take the first place, she will also give 10 profound swords. After mumbling, Yi Qiao's unscrupulous expression also subsided. Qin Huai's sword moves continued one after another, and the opponent's speed was much faster than his own. Not only faster, the sword energy passed through the chill, as if it was integrated with the sword in his hand. Compared to his own effort, he seemed a little more comfortable. The suppression of the realm is no joke. What's more, compared to the personal teachings of how to use a sword at the age of 7 or 8, Yi Qiao, a latecomer who has only learned it for half a year, is obviously not enough. Took advantage of Yi Qiao and Qin Huai's confrontation, he also chased after Mingxuan. Obviously, the goal of both of them is to eliminate Mingxuan. As long as Yi Qiao holds on, Qin Huai is free to deal with Mingxuan. In this case, Mingxuan can exchange one for another. After all, he was from the 8 great families. Even if he was 1 level behind, Mingxuan could still draw with Zhai Chen only with the blessing of talismans and mental skills. As long as Yi Qiao can hold Qin Huai. But it's impossible to let a foundation building early stage delay a golden core stage. Yi Qiao was good at dodging, but under the pressure of the absolute realm, she was a little weak. She was hit twice in a row, and her throat was full of blood. She stood up without expression, and quickly analyzed the sequence of Qin Huai's moves in her mind. In this case, it's useless to blindly dodge. Duan Yu's expression tensed up. He is the one who has been mentoring Yi Qiao for the longest time. This child always seems to run away in class. People hate iron but not steel. But if you push her to the limit, it will be very difficult. Duan Yu remembered that what stimulated her not long ago was when she was halfway through the practice, and it was time to eat. She was lying down and let him beat her up, but she got up numbly in the next second. ... I have to stimulate her a little bit to give her a little bit of fighting spirit. Seeing Yi Qiao retreating steadily, Mingxuan was also extremely anxious, but he couldn't make a move. Once he wanted to rush to help, he was immediately stopped by Zhai Chen. He pulled his lips and sneered, I can't protect myself, so why worry about Yi Qiao? Mingxuan turned his head and met Zhai Chen's eyes. Suddenly he thought of something and shouted loudly, Yi Qiao. 100 million, 100 million. He hinted wildly, for our 100 million. The audience was dumbfounded. What is 100 million? Soon they found that Yi Qiao, who was still a bit invincible in the face, changed her eyes when she heard these words. She didn't choose to dodge blindly anymore, and kicked him on the left shoulder with a roundabout kick, kicking him out of the safe range. Qin Huai didn't expect that she would suddenly change her route. Wasn't she still running all the time? Yi Qiao picked up the bamboo shoots at her waist with one hand. The ordinary stick, with a tendency to destroy the dead, brushed past the sword in Qin Huai's hand. The shadow of the sword hit the wrist, and Qin Huai almost lost his grip on the sword. Chang Mingzong's swordsmanship is based on speed, and Yi Qiao cooperated well with Ta King Feng and King Feng Ju. Qin Huai's heart sank slightly, and he also found Yi Qiao's difficulty. Especially when the opponent was fighting head-on, he really couldn't deal with her quickly. Ellipsis. The battle on the other side is also heating up. The two exchanged formations, and when the distance was getting closer, they hooked each other's mustard bag and touched each other's identity cards almost at the same time. As long as it is crushed, it will be the end of both. Ming Xuan maintained a casual smile. Why don't you give me my ID card, and I'll give it to you too. Zhai Chen, okay, give it to me first. As soon as the words fell, the two of them crushed each other's identity cards at the same time. Ming Xuan sighed. What about the trust between people? You make me so sad. Zhai Chen, it's as if you didn't pinch it. After the dust settled, everyone sat down with sighs. Qin Fanfan said, that kid Yi Qiao also tried her best. It's amazing to be able to hold Qin Huai for so long. The two teamed up to force Ming Xuan to be eliminated, but Yi Qiao couldn't stop it at all. Elder Zhao exhaled slowly. It's over. Completely finished. What is there to play when the only talisman repair is gone? Different from Qin Fanfan's lifeless mood, Ming Xuan rarely felt extremely relaxed. It's good to be eliminated, and he will start to look bad after being eliminated. When receiving the news that Ming Xuan and Zhai Chen were out at the same time, Mu Chongxi's expression remained unchanged. It's okay, anyway, there is a little junior sister. Coincidentally, Zhu Yu thought so too. Zhou Xingyun looked at the calmer juniors, and calmed down. Fine. If you are not in a hurry, then I am not in a hurry either. So the four of them looked calmer than the other, as if Ming Xuan's exit had no effect on them. So calm. Do they have any cards? Look, they won't be able to laugh later. Losing a talisman, how to walk in the secret realm afterwards is a problem. The price of asking the sword sect next door without talisman cultivation is one step at a time, one day without doing anything, and being trapped in the formation every day. The experience was inhumane. After Ming Xuan came out of the secret realm, he pushed away the little girls who were trying to pounce on him. When asked what mood he was in, he said leisurely, no particular mood. If I really want to say it, although my body can no longer accompany them to fight in the secret realm. Ming Xuan said solemnly, but our soul is with them. Don't think that we didn't see the relaxed look on your face because of the righteous words you said. Seeing that the second senior brother was eliminated, Yi Qiao had no other thoughts but envious envy. If it wasn't for the fact that she was left with a talisman, she would really like to go to the elimination table Mayu. Seeing the two darkened names, Yi Qing'an frowned. 2 talismans were eliminated on the first day, and this group of people can make a lot of noise. Unlike their asking sword sect, they're still trapped in the formation and cannot get out. I have to find a talisman to cooperate, otherwise let alone the first place, I won't be able to keep the top 3. The little junior sister held a sword in her hand and said calmly. Yi Qing'an pursed his lips, his voice was slightly cold. Ming Xuan is out. If Yue Qingzong wanted to take the first place, it was impossible to cooperate with them. After all, Zhang Jianzong was also a threat to them. The junior sister's tone also became irritable. Those talisman cultivators are also blind, and they all go to the Yuqing sect. Are there any differences in the personal resources of other sects? Yi Qing'an also became depressed. But for some reason, the image of Yi Qiao throwing the talisman in the great secret realm flashed vaguely in his mind. Perhaps, someone was left out by him. Ellipsis. I underestimated you. Qin Huai also spoke slowly. When he received the news that Zhai Chen was out of the competition, he realized that he had been entangled by Yi Qiao for too long. Obviously, a foundation establishment should be resolved soon in his plan. Indeed, Yi Qiao wasn't overwhelmed by the compliment at all. She had a calm expression on her face. The geniuses in the grand competition, one is my elder brother, and the other is Yi Qing'an. And there's another underrated genius, and that's me. The elders outside the court rolled their eyes. Blow it and you will. They still didn't forget to make a few remarks at this kind of time. It was because they underestimated Yi Qiao's face. The corner of Qin Huai's mouth turned cold. It won't be too late to say such things after you escape from my grasp. Yi Qiao had some bad luck, as if she felt that being chased and beaten by Qin Huai wasn't bad enough. Duan Hengdao and Shen Ziwei also rushed over at the same time. 1, 2, 3. She counted. 3 people in total. All 3 personal heirs of Cheng Fengong have arrived. Yi Qiao, don't you think it's immoral for the 3 of you to beat me up? Qin Huai couldn't believe it. Need to talk about morality with you. She is the most immoral one. While speaking, Yi Qiao was hit by the wind knife continuously. She stabilized her body and reached out to touch the mustard bag. She didn't intend to use these things at first. She was afraid that Ming Xuan would be affected if the scene was out of control. But now that Ming Xuan is gone, Yi Qiao naturally has nothing to worry about. There are landmines in the mustard bag, and there are many strange talismans in the middle of the pistol of the cultivation version. So Yi Qiao, under everyone's eyes, also slowly took out a weird magic weapon. Is it a magic weapon? Not only the monks hadn't seen it, even the master of Changfeng sect hadn't seen it. He looked at Qin Fanfan in a daze. What is this? Qin Fanfan, how would I know that? He has always been a herd, so he doesn't know much about Yi Qiao. he only knows that a few of his personal friends like to fool around with her, skipping class and going down the mountain when they have nothing to do. As for what they were doing in private, Qin Fanfan was really confused. Yi Qiao showed a bewildered smile, picked up the gun in her hand and slowly pointed it at the Changfeng sect members. Let's see if your swords are faster, or my speed of firing talismans is faster. She aimed at the three of them and fired indiscriminately throughout the whole process. Seeing this, Qin Huai's shuriken turned and knocked away the talisman she was shooting from. So fast. Duan Hengdao was shocked. Yi Qiao is filled with ha-ha talismans, creeping talismans, mushroom talismans, and other random things, and it depends on who is unlucky enough to be shot by her. She shot down. Qin Huai was the first to get hit. He frowned and didn't feel any lethality, but the next second he laughed uncontrollably. Yi Qiao laughed too, and ran away. Ha, ha, ha. Don't run. While laughing wildly, Qin Huai was mad at the same time. Holding a sword in his hand, he was bound to eliminate Yi Qiao as a variable. Strange people can easily affect their performance when they can't stop laughing. His laughter was like that pervert forcing the girl who lost her footing, which made the monks outside the venue unable to bear to look directly at her. Can we stop laughing? Can't stop, let me say, is Mingxuan so damaged? Give back the talisman to his junior sister before coming here. Get out of the way. Seeing this, Shen Ziwei wanted to chase after her anxiously, but Duan Hengdao hugged her thigh. The talisman he was hit was a bit similar to the phantom talisman, and he would regard whatever he saw as what he wanted most in his heart. Duan Hengdao grabbed him excitedly, and stretched out his hand to pull Shen Ziwei's pants. He tilde spirit weapon, what a big spirit weapon. This distorted Shen Ziwei's face, and she had to give up hunting Yi Qiao in order to defend her dignity. If he could, he really wanted to give this mentally retarded 2 slaps. Fuck Zongman affection. I have no relationship with you idiots. This is like the scene of the dementia in the world of the relatives, so that the other elders can't help but look away. It is estimated that after the end of this battle, the entire comprehension world will know the scene of the collective illness of the disciples. Qin Huai pursued her relentlessly, and his thunderous sword strokes chopped down dead trees not far away. Yi Qiao was still unscathed, and she still had the leisure to turn her head to check the battle situation. After confirming that the water was muddy enough, she quickly ran away on the bamboo shoots. Without Mingxuan to protect, she would be terribly comfortable alone. Although the talisman in Yi Qiao's hand is not fatal, it is disgusting. Moreover, Yi Qiao's concealed weapon shot out fast and numerous talismans, except for Shen Ziwei who quickly built a protective shield with quick eyes and hands, the others were all hit while dodging. I can only say that this group of relatives is not united enough, but if Fan Duan Hengdao took out his defensive magic weapon earlier, he wouldn't be in this situation. It's normal for people to not fight against each other, that's why there are team battles for them to run in with each other. As long as Qin Huai can be more vigilant, he won't be posted, okay. And you have so many weapon cultivators in Changfeng sect, no one can see what she is holding. Don't tell me, no one really knows what it is. Zhai Chen, who was in the elimination seat, finally couldn't bear it anymore. Why are you drawing such a perverted talisman when you have nothing to do? Mingxuan, who was murdered by the wind commentary, was silent for a while. Do you believe me when I say that I didn't draw it? I saved the whole sect by playing badly. Chapter 53. Facing Cheng Fengong's relentless pursuit, Yi Qiao turned her head and gave him a shuttle. Qin Huai not only had to catch up with her speed, but also to avoid the endless stream of talismans. He was going crazy. How many talismans does this Yi Qiao have? Is Mingxuan the liver emperor? Why don't you sleep every day to draw such crooked things? The talisman in Yi Qiao's hand is not without related talisman books on the market, but in the eyes of other talisman cultivators, this kind of talisman is a low-end thing, a waste of time and consciousness, and has no lethality. I never thought that one day someone would bring this kind of talisman to the arena. The key effect is not bad. At least it gave Yi Qiao a good time to escape. Ha 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 ha. Qin Huai gritted his teeth with a distorted face. Stop her. It was absolutely impossible for him to watch Yi Qiao go to meet up with Chang Mingzong's people. As soon as Qin Huai finished speaking, he found that the 2 apprentices were not moving. He turned his head and saw Shen Ziwei holding his belt tightly, defending his dignity. Eldest brother, he's crazy. Shen Ziwei wanted to cry without tears and shook his legs, and was tightly hugged by Duan Hengdao. Qin Huai laughed crazily for a while, and when he finally returned to normal, he stretched out his hand and directly tore off the talisman behind Duan Hengdao. Facing the 2 who had finally returned to normal, Shen Ziwei breathed a sigh of relief, tightened his pants tremblingly, and talked about business. What should we do next? The current ranking is Yu Qingzong first, Chang Mingzong second, Chang Fengzong third, and Wen Jianzong probably doesn't know which formation he is trapped in. This trip is not completely fruitless, at least Mingxuan is eliminated. That Yi Qiao, he paused, leave her alone if you can't catch her. The people of Chang Mingzong are like slippery loaches, there is no need to waste time with them. Anyway, Mingxuan is gone, and Chang Mingzong is not afraid. Our focus this time is Yu Qingzong. Ellipsis. Mingxuan was eliminated, Yi Qiao was finally chased by no one, and she could completely let go of the waves. Yi Qiao didn't regard the ancient battlefield as a human being at all, and the elders outside the field were taken aback for a moment by her trance-like attitude. This girl is so lucky. Avoids so many formations. Qin Fanfan immediately explained. Luck is also a part of strength. That is to say, why is Janzong so unlucky? It was also a sword cultivator, But he was trapped for 2 full days, forcing Yi Qing'an to rush to Yue Qingzong to tie a talisman and come back to lead them. Qin Fanfan also fell silent for a moment. Yes. This luck is too good, right? Yi Qiao's familiarity with the ancient battlefield is still due to Yu Guanxi's whipping. Every time she comes back from the mountain, she either copies the alchemy book or the talisman book. If you can carry it on your back, how can you step on it? The second day of the mystery. Yi Qiao finally found the other 3 senior brothers to reunite. When she found the 3 of them, she found that the 3 senior brothers were all badly placed in the formation. One lay down to sleep, and the other counted ants on his stomach. The other one is not so normal either. Where is it digging soil? Seeing this, Yi Qiao stepped in and kicked Mu Chongxi. Wake up. The formation allows people to pass through, but it is difficult to get out. Mu Chongxi, who was kicked awake, rubbed his eyes and was surprised. Hey, you came back alive. In this secret realm, whoever is with Fu Xiu will be unlucky. After Ming Xuan is eliminated, Mu Chongxi is ready for the 2 Fu Xiu to disappear together. By the way, why is Ming Xuan gone? I met Qin Huai and the others. Yi Qiao replied honestly. In the end, he and Zhai Chen changed one another. Mu Chongxi sighed. Oh, I didn't expect him to be useful, and he took away a talisman. An elder outside the court analyzed. To be able to die together with Zhai Chen in the Jindan period, Ming Xuan is also quite powerful. If both of Changmingzong are Jindan this year, they can really compete with the other 2 sects for the first place. Pity. Yi Qiao looked at the 3 seniors who were out of state. She took out the suona from the mustard bag, and asked friendlily, do you need to wake you up? She said and blew. Zhou Exingyun was so frightened that his hair almost stood on end. Zhu Yu, who was digging the soil, trembled and raised his head weakly. My own, don't brag. Mu Chongxi even jumped up directly. Damn. Okay. It's you and Ming Xuan who co-authored to beat gongs and drums in the secret realm while playing the suona. He just said, who is so wrong? The co-authors are Yi Qiao and Ming Xuan. That explains it. Mu Chongxi pointed at Yi Qiao with one hand, and Yi Qiao immediately slapped his hand away. What is perversion? I call it rational use of resources. That Si Miaoyan can play musical instruments. Yi Qiao said, be careful with her. But in a short period of time, I believe that Si Miaoyan doesn't want to join him. So you use the suona to deal with Yin Gong. Mu Chongxi could almost imagine Si Miaoyan's collapsed expression. He touched his chin. I also have gongs and drums in my mustard bag, and I also have the amplifying symbols given by Ming Xuan. When the time comes, the 5 of us will knock on her. What do you think? Yi Qiao, try next time. Zhu Yu flipped through his mustard bag. What do you put in your mustard bag? There are suona and gongs and drums. Those who don't know may think that they are getting married in the secret realm. Mu Chongxi sat cross-legged on the ground. I have a pancake. Do you want to eat it? Don't eat, Zhu Yu said. I brought buns. No. What do the disciples of Changmingzong think of the secret realm? Tourists. Heartbroken. Does the patriarch of the Zhu family know that their honorable young master has become like this? You probably don't know. You can see Ming Xuan in the elimination seat. It's all crooked. While the 2 unreliable senior brothers were talking, Yi Qiao also took out the formation-breaking talisman from the mustard bag, and stuck it on it, and the already weak formation was completely shattered. Now their Changmingzong is ranked 2nd. If they work hard, this first place is not without hope. She put all the hatred in the first half on Ming Xuan. After Ming Xuan was eliminated, basically no sect would look at their Changmingzong, and they were extremely confident that eliminating Ming Xuan would be foolproof. Now, taking advantage of the lack of reaction from the other sect's personal heirs, Yi Qiao decided to act first and kill a few more monsters to get one step closer to the first place. Have you breaking talismans Ming Xuan all the formation breaking talismans Ming Xuan gave you? Yi Qiao asked. Mu Chongxi pointed at Zhou Exingyun faintly. Ask the big brother. He was so unlucky that he kept us in the formation. This is the number 30 formation we stepped on. The formation breaker is also used up. Seeing that they couldn't see it, the 3 of them just messed up. Just count down. If they lose to death, Changmingzong wins. Yi Qiao's mouth twitched when she heard it. In the game, Zhou Exingyun is definitely an unlucky non-chief. After rescuing the 3 resentful senior brothers, the 4 of them studied the map together for a long time, and finally Yi Qiao made a final decision, and she came to lead the way. The difficult monsters encountered on the road were also killed by Yi Qiao and Mu Chongxi together. She has never had a sword in her hand, and the mysterious sword she used before is broken, so she can only use Duaoju as a sword. Yi Qiao looked at the densely packed small snakes. Her scalp went numb for a moment, and the piercing sword chi cut the turquoise snake into 2 pieces. As a result, the severed vine snake jumped more happily, spitting out the snake letter. Get closer to her. Without hesitation, she ignited Zhang Yuhuo talisman, threw it down, and tried to see if she could burn them all to death. As a result, the snake became even more fierce. It jumped up and tried to bite her, but Yi Qiao mercilessly knocked her away with a sword. It's useless, Yi Qiao. Mu Chongxi stepped on the sword, touched his arm and felt weird. I heard that this kind of snake needs to be chopped into pieces so that it won't continue to jump around alive. Yi Qiao frowned when she heard the words, collected the bamboo shoots, and took out the corpse of a monster from the mustard bag. She killed it on the way, because she could take it out to repair the spirit stone, so she put it inside. Yi Qiao hung a rope on the bamboo shoot to tie up the corpse of the monster. Then he found a higher position and threw the corpse of the monster into the group of snakes. In an instant, all the snakes gathered in one place, scrambling to eat the monsters. The moment they gathered together, Yi Qiao trapped them all together with the talisman, and said decisively, "Do it." Mu Chongxi slashed down with two sword tactics, and when it touched the body of the vine snake, it broke instantly. Seeing that it would continue to split, Yi Qiao followed closely, and flew into the pile of monsters, chop it up a little, or kill it. Not clean. This kind of monster is easy to kill, but it is a bit difficult to deal with, but it is very suitable for practicing sword arts. Yi Qiao has been trying the second style of King Feng recently. Therefore, every time I encountered monsters, I didn't kill them all at once, but kept them for practice first. Zhu Yu distributed the practiced pills to his younger brothers and sisters to let them replenish their aura, and looked at the only idler present. "Brother, can you help me?" In the sect, Yi Qiao and Mu Chongxi were the youngest, 115 and 116, but they ended up working hard every day like hard-working bees. Zhu Yu almost said directly, "Are you embarrassed to gnaw at the old like this?" Zhou Exingyun was puzzled. Didn't they kill well? The younger brothers and sisters cooperated very well. Obviously this is not the first time they have cooperated. He pointed to the monster below, and it's not dangerous, it's just right for them to practice. The second form of the King Feng Ju has not been learned by the two idiots until now. Zhou Exingyun shook his head when he saw it. He could see that the little junior sister wanted to learn the second style, and she would open her mouth to give pointers from time to time, but unfortunately the number was too small. Seeing that Yi Qiao was about to catch something, all the vine snakes over there had been wiped out. Yi Qiao's aura was swept away, she moved her sore wrist, and sat on the ground with Mu Chongxi. Looking at the two juniors who were exhausted and leaning against each other. Zhou Exingyun had a rare conscience and dragged the corpse of the monster on the ground to them. Arranged them one by one from tall to short to form a Wi-Fi. Zhou Exingyun nodded in satisfaction. A row of monsters came down. Those who knew thought they were hunting monsters, those who didn't know thought it was an auction. Seeing this, Yi Qiao twitched the corner of her mouth. This is probably one of the few loves from the elder brother. She stuffed a few pills into her mouth, wiped the sweat from her palms. "Let's go. Go to the next place." Zhu Yu hummed, staring at the rankings on the jade slips. If things go on like this, it will be a matter of time before they meet Yue Qingzong. Both of them are catching up very closely. Perhaps it was because Mingxuan and Yi Qiao cooperated so well that everyone believed that the reason why Chang Mingzong ranked so high was all due to Mingxuan. Now that Mingxuan is gone, the other personal disciples don't plan to take care of them anymore. As long as it goes well, it is really possible for their Chang Mingzong to rely on their wretched development and get the first place in this secret realm. The four of them walked together, but as they walked, Yi Qiao gradually realized that something was wrong. Mu Chongxi was trapped in an unknown formation, he was dragged and swallowed inside, and he subconsciously grabbed Zhu Yu. Zhu Yu was already annoyed by these endless formations. He said, "You stepped on it yourself, don't pull me, you can rest in peace." After finishing speaking, Zhu Yu was eager to try and took out a pill from the mustard bag, intending to put Mu Chongxi on the ground. Mu Chongxi immediately went to pull Zhou Exingyun's clothes. "Brother." Zhou Exingyun was even more ruthless. He took a knife to cut off the robe, and then looked at the neat gap. Zhou Exingyun was very satisfied. Yi Qiao. She almost gave these three unreliable personal pass with a punch. I misunderstood Mingxuan. Obviously the second senior brother is quite a normal person. Yi Qiao didn't have many formation-breaking talismans at the moment. She grabbed Mu Chongxi, but found that she couldn't pull it out, so she took a step forward and looked around the formation. Recalling in her mind the records in the Qingzong's formation book, Yi Qiao decided to break through one by one from the outside. When the sword wind swung to the inner wall, something bounced back. She increased the strength of the sword, basically knowing that the formation eyes were where is it. This formation is somewhat similar to Yue Qingzong's. It should be left behind by a disciple of Yue Qingzong. What is Yi Qiao doing? Break out. Breaking the formation basically has to be broken from the inside, but judging from Mu Chongxi's reaction, there is basically no chance to swing a sword after entering the formation, so Yi Qiao intends to break the formation from the outside. The difficulty from the outside is more than one level higher than the inside. Moreover, that was Yue Qingzong's formation. Zhou Exingyun also said, "Shall I tie Song Hansheng here?" Yi Qiao, no need. She had learned Yu Qingzong's array technique, and it was thanks to Song Hansheng's generosity that Yu Qingzong's inner Sect talisman book was shown to her as soon as she said it, without any hesitation. As soon as the words fell, with the sound of the formation breaking, a circle of golden light bounced her away, and Mu Chongxi finally came out. Broken. Bold. Seeing this scene, the elder Yue Qingzong stood up in shock on the spot. How dare she secretly learn our Yu Qingzong's formation? If this formation is broken from the inside, it can be said that she is lucky. But from the outside, he wouldn't believe that she hadn't learned formations. Qin Fanfan's eyes also widened. Ha! His tone was completely astonished, but to the ears of the others, it was clearly ridicule and complacency. Qin Fanfan looked at the unbelievable faces of those old men, who looked as stable as old dogs on the surface, but panicked inside, and yelled back with the same loud voice. What is the formation of your Yue Qingzong? Isn't the formation method used for people to learn? No, you too, is this the point? The point is that this fucking is actually a talisman. Chapter 54. This is your whole card. The master of Changfeng sect squinted his eyes, and his heart sank. Actually hid a talisman. He said why people like Chang Mingzong were not in a hurry at all, and the co-authors came prepared. So this is your Changming Sect's trump card. 1 talisman repair, 1 sword talisman double repair. The elders never expected that the group of Changming Zong could hold back so much, and there was no rumor about a disciple who could achieve double cultivation in 2 ways for so long. Are you allowed to hide your hand, and we are not allowed to have multiple geniuses? Qin Fanfan immediately straightened his back, with the corners of his mouth flying, and replied triumphantly in the same tone, we call it strategy. In an instant, he completely forgot about Yi Qiao's little problems of skipping classes, sleeping every day, and being idle. What's the matter? Exclamation mark. Maybe she is tired. Sword and symbol dual cultivation knowledge. See, is easy to feel tired. Is Yi Qiao called lazy? She is just tired. At this moment, Qin Fanfan has found all the reasons for his dear disciple. You all knew about this a long time ago. Elder Zhao was confused the whole time, looking at his suzerain's expression that he was fully in control. He poked Duan Yu next to him. That girl Yi Qiao turned out to be a sword talent double cultivator. Question mark quote. The old man of Cheng Fengong asked himself a bunch of inexplicable questions every day. At that time, Elder Zhao felt that the old man had malicious intentions, so he had seen some signs that day and came to test himself. Duan Yu, if he knew, would he still beat Yi Qiao every day? Fushu and Danshu are quite rare in the world of comprehension. They have been waiting for Mingxuan and Zhu Yu for so many years. They must be protective. Therefore, only Niu Chongxi and Yi Yi were beaten frequently in the training class. Alice. But, Duan Yin and thick flesh. But, Duan Yu thought guiltily, that kid Yi Qiao has rough skin and thick flesh, so he should be fine. Yi Qiao used Yue Kingzong's, and she was not afraid of being seen. Yi Qiao used Yue Kingzong's hand gestures, and she was not afraid of being seen. After the formation was broken, she pulled the 4th senior brother over, don't step on it, just follow me. The formations are ever changing, derived from various sects 100 years ago, and some formations Yi Qiao has never seen before. The outside monks also exploded. What's the origin of this Yi Qiao? Dual cultivation of talisman and sword. Mingzong has been hiding it for so many years. Yi Qiao was able to use her mediocre spiritual roots as her personal heir, and everyone thought that the Changming sect was broken. I didn't expect that this little junior sister was really capable in it. Some fans of Janwenzong couldn't hold back after seeing this. Then I'll go and see what's going on at Changmingzong. Brothers, if I don't come back, remember to keep up. Sword talisman dual cultivation, the first one in the cultivation world, who would not want to see something new? Superficial. A monk scolded. Unlike me, I went to see Changmingzong not because she can practice both ways, but mainly because I want to see what she can do. Ellipsis. Yi Qiao, who was ignorant of the uproar caused by the outside world, was still chatting. Did you meet Song Hansheng on the way? The place where she hung Song Hansheng was quite conspicuous, so everyone should have watched it. Mu Chongxi was very excited. Yes, I have recorded it with photo stones. Next time, I will go to the forum to see if anyone accepts it. I used 6 photo stones and can sell them at the price of 10 high-grade spirit stones. Go. Everyone has photo stones, you can record them outside, why buy yours? Yi Qiao thinks that no one will be the seed of resentment. How could Mu Chongxi have any plausible words? I took this from the first-person perspective, close to Song Hansheng at a close distance. Can they use the photo stone outside the venue to see it the same as the one in my hand? Makes sense. Yi Qiao said, remember to give me half of the lingxi you earn. Why? Yi Qiao pointed to herself, human, I was the one who was tied up by Duan Hengdao, can you take the picture without me? Mu Chongxi reluctantly said, okay, okay. Then you will be 4 and I will be 6. The two simply bowed their heads and divided the loot, and led the way one after the other holding the map. When Zhou Xingyun learned that Song Hansheng was tied up by Yi Qiao and Changfeng sect, he hesitated for a moment, thinking that even if Yi Qiao collapsed the secret realm at this moment, he would not be surprised, really. Bai Shui sect and Yue King sect have cooperated. Zhu Yu leaned over to share the news with her. Cheng Feng sect has no intention of cooperating with any sect at present. Then there is only Sword Asking Zong left. Now Swordsmanship sect is ranked 4th. This may be the first time they have been ranked so low since the grand competition. Yi Qiao thought for a moment, then cooperate with Zhang. It happens that there are still some talismans in the mustard bag, which can be used to talk to them about joining forces. Zhu Yu touched his arm, feeling that she was going to mess up again. After Yi Qing'an came out of the formation, his face turned black when he saw the 4th place, and he once again clearly realized the importance of talisman repair. Faced with Chang Mingzong's initiative to come to the door and ask for cooperation, he did not refuse for the first time, but asked, what capital do you have to cooperate with us? I have the talisman given by my 2nd senior brother. Are you short of formation-breaking talismans? In order to prove that she was not lying, Yi Qiao took out the talisman she had drawn and shook it for Yi Qing'an to see. The two were separated by a distance. Yi Qing'an squinted his eyes, resisting the urge to snatch it, and asked, what do you want to do? Let's cooperate. She took a step closer to him. You know the situation now, our Changmingzong is 2nd, and next, how about doing Yuqingzong first? I have a broken formation talisman, and I can help you if you are trapped. Help you. If Changmingzong wanted to take the 1st place, he must first solve the trouble of Yuqingzong. Yi Qing'an stared at her intently. Eyes fixed, looking calm and composed, the young man pondered for a moment, and finally let go. Yes. We are 2nd, and you are 1st. This is of course a lie to her. They have always been the number 1 in Janzong, but first stabilize Yi Qiao. After all, she has the talisman given by Mingxuan, so it is not appropriate to have a conflict now. Yi Qing'an will deal with them when she has almost used up her talismans. Who can kill a donkey without grinding? Coincidentally, Yi Qiao also thought so. The two people with their own ghosts exchanged briefly for a while, and barely reached a consensus to deal with Yue Qingzong first. Relying on the presence of his elder brother, Yi Qing'an didn't dare to sneak attack, and walked in front of the two teams. Chu Exingji was the one who was most dissatisfied with the cooperation. He hummed along the way, and he hummed when he saw Yi Qiao, and he hummed again when he turned his head to see Mu Chongxi. Zhu Yu, are you a pig? Chu Exingji. When the two sects meet, friction is unavoidable. Chu Exingji always likes to look at people. Tap the screen to leave the whole sect by playing B55. The two teams walked all the way to the marked location on the map, and they all rushed to kill the monsters here before Yue Qingzong. Thanks to Yi Qiao, it was rare for the group of Wenjianzong not to step on the formation. This made Yi Qing'an believe in Mingxuan's strength even more. The closer it was to the destination, the drizzle gradually began to fall from the sky. The corrosive rainwater felt scorching hot when it fell on her hands. Yi Qiao touched it. She had seen this kind of rain before. I didn't expect to meet again today. Yi Qing'an frowned. Which one of you has a defensive magic weapon? No, junior sister answered very neatly. Poor. The prices offered by those unscrupulous artifact repairers of the Changfeng school are too expensive, and it is impossible to buy magical artifacts, even in this lifetime. Yi Qiao heard the words and gave a sincere suggestion. Why don't you put up a basin and a pot for a try? She was able to set up formations, but this method was not only tiring, but also exposed herself. Where did you get it? Zhu Yu weighed the pot in her hand. It was quite light. I borrowed it from the cafeteria. She wanted to use it for alchemy before, but those pills were not good enough to hinder the appearance of the city, and there were 3 senior brothers who didn't need her for alchemy, so this pot has been left unused in front of it. Practice again when you are free. I still have 3 pots, what do you want? Immediately the 3 brothers did not hesitate. Yes. Yi Qiao held the pot by herself, and the other 3 senior brothers each held a pot on their foreheads, and the monks outside were stunned. Yi Qiao didn't bring serious things when she entered the secret realm this time, but she really brought everything else. The sword-asking sect next to him was stunned. Yi Qing'an blinked vigorously. After making sure that this scene was not his hallucination, he looked hesitantly at the cauldron in her hand, feeling a little embarrassed. This is too ugly. But I have to say, it seems to be quite useful. Yi Qing'an wanted to speak but stopped watching for a long time, and finally looked at her expressionlessly and asked, do you still have the pot? Yi Qiao didn't turn her head back. It's gone. She does not engage in wholesale. Seeing this, Yi Qing'an could only shut up, relying on physical skills to move forward in the rain. Compared with the miserable wind and rain like Janjianzong, Changmingzong was much more relaxed. The 3 of them chatted casually, without any sense of tension. Yue Qingzong is also rushing to the wind beast's lair with the formation. Seeing this, several inner sect elders outside the court muttered in their hearts. To be honest, the effect of consuming spiritual energy along the way. It's better to learn how to put a pot on Yi Qiao's head. Ordinary oil paper umbrellas can't stop corrosive rainwater, but pots can. The rain falls on the top of the 4 people's heads with a strange sense of rhythm. The closer you are to the position of the wind beast, the more you can feel the strength of the surrounding wind and sand. When the rain gradually stopped and Yi Qiao put away the pot, the 2 teams standing wind and sand. When the rain gradually stopped and Yi Qiao put away the pot, the 2 teams stood in a row. People from Yue Qingzong are coming soon. Yi Qing'an squinted his eyes. I'm going to deal with their sect sword cultivator. He looked at Zhou Exingyun. If you are with me, the speed will be faster. Yue Qingzong has 4 talisman cultivators and 1 golden core stage sword cultivator. Although Yi Qing'an can deal with it alone, he wants to fight quickly. Both Zhou Exingyun and Yi Qing'an became famous when they were young, and the guesses about the strength between the two are only estimates given by the outside world. In fact, he has never fought against Zhou Exingyun. So far, no one has ever seen the sword in Zhou Exingyun's hand unsheathed. Zhou Exingyun pretended to be stupid, with a blank expression on his face. What are you talking about? I don't understand. Yi Qing'an took a deep breath, and said in a cold voice, we cooperate, Yu Zhangmingzong must show some sincerity. They have so many sword cultivators, isn't it simple to join hands to fight the 4 talisman cultivators of Yue Qingzong? Yi Qiao looked at the male protagonist's expression of only wanting to win, touched his chin, and found that the plot seemed to collapse. Now Yi Qing'an only wants to conquer Yue Qingzong, and he never thought about it. Is there Yun Q among the 4 talisman repairers? In the novel, when Janzong went smoothly all the way, and Yun Q also worked hard with the hero in the second scene. This may be the last time Yue Qingzong was disturbed by her for the first time. Song Han was so angry that he yelled at Yun Q and gave him a lesson, which caused Yun Q to not stay with Yi Qing'an like in the original book. Zhou Exingyun heard that he wanted sincerity, so he immediately pushed Yi Qiao over. The sincerity of our Changming sect is here. As for the double cultivation of sword and talisman, the little junior sister is now the greatest sincerity of Changmingzong. Yi Qing'an's forehead bulged, thinking that Zhou Exingyun was humiliating himself. Seeing that the main man was so angry that he ran away, Yi Qiao hurriedly stepped forward to comfort him. Don't be angry, let's help, can't we help? Can't you trust our Changming sect? We are all honest people. Only now did Yi Qing'an look a little better. Count a few of them with a wink. Hearing this, Zhu Yu took advantage of her height and pressed her head, and the two of them turned around together, secretly discussing in a low voice, "Are you really helping Janjianzong? Believe it or not, after we finish solving Yue Kingzong, Yi Qing'an will deal with us next." Chang Mingzong. Sword-seeking Zong's character is not good. Yi Qiao, it's okay, we are not good people anyway. Zhu Yu. Song Hansheng didn't know where he hid his identity card. Yi Qiao thought it might be placed on the only sword cultivator of Yue Kingzong. Therefore, she didn't have any objections to fighting Yue Kingzong's sword cultivator first. Two costumes, one red and one white, each stood in a row. Seeing this, Song Hansheng frowned, realizing that something was wrong. These two sects are still working together. Didn't the Janjian sect never bother to join forces with the weak sect? The secret realm cooperation all belong to the model of one belt and one. Cheng Fengong fights alone, and Yue Kingzong and Bishuazong have reached a deal. They protect the Bishuazong, and the Bishuazong is responsible for providing them with pills. It takes a lot of energy to set up the formation. Without pills to repair them, they can't last for too long. Yi Qing'an wants to rely on the talismans left by Mingshuan to make it smoother in the secret realm, right? A group of brainless swordsmen, I don't know what kind of madness they're doing all day long. Su Juo snorted, extremely disdainful. What Su Juo said, I didn't have any brains to hang you up not long ago. Yi Qiao, who are you saying has no brains? No, Yi Qiao is a double cultivator of two ways. Strictly speaking, it is indeed different from a brainless sword cultivator. In the end, the audience came to a conclusion. This Su Juo probably never suffered the beating from Yi Qiao. Actually, if Yi Qiao had stayed in Yuqingzong, then Yuqingzong would have had 2 sword cultivators and 5 talisman cultivators. After all, Yi Qiao is worth 2. Yes. Who wouldn't want a disciple who cultivated both ways? As long as the talent is higher, one can beat 2. Yun Hen looked at the gloating eyes of the surrounding people, and he also regretted it. After all, it was just a stalk of spirit grass, and it was not worth the loss to let go of a disciple for such a trivial matter. But he wanted to save face, so he just forced himself to say in a low voice. It's just a middle-grade spiritual root. Even if it is 2 ways of double cultivation, it is only a half-baked person in the end. Elder Zhao smiled slightly. Aren't those of you who have all the best spiritual roots in the field still the last one? No matter how high your spiritual roots are, it won't affect your last one. The elders taunted and ridiculed, and the personal disciples in the field were also very lively. The moment Song Hansheng and Yi Qing'an met, he felt something was wrong, but he didn't panic. In the ancient battlefield, the talisman cultivation had a field advantage. After Mingshuan was eliminated, the secret realm is now their Yuqing's world. Yi Qing'an didn't talk nonsense with him, he just picked up the sword and did it. The cold light was everywhere, and the formation followed. The strong spiritual power fluctuated, and the coercion of the 2 golden elixirs made Yi Qiao's unsuitable movements stagnate for a moment. Seeing this, Zhou Exingyun released coercion to cover her together. With a sudden light on her body, Yi Qiao raised her head and smiled at Zhou Exingyun, then took a step back quietly, using the height of several senior brothers to cover herself. Almost at the moment when the 2 groups fought, she pinched a formula with her fingertips, and Yue Kingzong's formation began to rotate. The confinement formation spread out silently from under the feet, and locked several members of Chang Mingzong in the formation. What? If I'm not mistaken, Yi Qiao made this formation himself, right? You read that right, she has been quietly setting up her formation since she arrived. What is it called? I trapped myself. Song Hansheng was also taken aback when he saw the 4 Chang Mingzong people who were trapped. Wait. He didn't trap Yi Qiao and the others inside. He glanced suspiciously at his junior brother. Could it be Su Juodu's confinement array? Because the pattern of the formation was indeed their Yuqingzong's formation, Song Hansheng and the other juniors and sisters never suspected anything. It's just that the opponent has set up the formation in advance. The culprit, Yi Qiao, stood in the formation, looked at the 2 groups of people fighting, and raised her voice suddenly. We can't get out. What should we do? Who will save us? Zhu Yu. Seeing how devoted these people were to fighting, no one cared about her at all. Yi Qiao put away her expression, quickly observed the situation outside, and sat down neatly cross-legged. Okay, let's let them fight for a while. No one knew that Yi Qiao would break the formation. They all thought that Chang Mingzong would not be able to get out for the time being, and when the 2 groups fought, they had no worries at all. Flying sand and rocks, 5 elements formation, Yi Qiao waited for them to consume almost, and then she broke the formation to collect the heads. Looking at this scene, Zhai Chen didn't know whether it was fear or awe. He muttered, Sao. 6 You are stupid, who is to blame? Yi Qiao sat in the formation and watched the scene for a long time, and finally came to the conclusion that Yi Qing'an was not good at it. He was so beaten by Song Hansheng that he didn't even have a chance to get close. The 2 sects are currently defeated, and they belong to the situation that no one can do anything about it. Song Hansheng set up the formation quickly, and Yi Qing'an was more straightforward, directly breaking the formation with a sword. In the end, he couldn't care less about it. If Yue Kingzong is not eliminated, they will be at the bottom of the list. Fu Xiu is still very good. Zhu Yu moved his head closer. I decided to treat Mingshuan with a better attitude in the future. They couldn't see what was going on in the formation, and the few of them could sit down and watch the show. Mu Chongxi took out a handful of melon seeds. Do you want to eat? The three of them took it one after another, and started eating melon seeds without any psychological burden. This is the confinement formation. Yi Qiao said, one of the Yuqing sect's formations has no lethality and can last for a very short time. We will help Yi Qing'an after the formation is broken. It is impossible to ask them Changmingzong to contribute, and the only ones who had taken advantage of are the 5 people from Janwenzong. Song Hansheng also felt strange looking at the Changmingzong people who were motionless. The confinement formation is a weak formation. If you think about it, you can't force it out. Could it be that their formation is too strong? Song Hansheng didn't think about it carefully. After all, it would be fine if he could stop the Changmingzongs. Otherwise, the 4 of them would obviously have a hard time dealing with the 2 sects. The 2 sects fought in the dark. Yi Qiao knocked the melon seeds in her hands, looked at the disappearing prison formation, and clapped her hands. Let's go. Regardless of what happens next, Yue Qingzong must be eliminated now. With the disappearance of the confinement formation, Song Hansheng noticed Yi Qiao's situation for the first time. There was no way, this person's sense of presence was too strong. In particular, the shadow of being attacked is still vivid in his mind, which makes him habitually distracted and pay more attention to Yi Qiao's eyes. Zhou Xingyun sighed and slowly stopped Song Hansheng's path, while turning his head to look at Yi Qiao. You and Mu Chongxi go to solve the other 2. Song Hansheng stared at the sword in Zhou Xingyun's hand, feeling oppressed for a long time, his expression tensed slightly. I'm serious. Zhou Xingyun retracted his sword, turned his head and ran away. His voice was light. I lied to you. Song Hansheng. His face twisted uncontrollably for a moment, and he immediately chased after him. Song Hansheng knew that Zhou Xingyun was difficult to deal with, and he might not even be able to beat him. He just wanted to test the opponent, but Zhou Xingyun retreated without a fight. Zhou Xingyun flashed fast, and Song Hansheng followed closely. The scene where you are the wind and I am the sand shocked the monks outside the venue. If you don't understand, just ask, what are these 2 personal transmissions playing? I've been looking forward to a long time for the 2 of them to meet and fight. Being able to be the chief disciple, Song Hansheng's attainments in formations are not inferior to others. He can even draw with Yi Qing'an in the right place, but in the end, good guy, people don't fight him at all. Yi Qiao and Su Juo had a face-to-face meeting, and it was a tacit understanding that neither of them talked nonsense. Su Juo's fingertip talismans flew, and the 2 talismans struck at her in a tricky direction. Yi Qiao was a bit behind in his realm, so he couldn't dodge it, and was stuck right on his body. The 2 talismans nailed her in place so easily. Su Juo thought, that's all. It was obviously a foundation building, but it turned out that Song Hansheng was all over the place. He was easily holding on to Yi Qiao, just as he approached and wanted to take her mustard seed bag away. The next second, the girl who was unable to move suddenly raised her head and kicked him violently. Fu Xiu was surrounded by a group of weak chickens, and Yi Qiao kicked Su Juo's ribs on the spot. His face turned pale from the pain, and he looked at Yi Qiao in amazement, not understanding why she could move. Yi Qiao didn't have the slightest intention to explain, so she took 2 talismans that were exactly the same as Su Juo's and stuck them on his body. Soon, Su Juo's ID card was found from the mustard bag. Seeing that she was about to be crushed, Su Juo's face turned pale, and he almost didn't want to call out, second senior sister. He tried to play the emotional card, hoping to evoke Yi Qiao's memories of being with them in Yuqingzhong. Yi Qiao didn't give him a chance to force lie, so she crushed her and said goodbye to Su Juo. Just after she finished solving Su Juo, Mu Chongxi also killed Yue Qingzong's sword repairman. Before Yi Qiao took action, Yi Qing'an and the others had been exhausted in the past few months of Qingzong's personal inheritance, and the dried-up spiritual power was simply not enough to continue. So it worked out fine. Yi Qing'an watched Zhou Xingyun play with Song Hansheng's magic power of love slowly. The corner of his mouth twitched, and finally couldn't bear it anymore. He picked up his sword and went into battle himself. Originally, he wanted to see Zhou Xingyun's swordsmanship, and save himself energy by the way, but Yi Qing'an forgot that Zhou Xingyun is someone who can lie down and never stand. Facing Zhou Xingyun and Yi Qing'an's siege, Song Hansheng didn't even get a teleportation spell, but was quietly pressed against his Adam's apple with a sword. Yi Qing asked coldly, pinch it yourself, or do you want us to help you? After confirming that even if eliminated, the ranking can be stabilized in the top 3, Song Hansheng decisively squeezed his identity card. Yue Qingzong has no obsession with the first sect, and this match is enough to prove that they're Yue Qingzong. Even if Song Hansheng is eliminated, he is still in a good mood, and he finally has his shame. The audience sighed heavily after seeing it. It is finally over. Yue Qingzong is worthy of being the master of cultivating talismans in the realm of self-cultivation, formidable. And many more. It doesn't seem to be over yet. 3 of the 4 talisman cultivators left, and now there is only 1 Yun Q left. When Yi Qing'an and Song Hansheng were fighting fiercely, none of the sects on either side of Yang wanted to offend. They pretended to be dead throughout the whole process. This behavior made the other elders frown. Without the slightest spirit of cooperation, where did Yun Hen find his disciple? Yi Qiao noticed Yun Q in the corner, and she said without hesitation, go. Beat her up. As a result, Yi Qing'an took the initiative to defuse her sword move easily, and the long sword in the young man's hand pointed directly at Yi Qiao. Either side of Yang wanted to offend, they pretended to be dead throughout the whole process. This behavior made the other elders frown. Without the slightest spirit of cooperation, where did Yun Hen find his disciple? Yi Qiao noticed Yun Qiu in the corner, and she said without hesitation, "Go. Beat her up." As a result, Yi Qing'an took the initiative to defuse her sword move easily, and the long sword in the young man's hand pointed directly at Yi Qiao. They asked Janzong to leave a talisman to lead the way. Yun Qiu had a gentle personality and didn't need to worry about being betrayed halfway, so he was the most suitable candidate. As for those people from Changmingzong, after the three of Yue Qingzong were eliminated, it was naturally useless. Hey, it's not good to turn against us after we use it. Mu Chongxi stretched out his hand and pushed his sword away with a smile, with an extraordinarily arrogant gesture. What about joining forces? Aren't we your allies? Yi Qing'an's tone was cold. You are stupid, who is to blame? People in the Changming sect have always been stupid. Yi Qing'an doesn't think there is anything wrong with betraying the water. What is compared in the secret realm is cooperation and strategy. The moment his voice fell, the formation of golden iron chains gathered in the air, and an invisible barrier was erected around it. Quartet, lock. The light was shining brightly, and the familiar formation caused several people to slightly open their eyes. Fuck. Chu Xingji saw the formation above his head, and his first reaction was, the little trash of Yue Qingzong can't afford to play, and engage in a sneak attack. The little junior sister looked at the formation under her feet, and frowned, but, isn't there only one Fushu of the Yuqing sect? Who set up this formation? Is it possible that Mingxuan can be revived halfway? At this moment, Yi Qing'an suddenly realized what he had missed. He turned his head abruptly, and saw Yi Qiao smiling and pointing in the direction, with a slight twist of the palm of his hand, and the gesture was exactly the common starting gesture of talisman cultivators when they formed formations. She spoke slowly, you are stupid, no one can blame you. One more chapter, haha. Chevron underscore left previous home index next chevron underscore right. Tap the screen to use advanced tools tip, you can use left and right keyboard keys to browse between chapters. I saved the whole sect by playing badly. Chapter 57 Elimination of all. Talisman repair. This fucking is actually a talisman. Yi Qing'an finally realized why the people of Changmingzong were not in a hurry after Mingxuan left, why she repeatedly brainwashed herself along the way, how awesome Mingxuan's talisman was, and why she had the confidence to discuss cooperation with him. It's because, she's a talisman. As a qualified Longaotian, Yi Qing'an has always firmly believed that as long as the strength is strong enough, all conspiracies and schemes are small tricks. Until now, Yi Qing'an was silent. He turned around silently, looked at the formation above, swiped his sword expressionlessly, and found that the sword didn't move at all. After thinking about it, Qin Huai could be trapped, not to mention them who had exhausted their spiritual energy after going through a fierce battle. The square formation can't get in, can't get out, it's a higher level magic circle than the prison circle. Yi Qing'an wants to see what Yi Qiao can do with them. As long as she dares to come in, Yi Qing'an is sure to eliminate the two of them. After he calmed down, he stood in the formation and stared outside. Yi Qiao didn't pay attention to Yi Qing'an in the formation at all, and the sword moves full of aura filled with the bamboo shoots fell, and each stroke was merciless, forcing Yun Qiu to retreat in a hurry. Second senior sister, Yun Qiu felt aggrieved, and didn't understand why she targeted him. Seeing Yi Qiao's expressionless face, she bit her lip, and her fingertips twitched, trying to show Yi Qiao some color. Who would have thought that Yi Qiao's eyes lit up the moment she saw her forming a formation? Just when Yun Qiu was feeling strange, he found that Yi Qiao had changed into an identical curse mark with him. The pattern on it is exactly the pattern of Yue Qingzong. Perhaps it was the first time imitating someone. Yi Qiao's movements were a bit unfamiliar, but after a moment of embarrassment, she found the touch, and she struck out two identical curse marks. Cloud Magpie. Have you ever tried the superimposed power of two formations? Yi Qiao shook the formed formation in her hand and smiled slightly. Yun Qiu stepped back subconsciously, his pupils suddenly constricted. Superposition of two formations. The result of the aura squeezed and collided was only an explosion. This idea just flashed in her mind, and the next second, after the two identical Yuqingjong formations were superimposed, there was a loud noise, and a big hole was blasted out of the place in an instant. Yun Qiu ran fast, but was affected, and in the end, it was the personal heir of the sword-asking sect in the square formation. If the power produced by the two attacking formations hadn't been for their high cultivation, they would have almost blown them to pieces. Chu Xingji coughed twice, lying on the ground for a long time and couldn't get up. He hates. Yi Qiao took advantage of the fact that Zhangjianzong was blown up and couldn't get up. She turned her head and said loudly, "Come on, pinch their ID badges." Several senior brothers were very skilled in action. After finding out their identity cards from the mustard bag, along with the 5 consecutive eliminations of swordsmanship sect, the other personal disciples were shocked. Yue Qingzong was eliminated 4 times, and Wen Jianzong was eliminated 5 times. This is unprecedented. Qin Huai couldn't figure it out, how could the strongest swordsmanship sect be wiped out in the second match today? It was only the third day and asked what happened to Janzong to be eliminated collectively. Si Miaoyan made a reasonable guess. Did Yue Qingzong and Wen Jianzong perish together? They, Danshu, didn't participate in things like fighting together, and they didn't know what happened between the two cases. Can the two formations be superimposed? I'll go. It's the same as the alchemy furnace will explode the furnace. When the two formations are squeezed, it will definitely explode. She wants to use this method to blow up the personal heir of the sword-seeking sect, a coquettish person. It's so coquettish, let's take another look. I would like to call it the best pro-biography. Even Su Juo and Song Hansheng, who were out of the game, were shocked when they saw this scene, Yi Qiao. In their assumptions, without the threat of Fu Xiu, Yi Qingyan would never let Chang Mingzong go. Song Hansheng thought that after Yi Qiao and the others were eliminated, he would laugh at their foolish words. So what did they see? Rune Array. Yue Qingzong's formation. It is exactly the same as the formation laid down by Yun Qiu. Song Hansheng's eyes narrowed slightly, and at this moment, he vaguely remembered that Yi Qiao had asked him for the Inner Sect's Heart Method and Talisman book before. Is that when you started learning? Yun Qiu and several elders thought that they might have learned it secretly during Yue Qingzong's time. But Song Hansheng clearly remembered that when he met her in the secret realm a long time ago, Yi Qiao was still half-baked. Is it possible to learn Yu Qingzong's formation in half a year? He looked slightly cold, looking in the direction of Chang Mingzong and the others in the photo stone, and was going to discuss with Master about Yi Qiao after this secret realm was over. No one had ever paid much attention to the Changming sect before. A weak sect, counting down 10,000 years. Although the other direct descendants have good aptitude, they can't hold back their new disciple who is a foundation builder. Because of her ability to cultivate both swords and talismans, no matter what Yi Qiao's aptitude is, they have to go back to the sect to discuss the next countermeasure carefully. You actually secretly learned our sect's formation. Yun Qiu coughed, her beautiful eyes widened slightly, in disbelief. How did she learn it? Stealing a teacher is really immoral, and Yi Qiao has a good reason. I used to be an inner disciple of the Yuqing sect, so what's wrong with learning a few formations? Even if she was killed, it would be impossible for her to admit that she learned it from the talisman book halfway, otherwise, this is an above-board stealing teacher. Yun Qiu was choked for a moment. Even if she was beaten to death, she didn't want to believe that Yi Qiao, who was crowned inferior to her in every way, could learn the talismans of Yue Qingzong in more than 10 years. But the scene in front of her did indeed tell her that Yi Qiao's formation was clearly Yue Qingzong's formation. Yun Qiu took 2 steps back, trying to escape in a hurry, but the next second Mu Chongxi put a sword on his neck. Hey, pinch it yourself or should I help you? He usually doesn't go through girls' mustard bags. Yun Qiu's eyes suddenly turned red. Seeing that she was about to cry again, Mu Chongxi took a deep breath with toothache, and pulled her mustard seed bag. You really want to be eliminated by me, don't you? Satisfy you. After crushing it, he ran to Yi Qiao's side, observing the big crater that was blown out by her. It is absolutely impossible for the two formations to blow up such a big hole. It is obvious that someone dug it in advance. Wow, is it a dark room? Mu Chongxi lay down on the ground. Why don't we jump down and have a look? The secret realm is full of dangers and opportunities. It was absolutely impossible for him to be so reckless before, but now all the brothers and sisters are here. If you want to go, you have to go early. Zhu Yu glanced at the sky. The secret realm will end in 2 days. Mu Chongxi lay down at the mouth of the big pit and looked around. I heard that there is an unreliable rumor in the cultivation world that throwing the name of someone you hate into the cave can curse people. Is it true or not? How about we lose master? Try the name. Qin Fanfan. Zhu Yu added, Elder Zhao is also fine. Yunhen, I have a grudge against him. Yi Qiao thought for a while and said. Watching Chang Mingzong say you and me, the corners of Elder Zhao's mouth twitched. A bunch of mallets. After the 4 of them jumped down, they were surrounded by mud walls, pitch black. Yi Qiao lit Zhang Yuhuo talisman and walked inside. Zhou Xingyun took the lead. He really didn't know what to be afraid of. He walked unhappily inside. The longer he went, the longer the road was. Just when Yi Qiao thought they were going to walk for a while, a green light suddenly appeared in front of him. Mu Chongxi, ghost. Yi Qiao said, I don't believe it. It's a monster. Zhou Xingyun's tone was faint. The 2 of them can really chat anytime, anywhere. There can still be monsters in such a ghostly place. Yi Qiao's eyes lit up. She could feel that her cultivation base was not high, so she built a foundation. Seeing that Mu Chongxi was about to attack with a sword in her hand, she hurriedly said, don't even fight. Die. Leave a few female monsters behind. This is quite good. Originally, Chang Mingzong was second now, and they were almost monsters with Yu Qingzong. Now there is no need to look for it. Mu Chongxi paused. He can understand leaving a life alive. What does it mean to leave a mother? After Yi Qiao finished giving her instructions, she looked at Zhu Yu. Do you have an aphrodisiac pill? Since there are monsters, there must be more than these monsters here. She suddenly thought of a way to attract monsters. Are you a pervert? If it weren't for the lack of smoke in the cultivation world, Zhu Yu would be able to blow a smoke ring at this moment to express his vicissitudes and incomprehension. Yi Qiao kicked him expressionlessly. You are the pervert. What I mean is, after the monsters come into heat, won't other male monsters smell the smell and come to pair up? This is the same as dogs being in heat, and monsters in the cultivation world are even less reasonable than dogs. Zhu Yu thought about it for a while, and it seems that it is indeed feasible. Why didn't he think of using this method to attract monsters before? But, little junior sister, he raised his hand, weakly trying to make a final struggle. I am a serious Danshu. If the old man in his family knew that he had learned to practice aphrodisiac pills after joining the sect, he would probably be mad, right? Yi Qiao said concisely, 100 million. Okay, I understand. Zhu Yu enlarged the alchemy furnace in his hand, and drew his breath on the spot, full of vitality. I will practice more, so I will be prepared. Does anyone know what their 100 million meme is? I don't know, maybe it involves some secrets of the Changming sect. Otherwise, it would be like taking a stimulant to mention each of them. Let me popularize science. The Zhu family lineage of the 8 great families is famous for its feudalism. Simply put, the family is full of old-fashioned people. The patriarch of the Zhu family has already started cursing wildly outside after seeing this scene. After seeing Yi Qiao, the monks gradually understood one thing. Kishu needs to learn how to make traps, and Danshu needs to be able to practice aphrodisiac pills. Talisman can form an array to trap himself. As for sword cultivators, they can also engage in sneak attacks every day. _left previous home index next _right. Tap the screen to use advanced tools tip. You can use left and right keyboard keys to browse between chapters. I saved the whole sect by playing badly. Chapter 58 Scrolls. Zhu Yu was making alchemy, and the monster that had fallen into madness was chained by her with a rope to bind the monster. In order to be safe, Yi Qiao set up a formation in advance. The aphrodisiac pill was very effective and attracted many male monsters. The formation lasted for 5 minutes and then dissipated. She clicked her tongue softly, and simply picked up Juosun and Mu Chongxi and quickly dealt with these monsters blocking the way at once. During the period, Yi Qiao also tried how to use the second form of the King Feng Ju. Every time the second form was just barely touching the edge, she soon didn't know what to do next. After the two of them worked together to solve the monsters here, Zhu Yu took out the jade slip and pondered for a moment. There are only 300 monsters left to surpass Yue Kingzong. If we go back the same way and find the monsters to deal with them now, the ranking will be safer. Mu Chongxi, but we're all here, so let's go in and have a look. Anyway, the darkroom didn't look very long, and his decision was unanimously approved. As for Zhou Xingyun, his opinion doesn't matter. The four continued to walk inside. The surrounding walls were piled up with brown stones. Zhu Yu tapped twice. This dark room should not be built by 5 monks. Although he is not an instrument repairer, he is also from the 8 great families. This kind of material is a bit like the stone of the demon clan's land boundary. Zhou Xingyun, there is a door here. He pushed and found that nothing moved. Mu Chongxi took a closer look, and found a line of small characters. It seems that there is a secret sign on it. Sit up in shock while dying. Yi Qiao answered naturally. The idiot is actually me. The corners of Zhu Yu's mouth twitched, and Yi Qiao's head was pushed down forcefully. She was joking. It was the dark wind blowing rain into the cold window. Mu Chongxi was surprised. Hey, you also know this. Who is as stupid as you? After Zhu Yu's voice fell, the stone door actually opened slowly, and the goal was a closed 4-sided stone wall, surrounded by some incomprehensible characters, like some kind of curse seal. Judging from Zhu Yu's experience, it's better not to touch this kind of thing lightly. As a result, Mu Chongxi and Yi Qiao had skillfully started to touch and look around. Zhu Yu was stunned for a moment. Don't touch it randomly. This kind of thing is very dangerous at first glance. However, Zhou Xingyun, who has always been bored with everything, also stretched out his hand, poked the uneven curse mark on it, and commented, "It's ugly." Zhu Yu. Give up, Zhu Yu ha ha ha. Anyway, they haven't been normal for a day or two. I found it really happy to watch Dabi from the perspective of Chang Mingzong's personal biography. At least the atmosphere in the team is quite happy. And Zhu Yu tried to dissuade them several times, but after finding that they couldn't be stopped at all, he also chose to join them. Join if you can't. The four of them looked east and west, as if they regarded this weird place as their own back garden. Mingxuan, who was outside the court, saw this scene and became jealous. Damn it. He also wanted to go in and play with Yi Qiao. Song Han sneered, it's really deadly. 2 sects were eliminated. Changming sect is the number 1, but where did they have the guts to go to such a wicked place? I thought the pig was squawking. Yo, it turned out to be it's really deadly. 2 sects were eliminated. Changming sect is the number 1, but where did they have the guts to go to such a wicked place? I thought the pig was squawking. Yo, it turned out to be the great genius of Yuqingjong. Mingxuan smiled brightly at Song Hansheng when he heard his mocking words. You ask that Janzong and Yuqingjong are together. Sitting in rows at the elimination table, eating fruits and vegetables, how can you still care about us? Song Hansheng paused for a moment. Don't go too far. Chu Xingji's forehead also jumped. is it true that no one will form a group with me to beat him? This Ming Xuan is too cheap. Zhai Chen persuaded. Points will be deducted, calm down. Doesn't it mean that Xuan has a demon? His appearance does not seem to have the posture of a demon. Zhai Chen feels that after staying with him for a long time, he will have a demon. Their Chang Mingzong's words are all cheap in the same strain. Ellipsis. Yi Qiao in the arena walked around, and found a scroll in midair, which was half opened. After opening, the golden light was floating with bits and pieces of broken light. What is this? Yi Qiao commented pertinently. It looks very valuable. This kind of thing, no matter how you look at it horizontally or vertically, it's not ordinary valuable, okay. Zhou Exingyan, it's a bit like a carrier to keep the secret realm open. The great secret realm opens once every 100 years, and there will be some powerful spiritual weapons as support to maintain the operation and open the entrance to the secret realm. And the spiritual weapons used to open the secret realm are all good things. Mu Chongxi, then what will happen if we take it? No one has tried it before. Zhou Exingyan said. No one will be free to dig the ground 3 feet, find a dark room, and find the spiritual weapon, okay. Zhu Yu, then we'll take it and run away. The 4 of them were still having an unscrupulous conversation, when a thick and somewhat hoarse voice suddenly came from behind. Little girl. Yi Qiao, ghost. Mu Chongxi and Zhu Yu said in unison, I don't believe it. Yi Qiao glanced at the 2 of them. Damn, you actually copied her words. Be serious. Zhou Exingyan signaled them to look behind him, show the old man some respect. Off-site monk, so your so-called respect means talking to an old man. Old man. In fact, he had endured it for a long time. He thought it was a group of casual cultivators, but when he saw these 4 people swaggering in like bandits, and their uniform red imperial uniforms, he became hesitant. It is a direct disciple. It's just that the personal transmission in the cultivation world has become like this now. Yi Qiao looked over. She was an old man, dressed ashen and even a little skinny, like a shadow, as if it would dissipate in the next second. She had some calculations in her heart, and her tone was innocent. Can't you come out? He was overjoyed. The little girl's heart was very soft, and she was easy to deceive. The old man immediately put on the vicissitudes of life. Yes. I've been trapped here for decades. He burst into tears. Unexpectedly, I finally got you. Yi Qiao didn't comment on his hot-eyed acting skills, and quietly hid behind Zhu Yu, fearing that the old man would see her distorted acting skills, and motioned the 3rd senior brother to negotiate with him. Zhu Yu squinted his eyes, basically confirming that this is a demon, and lowered his eyes calmly. What do you want us to do? Let me out, he said urgently. That little girl is Fushu, right? Just do as I said, and I will repay you when I get out. Yi Qiao, but I only have the initial stage of foundation establishment. The old man paused for a moment. Build a foundation. Is the threshold for personal transmission so low now? Or is she one of those geniuses whose talent is so high that Wu Zong can make an exception? Zhu Shi harbored the expectation that Yi Qiao would be a genius. The old man pulled himself together, looked at the 4 people's appearances of each other, and smiled. I'll teach you how to open this formation. Very simple. Yi Qiao looked at him looking refreshed, and even gestured for herself the opening gesture of the formation. She observed quietly for a moment, making sure that she had never seen these formation-breaking techniques before. But it didn't prevent Yi Qiao from quietly remembering it. With so many monks watching outside, it was inevitable that she would be punished if she went out to learn this kind of evil thing, but how would they know if she didn't learn it in private? Seeing that she was studying seriously, the old man became more active in gesticulating. Since he was trapped by that group of personal partnerships for nearly 100 years, and no one found this place again, he immediately lost his last trace of fascination. The cultivation methods of the demons are shady. As long as a trace of soul is not destroyed, he can take away the house, which is not difficult for him, as long as he can escape. Have you learned it yet? He was tired from teaching, and looked at Yi Qiao expectantly. Yi Qiao shook her head. I didn't learn it. It's too difficult, she said. Why don't you find some easy ones? The old man's face contorted for a moment, and soon he smiled again. Okay. He endured it. But in the bottom of my heart, I started cursing crazily the suzerains of the 5 sects, which idiot found the personal heirs. Just stupid as a pig. He has evolved more than 100 kinds, and she has not learned the same. Seeing this scene, Song Hansheng was completely relieved. The way the old man gestured to break the formation was very simple, but Yi Qiao couldn't remember any of them, which shows that he didn't learn it in half a year. As for Zhu Yu bragging to himself before that his junior sister had a photographic memory, he had long forgotten. Who believes? Old man, have you learned it? Yi Qiao said vaguely, almost. She did remember almost everything, so she looked at the old man and confirmed again, are you really unable to come out? The old man nodded quickly, skillfully drawing cakes. Yes, little girl. You. Yi Qiao raised a bright smile, grabbed the scroll floating in the air, and ran away, leaving only one sentence. Since you can't come out, I can rest assured. Chevron underscore left previous home index next chevron underscore right. Tap the screen to use advanced tools tip. You can use left and right keyboard keys to browse between chapters. I saved the whole sect by playing badly. Chapter 59. She grabbed Zhu Yu, who couldn't fly, and shouted affectionately at the two senior brothers, "Brothers, run." After the four of them ran out, Zhu Yu glanced at the sky for the first time. The secret realm is about to collapse. The ancient battlefield was all supported by this scroll. After being taken away by Yi Qiao, the secret realm lost its energy support, and it was obvious that it would be closed in advance. Fortunately, there will be elders guarding the secret realm of the 5 sects to prohibit other casual practitioners from entering, that is to say, only a few other sects will suffer. When Zhou Exingyun heard this, he felt inexplicably that the dust had settled. Sure enough, it still collapsed. What's the situation? Qin Huai was stunned. He watched all the monsters that had been sleeping in their lairs come out, and began to be irritable. The barriers in the secret realm seemed to be cracking in advance. Duan Hengdao, the secret realm ended early. It's only the 3rd day. Why? He didn't understand. What kind of accident could make the secret realm end early? In the last big secret realm, I stayed in the secret realm with Yi Qiao for 5 days. This situation is too weird. As the chief disciple, Qin Huai has the right to speak in his hands. Whether to go out or stay in the secret realm is all up to him. He waved his hand. Let's go. Crush your ID card and get out. Yue Qingzong ranked 1st, 4003. The 2nd of Changmingzong, 4000. Cheng Fengong is the 3rd, 2002. In the end, there was no need to struggle at all. Qin Huai glanced at the secret realm that was about to be closed and sneered in his heart. The plan could not keep up with the changes, and Yue Qingzong was out. It stands to reason that Changmingzong only needs to stay a few more days, and getting the first place is a sure thing. I'm afraid Yi Qiao didn't expect that the secret realm would be closed early, did she? He couldn't wait to see the expressions of Changmingzong and the others. Let's go. Following the crushing of the identity cards of the 5 members of the Chengfeng sect, the identity cards of the Clearwater sect were also shattered. Obviously, they didn't intend to struggle anymore. In this case, the most important thing is to get out as soon as possible. Yi Qiao looked at the dimmed names of all the sect disciples, but now they are the only 4 that are lit up. How many monsters are we missing? Zhu Yu replied, 300. Yi Qiao looked at the precarious secret realm, turned back, took out the bamboo shoots, then let's gather enough before leaving. All 4 sects were eliminated, and the one that attracted the most attention was the Changming sect. Everyone was lying on the photo stone to watch. The elder Changfeng sect couldn't help but scolded. These children don't come out quickly. How dare they continue to stay in the secret realm? Mu Chongxi, okay. The secret realm is not so easy to end. Yi Qiao has played it twice at least. The time is quite enough, and she still wants to try, the second form of King Fengju. When Zhou Exingyun saw this scene, the corners of his lips were tightened. He has always been too lazy to meddle in these nosy matters, but the situation is different now. He sighed, touched the sword at his waist, and patted the backs of the 2 of them lightly. Look good. The young man took the broken dust sword out of its sheath, and the sword light was as bright as white snow for a moment, and the ground where the sword light went was only cold. Zhou Exingyun deliberately slowed down, and Yi Qiao managed to capture his appearance when he swung his sword. The avenue is simple, the breeze is bright and the moon is bright. No fancy moves. The 2 were stunned for a moment, and immediately imitated his appearance and made gestures without hesitation. In the next second, Zhou Exingyun slapped Mu Chongxi's right hand coldly. Wrong. Come again. Ah, Mu Chongxi yelled, brother, it hurts. Yi Qiao didn't speak, and silently adjusted her gestures. No, are they crazy? After finally understanding what these people were doing, Duan Yu was dumbfounded. When the secret realm is about to collapse, use it to comprehend the second sword move. Who taught them?
Who taught them? The elder of swordsmanship sect commented, it's very courageous. But the attainments in this aspect of kendo depend on talent. He had seen Yi Qiao use a sword, and compared to other hand-introduced swords, Yi Qiao seemed a little out of order, so he deduced that this child might not be very good at all. Yi Qiao took a deep breath, and charged up to swing it out. She had learned several times before this, and the sword formulas drawn were too abstract. If she couldn't get into the concentration, she wouldn't be able to see a real person perform it. As a result, she only vaguely touched the edge of the second formula. Zhou Exingyun's sword style instantly became clear in her mind. She waved her sword down, and the wind of the sword passed silently, revealing the gurgling blood, seemingly gentle but full of killing intent. The difference between the first form and the second form probably lies in that the first form is suitable for fighting, while the second form is suitable for hunting. If used well, it can be used to kill people. But now it can only be used to kill monsters. This world of comprehension is quite different from the bloody storm she imagined. Personally handed down are all treasures. After all, they are all geniuses cultivated by various sects with all their strength. That's why this group of people has developed a silly and sweet character. To put it simply, I have never been beaten by the society, and I am too protected by these suzerain elders. The speed of the 3 was very fast, and the second style of King Fengju was similar to group attack, so it was easier to solve it. Zhu Yu looked at the ranking above and said hurriedly, enough is enough. Let's go. There was complete silence outside the arena, and the elders couldn't help but sigh. This year's Changming sect really surprises people all the time. Seeing this situation, others have already run faster than dogs. Yi Qiao was very swaying, and she was courageous enough, she dared to turn around and go back to collect the 300. The secret realm didn't collapse so quickly. For such a big place, it's a lack of courage to pass it on in person now. The elder of Bishuazong stroked his beard. To be honest, he just raised his breath. I haven't seen such a brave personal biography for a long time. To learn sword moves in the secret realm that is about to be closed, the most outrageous thing is that they learned it. The moment Yi Qiao and a few senior brothers were reported, a group of people rushed up and surrounded her, all of them monks who rushed in from outside the arena, almost scaring her away. Yi Qiao came out. Yi Qiao, someone came up to her and shook her hands frantically. You're a master of both swords and symbols, right? Nice to meet you. I have admired your name for a long time, Yi Qiao. Yi Qiao was almost buried by these people. Just as she was struggling to squeeze out of the crowd, and was about to stand side by side with her seniors, not far away from the chair of the Zongjong, the voice of the Zongjin sect master's angry voice was so loud that all the personal disciples who came out were shocked. Who is it? Who collapsed the secret realm? Chevron underscore left previous home index next Chevron underscore right. Tap the screen to use advanced tools tip. You can use left and right keyboard keys to browse between chapters. I saved the whole sect by playing badly. Chapter 60 Mountains and Rivers. Yi Qiao. The voice of the sect master of asking sword sect suddenly sounded from behind. Yi Qiao, who was about to slip away. Zhu Yu. Zhu Yu bowed his head as if nothing had happened. Mu Chongxi and Zhou Exingyun. He sneered and stopped them all. All four of you get out of here and lose money. Yi Qiao said shyly, don't be angry. What a big deal. Did you collapse the secret realm? How could he not be angry? If it wasn't for Yi Qiao, they asked why Janzong fell to such a state. The bottom one of the second competition. This is something that has never happened in thousands of years. Jin Fanfan could only be forced to defend them. The secret realm will be closed sooner or later. Losing money will hurt people's peace. The master of Janjianzong raised his hand and interrupted him with a sneer. Stop, I have no peace with you Changmingzong. Do you know how dangerous it is to close the secret realm early? Lose money. In the end it was Jin Fanfan who cleaned up the mess. He tearfully paid the money to swordsmanship asking Zong, while Yi Qiao on the other side was surrounded into a ball. When did you learn the formation? Song Hansheng rushed forward and asked. Learned it a few months ago. Yi Qiao saw him blushing anxiously with a thick neck, and her tone became much more cheerful. Please call me a low-key genius from now on, thank you. Also, she poked him away with a bamboo shoot in her hand, and reminded, remember to be polite to the first in the second competition. Song Hansheng. Chu Xingji immediately started pointing at this scene. Look, those who make them proud of Changmingzong, I have already said that we
Sheng. Chu Xingji immediately started pointing at this scene. Look, those who make them proud of Changmingzong, I have already said that we can join forces, but you want to fight against us. Ming Shun and Yi Qiao clapped their hands in celebration, and then joined the pointing ranks. Chu Xingji, pay attention to the tone of your words with the first ones in the second competition. Chu Xingji. After each sect returned home, Yi Qiao also returned to the courtyard with this suspected valuable spiritual weapon in her arms. She was studying it with Zhu Yu, while the other senior brothers didn't seem to be very interested in it. Yi Qiao had never seen this thing before, but Zhu Yu understood it a little bit. I've seen it in a book before, it seems to be called Mountains and Rivers Map. Zhu Yu poked it, you can check the list of spirit weapons. If I remember correctly, it should be ranked third. After you open it, the pictures unfolded in the scroll can trap the enemy in your own memory. It's a great phantom. Zhu Yu held his chin, it is said that the scenes in it can be completely faked. Yi Qiao regained her spirits, then let me go in and try. If I get lost in it, you kick me. It's a pity that I don't experience this kind of spiritual weapon myself. Zhu Yu gestured, no problem. As soon as he activated the spiritual weapon in his hand, Yi Qiao felt dizzy, and soon she opened her eyes. The object of entry was a white desk lamp. She was sitting in front of the computer and staying up late to revise the design draft. Her face was pale, with dark circles under her eyes, as if she had been oppressed by life and society for many years. The first second Yi Qiao saw this phantom, she shivered and woke up instantly. Too frightening. What did you see? Zhu Yu raised his eyebrows in surprise, and he woke up the moment he entered. Are the top 3 magic weapons on the list of spiritual weapons already so useless? Yi Qiao had lingering fears. I saw the humble daily life of a social animal. Zhu Yu blinked in doubt, not understanding. But it wasn't the first time he couldn't understand. Then try again, Yi Qiao eagerly said, maybe it's because the scene wasn't created very well. Who wants to see the scene where he is forced to stay up all night to draw design drafts? Zhu Yu nodded in agreement, and he activated the spiritual weapon again. The next second Yi Qiao opened his eyes and saw the bloody scene of being reprimanded by the boss. She wiped her face expressionlessly. Sober again. Zhu Yu, is this spirit weapon useless? He shook the map of mountains and rivers in confusion. What have you seen? Failed to enter the state twice. Failed to enter. Yi Qiao finally recognized the reality. She sighed heavily, and pressed the map of mountains and rivers on the table. Forget it, this thing should be as far away from me as possible. This picture of mountains and rivers made her recall all the scenes in modern times. However, Yi Qiao doesn't miss the scene of staying up late every day to catch up on the design draft before she didn't wear it at all. The corner of Zhu Yu's mouth twitched. He had no choice but to put away the map of mountains and rivers first. This is a magic weapon that can evoke memories deep in people's memory. It stands to reason that shouldn't the first reaction be to get lost in the depths of memory? What the hell is that look of avoiding her? After the two tested the usefulness of Xiashanhetu, the yard was already lively. Ming Shun and Mu Chongxi were making a barbecue, saying that they wanted to celebrate. After they came out, the bonfire was set up. Ming Shun ignited the Zhang Yuhuo talisman and threw it in. The flames shot up instantly. Song Hansheng heard the commotion next door. He recovered from the talisman, frowned and asked, what are you doing in the yard next door? It doesn't stop all night. Su Juo sniffed it hard with his dog nose. Looks like you're cooking. Cook. Song Hansheng was even more speechless. Don't they have Bigu pill? Su Juo said in a low voice, I heard it's a celebration. ... It smells really good. I don't know what they're doing. Song Hansheng withdrew his gaze and wanted to continue reading the talisman book, but he couldn't calm down when he smelled the fragrance, so he sat up. Let's go to the next door to see. Su Juo, oh. In fact, he didn't really want to face Yi Qiao. Every time he faced the former second senior sister, Su Juo's mood was indescribably complicated. For a moment, he even wondered if she hadn't left, would it be? Although this idea was quickly extinguished by him as soon as it came up, it is undeniable that Su Juo had indeed fantasized like this. The two arrived just in time. Yi Qiao was sitting there having a barbecue. When she heard the movement, she looked up at the two of them, and said 2 words, pay the money. If you want to eat. She was afraid that they would not understand, so she added, you have to pay first. Song Hansheng didn't expect that she could see what was going on in his heart at a glance. He thought about it, and he would never give up because of the spirit stone. He still couldn't afford to lose this person. The young man's face darkened when he heard this, so he could only reluctantly throw 3 high-grade spirit stones to her, and then sat down and waited together with a blank expression. Faced with this group of uninvited guests, Yi Qiao didn't chase them away. Anyway, if she wanted to eat, she would come and pay. Yi Qiao roasted it quite fast, but her senior brothers also grabbed it quickly. Song Hansheng looked at the dishes that had been swept away, and his face darkened again. The 5 people took turns to roast, and if they were not careful, they roasted too much. Song Hansheng had already piled up a lot on his plate. Yi Qiao yawned and glanced at the sky. Seeing that Song Hansheng hadn't left yet, she impatiently started chasing people away. Aren't you leaving after eating? Song Hansheng was also annoyed. Didn't you see there's more on my plate? Yi Qiao. She froze for a moment. Oh, then are you going to finish eating here? Can he eat it? Song Hansheng looked at her expressionlessly, and his voice suddenly increased. If you can't eat it, can I take it away? He looked at Yi Qiao's stunned look, and he sneered in his heart. Unexpectedly, I became smarter. In the future, the people of Changmingzong would never think of cheating him with another spirit stone. Seeing that Song Hansheng really took the whole plate of barbecue away, Yi Qiao folded her arms, feeling more complicated. Ming Shun also stared blankly for a few seconds. What's going on with him? Song Hansheng used to be the chief disciple who couldn't stay in the inn. Song Hansheng. Yi Qiao's tone was a bit heavy. I found that he has really changed a lot these days. Oh, Zhu Yu expressed understanding. Have you become kind? Yi Qiao. I've become a bit brain dead. Chevron underscore left previous home index next chevron underscore right. Tap the screen to use advanced tools tip. You can use left and right keyboard keys to browse between chapters. I saved the whole sect by playing badly. Chapter 61 unquote. Where's Yi Qiao? Unquote. It can be seen that 10,000 plus high-grade spirit stones are still a strong blow to Song Hansheng. Yi Qiao never approached Yi Qing'an for debts. The main reason is that sword repairers are generally poor. Song Hansheng could still make up the money by borrowing money. Yi Qing'an estimated that he would not be able to pay back the pants after selling them. At that time, I can still keep the IOU to threaten Yi Qing'an. The opening time of the secret realm is uncertain. It was rare for them to relax for a few days. Qin Fanfan walked in Shi Shiran and clapped his hands. There is good news, and there is also good or bad news. Which one do you want to hear? What's the good news? The good news is that the secret realm won't open until 2 months later, so you can rest assured that it will be destroyed. Yi Qiao immediately clapped hands with Zhu Yu. I want to shoot too. Mu Chongxi also came over and clapped hands. Ming Shun asked, is it good or bad? Qin Fanfan said, someone entrusted Wu Zong with a task, and the time limit is 2 months. You may not be able to do it badly. What kind of bad news is this? Ming Shun rolled his eyes and said, if you don't accept it, what task can let the 5 sects come forward? We don't want to be the seed of resentment. Changmingzong also had missions, nothing more than hunting monsters and obtaining spirit stones from them. There was no need to accept such missions, and they were not short of money. Qin Fanfan interrupted him, the reward is the Chaos Orb. Everyone wants the pearl of good fortune that enlightens the world, and immediately the other sects sent out their own personal heirs without hesitation. Recently, there has been a lot of noise in the demon clan. Whoever can solve the demon clan, the beads will belong to that sect. He patted a few of his own shoulders. Work hard. Who entrusted the task? Ming Shun really stopped beeping. Who doesn't want the Chaos Orb? It is said that it contains some kind of opportunity left by the Tao of Heaven. Although it is not known whether it is true or not, if the reward is the Chaos Orb, it is no wonder that the 5 sects are eager to try it. A task entrusted by the Lord of Yanshui City. It's a small city, and the monks in it are basically wandering around building a foundation, plus most of them are casual cultivators. There are really demons making trouble, and they can't find any clues at all. At that time, try to be careful, the demons are not good. Yi Qiao poked the teacup on the table. She didn't want to move at all, she was so tired and wanted to sleep. You 4 go. Qin Fanfan glanced at Yi Qiao, who was laying on his stomach, and said, you, stay. Why? Mu Chongxi was the first to protest, why can she stay? With so many in-person biography of Wu Zong going, it's impossible to get their turn anyway. Yi Qiao, who can stay and fish, undoubtedly received the envious eyes of the other 4. She built the foundation, you also build the foundation. Ming Shun weakly raised his hand. I am at the peak of foundation building. You go too. Qin Fanfan glared at him. Don't make excuses. Just follow along to practice. These children are the sweet flowers in the group of greenhouses. If they don't find opportunities to let them practice and practice, they will not know how they will die when they go out alone in the future. Yi Qiao's eyes lit up when she heard that she didn't have to go, and immediately gestured away to the other 4 senior brothers. It's okay, you guys rest in peace, I will remember you all. Although my body cannot go, my soul is with you. Ming Shun, is someone beating her up with me? Zhu Yu, forget it, you shouldn't be able to beat her without a talisman. Ming Shun, damn it. Looking at the other 4 people who were in mourning, Qin Fanfan still comforted him, don't worry, Yi Qiao can't be idle. I helped her find a good talisman to train her reaction speed and familiarity with the formation. After all, it is a rare dual practice of sword and talisman in the cultivation world. It's fine if you didn't know it before, but now you must drive her to practice and find her a master who can draw talismans. Qin Fanfan clapped his hands and announced, "Your little uncle is a talisman cultivator. I informed him to come over and teach you. There are about 4 peaks in the Changming sect. She has been to Danfeng once, and Yi Qiaota has never set foot on the other 3 peaks. Strictly speaking, she has 4 uncles, so the one Qin Fanfan found should be Fu Feng's junior uncle, right? Mu Chongxi, little uncle. Yi Qiao is a latecomer, so naturally she doesn't know much about the senior brothers of the 4 peaks. She was at most surprised when she heard this, but the other 4 senior brothers seemed to react quite strongly. Why did he come here? Ming Xuan took a sip of water. Didn't he sleep every day? One bite at a time. No one respects the elders. Qin Fanfan said succinctly, I heard that there is a sword and talisman jewel cultivation. Xi Chuxu was curious, so she came in person. Jewel cultivation of 2 paths is quite rare. Who wouldn't want to come over and take a second look? As soon as the voice fell, the door was pushed open. The man came in, rubbed his eyes, looked like he was still asleep, saw Mu Chongxi, his light brown eyes lit up slightly. Are you the Yi Qiao? Yi Qiao approached Ming Xuan, and couldn't help but said, no, is he blind? Her name, no matter how it sounds, can't be a man, can it? Ming Xuan said, little uncle has been mentally retarded for many years. Our master will never leave, please understand. Xi Chuxu stretched out her hand to pinch Mu Chongxi, and said with a smile, well, you look so stupid, but you can actually win the first place in the competition. Mu Chongxi's face was pinched and deformed. He whined for a long time, little uncle. Stop it. He struggled to break away from the opponent's clutches, pointing at Yi Qiao without hesitation. She is the one you are looking for. After Xi Chuxu let go, she smiled and said, oh, I know, I was just kidding you. Qin Fanfan, have you had enough trouble? Xi Chuxu has always been a very outrageous person. If it wasn't for the sudden addition of a talisman cultivator who needed someone to teach, Qin Fanfan would never have come to find this junior. The 4 of you go to Yanshui City, and if you are in danger, smash the jade slips and let us know. He said, Yi Qiao's cultivation base is too poor, so let's stay. Leave Yi Qiao behind. Qin Fanfan felt safer. After all, this child is too troublesome. The demon race is not a place for her to mess around. Yi Qiao had no objection. That's a good feeling. She didn't bother to deal with any demons. It was very troublesome to hear it. And I finally got 2 months off. It's shameful to work overtime. Mu Chongxi was ruthlessly dragged away by Zhou Xingyun. With a reluctance on his face, his resentment seemed heavier than a ghost. Ming Xuan warned, little martial uncle is very bad, stay away from him. In fact, he didn't want to recall his life when he was framed by this little uncle. It's too cruel. Zhu Yu hesitated to speak. You. Rest in peace. After speaking, he also left. Only the question mark on Yi Qiao's forehead was left. After the 4 senior brothers left, only Qin Fanfan and Xi Chuxu were left. Yi Qiao suspected that the previous suzerain's naming level was not good enough. She came out of the yard, found an open space, took a deep breath, and made full mental preparations. Come on, finish it early and go back to bed early. Xi Chuxu snapped her fingers, and the formation that appeared from nowhere opened from the center. It's ready. He didn't know when he had laid out the formation in advance, and the complicated pattern was enlarged and spread from under his feet, and Yi Qiao had already fallen into the formation in the blink of an eye. The moment she entered the formation, all kinds of attacks came towards her one after another, including sharp swords, magic energy, spells and physical attacks. Yi Qiao was caught off guard and couldn't find a place to break the formation. Regardless of realm, this formation is far beyond her reach. Yi Qiao could only be forced to defend the whole time, but she was ejected before she could last a cup of tea. Xi Chuxu said, I've seen some of your picture stones. You seem to like to catch the enemy off guard. Occasionally it does work, but if you encounter someone who reacts faster than you will only be beaten and beaten. He lowered his eyes and stared at Yi Qiao for a while. So. Xi Chuxu's tone became serious, and Yi Qiao finally put away her indecent comments about him. Ha ha ha. He smiled, so let's continue tilde. Yi Qiao. In the following days, Yi Qiao was imprisoned by the formation for 3 full days, and only managed to find the opening of the formation on the 4th day. This time, thanks to the conscience of her little uncle, she didn't draw any more offensive formations. Otherwise, she might die after 3 days. Out. Xi Chuxu lazily opened her eyes wide. It's pretty fast. A little faster than he budgeted. After Yi Qiao came out, everyone was paralyzed into a big cake. The next second, she was already in the formation before anyone could react. Gan. Yi Qiao learned many things from books, and also accumulated some experience in the secret realm, but she has never seen such a difficult formation, which can drag people to death. Xi Chuxu trained her reaction speed at the beginning, and then after she got used to the speed, she began to train her speed of breaking formations, not even phantom formations, but more difficult formations. After the 7th day, her speed of breaking the formation gradually accelerated, but the people who were tossed were almost gone. From time to time, there will be monsters jumping out of the formation to scare you. Yi Qiao reflexively swipes it away with the bamboo shoots, and then she finds that the formation she just found has moved away in a second. Little martial uncle. After Yi Qiao came out of the formation, her face turned pale and her head was lowered. Did Ming Xuan come here in the same way back then? Xi Chuxu nodded, yes. Talisman cultivation is different from sword cultivation. Although they won't be beaten, the endless formations are even more troublesome. Yi Qiao's eyes gradually lost the light. She was lying on the ground like a salted fish without dreams. Seeing this, Xi Chuxu shook her vigorously, turning Yi Qiao into a wobbly noodle. Then he seemed to see Yi Qiao raised her head, and a little ghost seemed to spit out from her mouth. No way, he blinked, tilting his head in confusion. Can't help tossing so much. He remembered that Ming Xuan and Zhu Yu used to have very tenacious vitality. Xi Chuxu even tried to skewer Ming Xuan and Zhu Yu together when they were young. He was very interested in researching the recipe for charcoal grilling the little brat. At that time, the vitality of the two was still quite tenacious. It seems, probably, that they didn't toss like this, right? When Qin Fanfan came, he saw his junior, holding his apprentice's collar. Then Yi Qiao looked like she was about to crack. Qin Fanfan was furious, and punched Xi Chuxu on the head with his fist. What did you do to my apprentice? Xi Chuxu, she's fine. Yi Qiao regained consciousness in a daze. Haha, let me just say, isn't it all right? Xi Chuxu smiled, and immediately let go of her collar. Yi Qiao fell to the ground again with a snap. Qin Fanfan. Yi Qiao was completely knocked awake. Her soul is floating right now. Uncle, Yi Qiao said weakly, is there a teleportation talisman? She is going to find the senior brother and the others. I don't want to deal with formations in this life. Xi Chuxu blinked, there is no teleportation talisman. But you can try the teleportation array. He smiled, although the teleportation array is a waste of time, it can transfer many people at once. Want to learn? I'll teach you. As she said, Xi Chuxu made seals in her hands. At a dizzying speed, Yi Qiao didn't even have time to stop it, and a pale golden formation appeared under her feet in the next second. Look quickly. He looked at Yi Qiao who disappeared without a trace in the formation, his eyes slightly rounded for a moment, and he exclaimed, my nephew is gone. Qin Fanfan watched helplessly as his big disciple just disappeared. He immediately cracked open, smashed Xi Chuxu into the wall with his fist and couldn't buckle it out. Where's my Yi Qiao? Died. Quote. It seems to have been sent away by the teleportation appeared. He immediately cracked open, smashed Xi Chuxu into the wall with his fist and couldn't buckle it out. Where's my Yi Qiao? Died. Quote. It seems to have been sent away by the teleportation array. Xi Chuxu groaned, crawled out of the wall with difficulty, and then revived with blood, walked over like a normal person, and said lightly, I don't know exactly what will happen. Where will it be sent to? You must know that the location of the teleportation array has never been fixed. From now on, I can only wish Yi Qiao good luck. Qin Fanfan. Chevron _ left previous home index next chevron _ right. Tap the screen to use advanced tools tip. You can use left and right keyboard keys to browse between chapters. I saved the whole sect by playing badly. Chapter 62 The person who knows the current affairs is Junji. When the group arrived at Yanshui City, all the disciples of the 5 sects met, but they were too lazy to talk to each other. All the people who came here were those who were highly cultivated and capable of fighting. Qin Huai clenched the sword at his waist tightly. After noticing that Yi Qiao hadn't come, he breathed a strange sigh of relief. I think so, with such poor cultivation, it is impossible for Chang Mingzong to let her come out with confidence. Everyone wanted the Chaos Orb, and they had to rely on their ability to get it. There was no communication between the few people. They followed the steward who led the way into the city lord's mansion. Yi Qing'an was the first to ask, there are demons in the city making trouble. Did you catch them? No, the lord of Yanshui City is a man with a pot belly, he sighed softly, it is because there is really no way to find you. Wu Zong's willingness to save face was only for the Chaos Orb. They knew the truth of it well, so they promised without thinking, as long as the demons in the city are eliminated, the Chaos Orb will be presented. Yi Qing'an nodded indifferently, okay. Obviously, he regards the Chaos Orb as something in his pocket. Zhu Yu frowned slightly, always feeling that something was wrong. Ellipsis. The words were divided into 2 parts. Yi Qiao was spinning for a while, and when she opened her eyes, she found that she was lying on an open space, which undoubtedly made her heave a sigh of relief. It's fine if it's not a grave. The teleportation array is the same as the teleportation talisman. Everything is good, but the position is not fixed. She patted the dust off her sleeves and stood up. The KFC was passed in together. Its red hair was so eye-catching, Yi Qiao put it under the sleeve directly, letting it find a place to nest by itself. Yi Qiao looked at the sky. The twilight had already darkened. She didn't know where she was being sent to. Just to be on the safe side, she took a breath-holding pill first, then put on an invisibility talisman, and found a safe place. Hide and observe the surroundings. There were patrolling soldiers around, and because their cultivation was not high, no one noticed Yi Qiao who was quietly hiding. When the last soldier passed by to place orders, she reached out her hand to cover his mouth, and quickly knocked him unconscious. KFC was dumbfounded. It didn't expect this person to be so brave, and it didn't forget to knock him out in this situation. KFC woke up and found that it followed Yi Qiao to this ghostly place, and it panicked a lot. Its contractor is a rookie in building a foundation, and it belongs to the kind that no one can beat after going out. After Yi Qiao knocked him out, she muttered, "I'm offended." After stripping off his clothes, she changed them on her body. I couldn't figure out what was going on, but her clothes were still too eye-catching, and there was no one else around, so Yi Qiao had no choice but to take the risk and beat the other party unconscious to change her clothes. After changing her clothes, Yi Qiao didn't dare to move around. She found a hidden place and hid quietly, and began to think about where did that unreliable little uncle send herself. First of all, it can be determined that this is not a place she is familiar with. After all, the group of people just said a bunch of bird language that she couldn't understand. Yi Qiao remained silent for a while, and decided to run away. This ghostly place is very dangerous at first glance. The key point is that she can't speak the language, so it's not safe to stay here. She was already thinking about how to run away. "Why are you standing there? Want to be lazy?" Leng Budding slapped Yi Qiao on the back, cursing. Thanks to Elder Duan's daily beatings, Yi Qiao didn't fall to the ground all of a sudden. She raised her head and met the impatient gaze of the other party. Her eyes flicked past him, and then she looked at a group of similarly dressed people. The highest cultivation level should be in the golden core stage, and there should be 7 or 8 people by visual inspection. After calming down, Yi Qiao made sure that if she ran away at this time, she would die a miserable death. She immediately turned around and walked to the back of the line. Those who know the current affairs are handsome. And judging from the blindness of the man just now, this may be a small army without any organization. They don't know each other, so it shouldn't be difficult to fool them. Yi Qiao's foundation building is not outstanding, but it's not too bad either. It belongs to the kind that hides behind and is inconspicuous. The few people ignored Yi Qiao, the suspected lazy soldier, and chatted for a long time, but Yi Qiao couldn't understand. She has a strong learning ability, at least she has never lost in memory, and Yi Qiao quietly memorized the words that appeared repeatedly in their mouths. Yi Qiao followed the team. The more she observed, the more she felt that these people seemed a bit like the legendary demon race. The corner of her mouth twitched. Your own luck, bad luck, right. If she was sent to the base camp of the demons, it would be better to send her to the grave to dance disco, at least there would be no danger. We are going to Yanshui City tomorrow, and I heard that everyone is here. Several monks from the 5 sects are all here. He grinned twice. This makes them come and go. Yi Qiaolian guessed that Tai Meng vaguely understood the first words, but she didn't understand the last 4 words, but they probably weren't good words. The jade slips used by monks can be used to send messages. In my current situation, no matter how I look at it, it is not suitable for sending messages. Moreover, listening to the conversations of these demon clans, it seems that they clearly know the movements of the other sects. I am afraid that Mu Chongxi and the others have been targeted since they entered Yanshui City. Is the Mizzou intelligence network so developed? Yi Qiao, who was brainstorming, suddenly thought of a possibility. And many more. Those idiots of Wuzong handed it down personally. Wouldn't they be so stupid as to go to Yanshui City swaggeringly in their Zong uniforms? It seems that it is not impossible. The senior brothers didn't see them changing their clothes when they left. In other words, they were a group of people who didn't know the heights of heaven and earth, swaggered to Yanshui City where the demons lived, and almost announced to the world, "We are here." Then the whole whereabouts were found out by others. Yi Qiao straightened her clothes silently. She thought, if in the future, if this group of idiots and sweets were to be handed down, the world of comprehension should be over sooner. Ellipsis. Where are we going to find the demons? Mu Chongxi looked around. There is nothing strange about it. Not only the Changming sect came, but other sects also sent people over. All of them without exception were regarded as guests. Her clothes silently. She thought, if in the future, if this group of idiots and sweets were to be handed down, the world of comprehension should be over sooner. Ellipsis. Where are we going to find the demons? Mu Chongxi looked around. There is nothing strange about it. Not only the Changming sect came, but other sects also sent people over. All of them without exception were regarded as guests, and they said they came to investigate, but there was no clue at all. If junior sister is here, Ming Shun held his chin. What would she do? Farewell to junior sister. Mu Chongxi lay on the table, weakly muttering, junior sister is not here again. It's up to them now. Although Yanshui City is a small city-state, there are quite a few people. Trying to find out the demons is tantamount to finding a needle in a haystack. Several people stayed in the mansion of the city lord's mansion for 7 days without any clues. Is there any news from the other sects? Mu Chongxi poked the person next to him. Zhu Yu shook his head. No. All running around like headless chickens. Zhou Xingyun fiddled with the tassels hanging on the table, and said in a calm tone, will there really be chaos orbs in a small city like Yanshui City? He has always maintained a skeptical attitude, but the news was released by Wuzong, and it seems that it cannot be faked. Maybe it was an accidental opportunity. Ming Shun shrugged, we can't let the 5 great sects and 8 masters take away all the good things. Zhu Yu, I don't know how the little junior sister and junior uncle get along. It is estimated that these days will be very lively, right? He could only sincerely hope that Yi Qiao was okay. Ellipsis. Yi Qiao, who was in Kaoying and her heart was in Han Dynasty, memorized the language of the demon clan as quickly as possible, so as not to reveal her secrets at that time. The KFC huddled in her sleeve and did not dare to move. It found it really exciting to be with this master. After waking up, I changed the place, and even came to the demon race. Also, when did she learn the language of the demon race? Yi Qiao here raised a bright smile, and she has already started to chat with the other party skillfully. Although she doesn't know anyone, she doesn't feel guilty at all, and she looks confident and confident. Those who don't know think that she is really familiar with these people. When will we arrive in Yanshui City? The other party gave Yi Qiao a sideways glance impatiently. There are still 2 days. Then why don't we hurry up? Why do you have so many questions? He sneered twice. Anyway, those personal descendants have also arrived in Yanshui City, and it will be a matter of time before they're caught, but just to be on the safe side, our saintesses from the devil world will also come here. We are here first, wait for the Sect to come. Yi Qiao, the Sect is coming too. Her tone was justly surprised. After all, Qin Fanfan didn't say that there was a saintess among the demon race. All the other party mentioned during the whole process was how simple this task is, but there are demons making trouble, and you can get the Chaos Orb if you kill those demons. If it's too dangerous, it's impossible for the other sects to relax and let their own sect pass on. ... Is there something wrong with these 5 pieces of information? Obviously Yi Qiao's ignorant exclamation tone greatly satisfied the other party's vanity. After hearing that, the demon soldier felt better. Just wait, when our Sect arrives, we will definitely wipe out all those reckless personal descendants of the 5 sects. After finishing speaking, the demon began to look up and laugh. Yi Qiao didn't know if all the villains laughed like this, or if it was the tradition of the demons. She could only laugh along with it. After getting the information she wanted, when Yi Qiao waited for them to go on their way, she made a little trick on purpose. After making sure that no one would notice her anomaly, she assuredly replied to the jade slip sent by Qin Fanfan. Qin Fanfan was still frantically asking her where she was taken by the teleportation array, and if she was in danger. Seeing this, Yi Qiao lowered her head and quickly sent out the news. Open black lens bracket. You may not believe me, I have arrived at the base camp of the demon clan. Close black lens bracket. Qin Fanfan. He calmly wiped his face, looked at Xi Chuxu who was sitting on the ground, and kicked over. Where the hell did you get my apprentice? Xi Chuxu quickly dodged. What's wrong? Isn't she the one who wants to send the talisman? I also generously gave her a teleportation formation. He raised his chin, looking like a cat and cat. Qin Fanfan kicked him away again. After calming down for a while, he sent a jade slip to Yi Qiao. Open black lens bracket. What's the situation with you? Take it easy, don't mess around. The demon race is not a place where you can let go of the waves. Is there a chance to escape? At that time, I will arrange someone to pick you up. Yi Qiao looked at the surrounding environment, probably unable to run for the time being. Moreover, she felt that not only she could not run away, but maybe the other personal transmissions could not run away either. That task, no matter how you look at it, is a trap. Yi Qiao didn't ask Qin Fanfan if he could let the brothers come back. After all, Yanshui City is probably under the control of the Mizu's eyeliner now. Once they make any noise, the Mizu will definitely be vigilant. Standing still is the best option. Have you ever seen what a Sect looks like? Yi Qiao put away the jade slips, turned her head to look at the demon soldiers beside her, and asked casually. I haven't seen it, he said. Where is the Sect we can see? Yi Qiao, oh shit. Judging from the current situation, the situation is obviously not in their favor. Yi Qiao calmed down, and continued to talk in a calm manner. From the mouth of this magic soldier, she probably knew what the Sect was like. The boss of the nascent soul stage who doesn't like to talk, the goal is to catch all the personal biography in one go. And the other party will come to meet them 2 days later. Yi Qiao has seen the demons before, and was imprisoned in the secret realm before as an old man. The other party should be at least an elder in the demons, and he could answer fluently without using bird language that she could not understand. Thanks to that old man, she learned a lot of the demon formation and formation breaking. To let her use it, she really knows how to use both hands. Yi Qiao lowered her eyes slowly, and suddenly had a bold idea. Everyone in the family is full of sunshine, and I should be too. In a few days, it may be interrupted for 2 days. Chevron _ left previous home index next chevron _ right. Tap the screen to use advanced tools tip. You can use left and right keyboard keys to browse between chapters. I saved the whole sect by playing badly. Chapter 63. That's what they deserve. Yi Qiao has always been very courageous. After realizing that she had run into the territory of the demon clan, she decisively took off the clothes of a demon soldier and put them on herself. By the way, she remembered the mission Qin Fanfan had mentioned earlier. Is there anything better than entering an enemy stronghold to spy on military intelligence? Obviously not, so she chose to stay with peace of mind. Regarding Yi Qiao's choice, Qin Fanfan was in a state of confusion after learning about it. He actually wanted Yi Qiao to come back quickly, to peel off the skin. Yi Qiao, I participated in that mission, remember to reward me when the time comes. The 5 intelligence networks should not be so wasteful that they can't even detect the most basic information. Yi Qiao guessed that this cliff was premeditated, and wanted to take the opportunity to train these personal vigilance. Qin Fanfan was silent for a while and replied, yes. Additional rewards for completing tasks. Since it's training, it should be treated equally. It's good that Yi Qiao doesn't get involved, but she is now invading other people's demon territory, obviously planning to participate in training. Among these personal biographies, Yi Qiao's cultivation base was the worst, and with great difficulty, a genius with dual cultivation came out. At first, he didn't want to let her go. In the end, the retarded Xe Chuxu passed her on. Qin Fanfan was so angry that he flipped the table and ran away. The culprit, Xe Chuxu, held his chin and blinked. Hey, tell me, who can get the first place in this experience? The task rewards are actually real, but they discussed with the other four in private that whoever has the ability to get the first place in this experience will get the Chaos Orb. As for how to judge who is the number one, it must depend on which of these children performed more outstandingly in the experience. Qin Fanfan was silent for a moment. I think it might be Yi Qiao. Don't ask, just intuition. During this training session, while the other disciples were still spinning around, Yi Qiao had already gone to the demon army. Yi Qiao took advantage of the time when this group of demons were patrolling, and she took the time to send a message to a few senior brothers with a fishy expression. Can you check the news about the demons and give me as soon as possible? Now she only has 2 invisibility talismans, and this kind of talisman still has a time limit. Once the demons find out that she is an outsider, she will definitely be cold. Yi Qiao had no choice but to take off the clothes of the magic soldier and put them on herself. Yi Qiao didn't think there was anything wrong with her actions if she couldn't beat her. Ming Xuan was stunned when he received the news. Saint, the demon saintess is coming too. Close black lens bracket. Isn't it? Didn't you say that this mission is not dangerous? He scratched his head in doubt, and then saw a communication from his junior sister. There are 7 or 8 golden elixirs on the demon race side. Please take it easy, this mission is quite dangerous. Ming Xuan was curious. How do you know there are 7 or 8? Close black lens bracket. Shouldn't Yi Qiao be having fun with my little uncle now? Yi Qiao was afraid that her small actions would be noticed by others, so she urged her, I'm on the side of the demons, you go and check the specific situation about the demons, the more detailed the better. Ming Xuan staggered and almost fell to the ground. Demons. He didn't expect Yi Qiao to run away to the demon race when they had no clue. Ming Xuan slightly suppressed the twitching impulse at the corners of his mouth. We have found many people outside the city to inquire about the news, but we still can't find out. What useful clues? They asked around for a long time, but there was no useful information at all. Ming Xuan wanted to completely mess it up, and let those personal passers-by play by themselves. This Chaos Orb is not worth mentioning. Yi Qiao was shocked. Open black lens bracket. Did none of you think of starting from the City Lord's mansion? Close black lens bracket. None of them thought that there might be no problems in the city at all, but the problem is that Yanshui City and the demons are involved. Ming Xuan. This is a task assigned by the sect. No matter how dangerous it is, it must be completed. If a group of greenhouse flowers don't practice well, the cultivation world will expect them to be finished sooner or later. After being mentioned by Yi Qiao, Ming Xuan ran non-stop to find several other senior brothers and asked them to come together to help investigate the demon race. Then several people discovered that there was indeed a problem with the City Lord's mansion. First of all, where did the Chaos Orb come from in a small city, and secondly, they asked them to help, but they didn't provide any clues, and they always hesitated when they asked. The 4 sat together and discussed. First of all, according to the clues provided by the junior sister, they have a Sect in the nascent soul stage. Zhu Yu couldn't help but smile wryly when one nascent soul stage could fight 3 golden core late stages. How should this task be accomplished? Mu Chongxi pressed his face on the table, bored, but if it's the Yuanying stage, this is not a task we can take on at all. Could it be that there is something wrong with the news from Wang? Is their intelligence network so useless? Ming Xuan raised his legs. Maybe it's experience. Test their ability to adapt. But that kind of thing depends on Yi Qiao. Counting on them to adapt to the situation, at most they just look up the news, and they're simply at a loss for other things. And when they were at a loss, the little junior sister had already gone to the base camp of the Devil World to dance disco. This is the difference between people. Because they were all the ones with no clues, the other biographies decided to get together, and the plastic biographies were temporarily planning to hold a meeting together. Song Hansheng tapped on the table lightly, and said seriously, I'm going to go to the demon realm to have a look. If it goes on like this, it will only go in circles. He might as well take the risk and go to the demon realm to find out the situation. Su Juo hesitated for a moment. Brother. Let's not run around. Song Hansheng's cultivation base is in the late stage of Jindan, so he naturally has the confidence to dare to fight. Everyone wants the Chaos Orb, and it is their own ability to get the orb to test in a group of personal transmissions. Song Hansheng doesn't want to sit still like this. Miao Miao pursed her lips. That's fine. Who else of you is going to visit the demon race? She said. Song Hansheng's suggestion is also okay, otherwise it will only waste more time in circles like this. In the end, only Song Hansheng and Yi Qing'an stood up. Ming Xuan looked at the 2 Death Squad members and raised his eyebrows. Are you really planning to go? As far as I know, there are 7 or 8 people in the Golden Core stage. I'm afraid you will be arrested if you go. Even if the sects don't deal with Ming Xuan, it is impossible to watch them give away their heads. He tried to persuade him a few words. The result was Yi Qing'an's disdainful gaze. The reason why your Changming sect counts down every time is because you are as timid as a mouse. Mu Chongxi rolled up his sleeves and exploded. Do you want to fight? Talk as you say, personal attacks are too much, right? Yi Qing'an put the saber in front of him coldly. Are you afraid of you? Seeing this, Zhu Yu hurriedly pulled back his little junior brother, showing an incomprehensible smile. Forget it, it's too hurtful to fight. Since you are willing to go, then go. Anyway, don't blame them Changming Zong for not reminding these two tough people. Yes, Ming Shun said meaningfully. After all, there are people who want to seek death, and we will not stop them. Yi Qing'an looked sullen. Do you want to die? Ming Shun smiled slightly, intentionally disgusting him, and shook the folding fan in his hand. You are so bad, you actually scare people. Yi Qing'an had a constipated look on his face, and was disgusted. Get lost. Everyone in this session of the Changming sect is mentally ill, right? Seeing Ming Shun's convulsions from time to time, Zhu Yu couldn't help but hold his forehead, and looked at the two friends. I can't take it anymore. Who of you will give him a kick to wake him up? Stop making trouble. Zhou Xingyun lay quietly on the table, being made even more unwilling to live by them. Yi Qiao stayed in the Mizzou for 3 full days. Because her rank was low, no one cared about her. She was almost touched inside and out. Just like the sect, the classes are clearly defined. The upper class are all indifferent, and the lower class are not even eligible to meet each other. What surprised her was that the several Jindan stage demon cultivators here were hand-inherited materials in the cultivation world, but they only belonged to the middle class in the demon clan. Yi Qiao drove the jade slip to keep in touch with Qin Fanfan at any time. Hearing the little apprentice's question, Qin Fanfan explained, demonic cultivators are different from orthodox monks. They take crooked ways, and they're quick to break the mirror. The cultivation of the other monks who seized the house. In other words, these people are very vain, and sooner or later they will suffer the consequences. Yi Qiao seems to have realized something. That's what I said, but 7 or 8 golden core stages are quite scary. Yi Qiao was sitting on the ground groping for fish, and by the way, she inquired about the mouths of several other demons. After confirming that none of these people had seen the high-level demons, Yi Qiao lowered her eyes. If this is the case, then she can rest assured. Have you heard? Our Lord just caught 2 personal biography. A few demons were chatting, and after hearing the content of the chat, Yi Qiao's heart skipped a beat. Her expression remained unchanged, and she also leaned over to join the chat casually. Who did you catch? Don't be her senior brothers. It seems to be from Janzong and Yuqingjong. Hearing that it was the queens of these 2 sects, Yi Qiao was in no hurry. That's what they deserve. Chevron underscore left previous home index next chevron underscore right. Tap the screen to use advanced tools tip. You can use left and right keyboard keys to browse between chapters. I saved the whole sect by playing badly. Chapter 64 and quat. Is it a surprise? Is it a surprise? Is it exciting? And quat. When Qin Fanfan heard the movement in the jade slips, his expression froze for a moment. How could he be caught as a direct descendant of 2 sects so quickly? It's hopeless. Xi Chuxu held the teacup and shook her head. If you count on these personal transmissions, this cultivation world should be destroyed as soon as possible. Qin Fanfan nodded in approval. Waited until night before standing up unhurriedly. She looked at her clothes, then carelessly found a demon clan she had observed for a long time before, and patted him lightly. Hi brother. Do you have any clothes of other colors to lend me? Her tone was very kind. The demon blinked suspiciously. How do you know I have clothes of other colors? Nonsense. Yi Qiao has been observing the demons here for 3 whole days, and she basically pays attention to the news that everyone here can grasp. I saw you take it out of the mustard bag. She looked embarrassed. I think your dress looks better, so I want to try it on. The clothes of the demons are all uniform, but the clothes in the mustard bag in front of them are very different in color. Perhaps to accentuate his personality, the black clothes in his mustard bag looked particularly striking against some grays. He smugly said, for you have vision. This was carefully improved by him. He has been wearing the grey demon clothes for more than 10 years. He is also a man with a boyish heart. He usually wears them many times in private when he sees no one. Unexpectedly, someone finally had a unique vision and saw that he was special. Yi Qiao coaxed and tricked him into getting his black clothes. Taking advantage of the time when the other party lowered his head to arrange the mustard bag, she directly launched a sneak attack and knocked him unconscious. After she put on the clothes, she tidied him up again carefully. The original dog-legged smile disappeared without a trace, and she took a step forward, with her hands behind her back as if she didn't recognize her relatives. Qin Fanfan didn't dare to say anything when he heard the movement. He felt that this apprentice was going to mess up again. Yi Qiao ate her elixir that conceals her cultivation, and now no one can tell that she just established the foundation. The clothes of the demons are all the same, uniform grey, and the other demon soldiers have never seen a high-level man. Seeing that Yi Qiao's clothes are so outstanding, they all looked at each other. Misunderstood that Yi Qiao was sent by the superiors to supervise them. You are. A magic soldier rubbed his hands together and asked tentatively. With a smile on the corner of Yi Qiao's lips, she walked in front of them, snorted coldly, and was extremely vile. The Sun sent me to check the 2 personal biographies you captured. Why are you just staring blankly? Do you want to die? Her tone was impatient, her eyes were indifferent, and the demon soldiers didn't dare to reply even after being kicked, so they could only smile in amazement. Oh, so it's the adults sent from above, and those two personal descendants are in the dungeon. I'll take you to see them. Look. The magic soldier murmured to himself. Why didn't he know that the Sect had sent someone over? He tentatively asked. I don't know what the Sect said. Which adult are you? These probing words made Qin Fanfan break out in a cold sweat. Yi Qiao smiled brighter. Oh, you want to know who I am? After watching TV dramas for so many years, she has already realized the truth. It doesn't matter if your acting skills are embarrassing, just laugh when you meet people. The more perverted the smile, the more neurotic it can be highlighted, so that no one will suspect him. The girl kept a cloudy smile and was dressed in black clothes, which seemed to blend in with the night, making her look extraordinarily unfathomable against the gloomy atmosphere. The demon's heart skipped a beat, and he suddenly remembered that these adults had bad tempers, especially when Yi Qiao was still smiling so brightly. He was afraid that if he talked too much, the other party would wring his head off. No, don't dare. He hurriedly lowered his head. We will guide you right now. Yi Qiao purposely covered her face with her hair, fearing that her embarrassing acting skills would make her facial features fly away. She walked along the way to see who was upset and kicked her directly. The disapproval appearance of the 6 relatives made a group of demon soldiers panic even more, and they firmly believed that she was an adult sent by the above. The demons in the dungeon didn't even have the courage to look at her, so they lowered their heads carefully the whole time. And Yi Qiao, who took the opportunity to do her best, was of course even less likely to be hypocritical, and walked inside with her hands behind her back. She casually asked, what are the disciples from the 2 sects who are arrested? These monks are very loyal. The demon race began to grin. Those personal disciples will definitely come to save people, and we will definitely catch them all. It's just a personal transmission of the cultivation world. The demons laughed loudly. In time, our demons will definitely dominate the cultivation world. Yi Qiao looked at the laughing demons one by one, and felt that if she didn't laugh, she would look out of place. So he also laughed. Ha 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 ha. The smiles of the god of darkness like Ganara came out one after the other, scaring the faces of the 2 bound relatives to turn pale. Song Hansheng and Yi Qing'an looked at each other. I just feel that the 2 of them are going to die here today. These demons are not fucking normal people. After Yi Qiao walked into the dungeon, she saw 2 old acquaintances. She clicked her tongue softly in her heart, and lowered her voice very low. Ask about Janzong and Yu Qingjong. She just said, who is so good at killing, and dares to come in at the risk of being caught. If it's these 2 people, then it makes sense. Yi Qing'an met her playful gaze. His expression was slightly tense, his eyes were full of coldness. 30 years in Hedong and 30 years in Hexi. In the future, I will definitely conquer your demon world. Yi Qiao almost couldn't hold back her laughter. As expected of the comprehension version of Long Ocean, even in prison he still doesn't forget to say harsh words, and he doesn't look at whose territory it is now. Bold. The magic soldier on the side immediately kicked over. How dare you be rude to adults? Yi Qing'an had never been humiliated like this before. He gritted his teeth, his voice raised sharply, his eyes were piercingly cold. You can kill or cut as you like. Our righteous disciples will never bow their heads like you. Yi Qiao clicked her tongue twice in her heart. Also blame the spine. Song Han said weakly. Yi Qing'an. He is still a gentleman who knows current affairs. Song Hansheng is a person who can bend and stretch. Seeing that Yi Qing'an still doesn't forget to talk nonsense at this time, he couldn't help reminding, if you don't want to live, don't take me with you, can you? Yi Qing'an bragged that he insisted on bringing himself. Song Hansheng's face contorted for a moment. He didn't want to die yet. Yi Qiao had seen enough of the drama, glanced at the demons surrounding here, and slapped them. Why are you standing there? Get out. That cloudy appearance caused several demons to rush out. After all the demons had left, Yi Qiao randomly found a stool and sat down. What do you want to do when you come to our demon clan? She kicked Yi Qing'an, but she didn't expect that there are still 2 people dying at this time. Yi Qing smiled coldly. Naturally, one day, I will crush your little demon clan. Song Hansheng, say a few words less. Didn't expect that demon's face to be distorted. Yi Qiao laughed so hard that she almost couldn't control the expression on her face. She said with great interest, that is to say, you didn't even figure out what's going on with our demon race, so you came here recklessly. Are all the pro-biography this year so brave? She spoke one by one of our demons, as if she really regarded herself as the boss here, and Qin Fanfan felt that the child was restrained in the secret realm after hearing that skillful appearance. This time, he actually started dominating directly on the demon race territory. Cow. Yi Qing'an thought she was humiliating himself, so he looked at her expressionlessly and said nothing. Song Hansheng's expression also became more disturbed. He never thought that he would fall into the territory of the demons. This dangerous situation made his heart beat wildly with anxiety. Yi Qing'an frowned, and the corners of his lips were pursed tighter and tighter. He didn't know why, but he always felt that this voice was so familiar. But I can't remember where I heard it. Seeing that the 2 of them remained silent, Yi Qiao looked at her vigilantly, as if she was some kind of monster. She grinned even more happily. As the saying goes, if you are not well, it will be sunny. If you are well, then it will be fine. The expressions of these 2 people are quite exciting. Obviously they have turned themselves into some kind of scourge. Song Hansheng watched the high-ranking demon clan laughing like crazy. and made up his mind to continue to swallow his anger. This demon is insane, so don't mess with her yet. Although Yi Qing'an is not afraid of her, he also feels that this demon clan is very abnormal. The cultivation base can't tell the depth, the hair half covers the eyebrows and eyes, and the rampant laughter looks like a pervert. After admiring the wonderful expressions of the two of them, Yi Qiao calmly put down her legs. Slightly brushing away the messy long hair, revealing the clear and moist eyebrows that they were all too familiar with, Yi Qiao was overjoyed. Hi. Did you miss me? Shit. How is it? Yi Qiao clapped her hands and smiled at the shocking eyes of the two people above. Is it a surprise? Is it a surprise? Is it exciting? The fever is so uncomfortable. 39 degrees. You must take protective measures. It is so uncomfortable. Chevron underscore left previous home index next chevron underscore right. Tap the screen to use advanced tools tip. You can use left and right keyboard keys to browse between chapters. I saved the whole sect by playing badly. Chapter 65. A few personal disciples far away in Yunshui City are still having meaningless meetings. Let's find out if Yunshui City is related to the demons first. Qin Huai held his sword. Don't get it wrong. Mu Chongxi made a suggestion. This is easy to handle. Chu Xingji and I rushed in with a right whip, beat him up, put him in a sack, and asked him what his intentions were. We are righteous disciples, not bandits. Si Miaoyan felt speechless after hearing this. If you go in with such fanfare, everyone knows there is a problem, okay? Even if it is a small city, there are still many old things in the Jindan period, and it is not good for them to really scare the snake. Listening to their meaningless discussion, Ming Shun couldn't help yawning. He could feel that he was about to break through. It's hard to take a vacation, there are no secrets to participate in, and the hell wants to investigate this kind of thing with them. Moreover, they don't need to confirm this kind of news. With Wu Zong's dead-blooded character, I'm afraid they can check it out. A small city is not yet the turn of the elders of the 5 sects to take action, but collusion with the demons is not a small problem, so we can only leave it to them and let these direct disciples come forward to solve it. Let's go. Ming Shun stretched his waist. Go to other people to discuss and discuss. Make arrangements in advance. After discussing so far, it is basically confirmed that the City Lord's mansion is really in collusion with the demons, so it is better to prepare in advance, so as not to be caught by them at that time. The elders on the other side are also keeping in touch in private. At any rate, it is the first time to let them go out. The things they have solved are not small. They are all like the old father who is worried about his son, keeping in touch with worry, and always paying attention to the situation of those children. What's going on with you? Cheng Fangong asked. The Lord of Sword-seeking sect faltered for a while before uttering words with difficulty. Yi Qing'an has entered the dungeon. He also just found out that his family was born with sword bones that day, so he was brave enough to visit the demons at night. Yun Hen didn't want to talk anymore. He was autistic, after all, his most proud personal disciple also went in together. In this case, let alone the second brother. Qin Fanfan was silent for a while. My apprentice is okay. She just greeted you personally. Do you want to hear something? The Eugene communication has not been interrupted, so the suzerains of the other 4 sects clearly heard Yi Qiao's familiar voice. Are you surprised, or stimulated? This series of questions immediately silenced everyone. Yi Qing'an and Song Hansheng. It was just that close, and the two of them were about to yell the hell. Nemas. Seeing Yi Qiao's face in the Mizzou, riding a horse is scarier than a ghost story. Yi Qiao didn't realize it at all, instead she moved closer to them and smiled. Let me see, isn't this Yi Qing'an and Song Hansheng? Why didn't you see me for a few days and got arrested? The two of you just don't call them personal. From now on, let's call it the Tu Xinliang combination. She said it with all the sincerity. A cold voice, a clear cold, the names are quite cool. Song Hansheng and Yi Qing'an. How did you get in? Yi Qing'an's expression changed. Song Hansheng, my heart is tired. When he thought of Yi Qiao's domineering appearance just now, he became even more tired. How? The same is to complete the task. Yi Qiao's mode is different from theirs. The route the two of them took together was pure prison wind. Did Yi Qiao infiltrate the enemy camp and become the boss? After Yi Qiao gave the two of them a big scare, No Moji quickly untied the rope for them. After all, her disguise was a bit too low level, and her identity was not high enough, so she could be easily exposed. She was going to rescue the two of them, turn the demons upside down, and run away together. For some reason, Yi Qing'an and Song Hansheng both had a bad premonition. In particular, both of them have experienced being scammed by Yi Qiao, and the two of Tu Xinliang looked at each other, thinking that she belonged to the weasel and gave the chicken New Year greetings. Don't worry. Don't worry, I will take you out safely. Yi Qiao looked full of energy, trust me. Now then, let's start fleeing. She ran out as soon as she finished speaking. The other two didn't keep up with the rhythm, and Song Hansheng didn't even ask, why did you run? Didn't those demons listen to you? That's what I lied to them. I casually found a suit of clothes of a different color and put it on my body, and said a few words to fool it temporarily. I guess I will be found out soon. Don't ask, run away. Yi Qing'an. So the three of them fled again, and the demons also realized what was wrong. Does the saint have subordinates? No. The saintesses of their clan are all indifferent, and they usually come and go alone on weekdays, and they can't even get in touch with anyone. The other party doesn't care about whether they are caught or not, let alone find someone to watch. Go to the dungeon. He reacted quickly and ran over. As soon as the cell door was opened, the two relatives ran away without a trace. Only then did they fully realize that Grandma T had been cheated. Song Hansheng couldn't keep up with the speed of the two of them with one talisman, panting heavily and couldn't help shouting, "Didn't you say you took us out?" Yi Qiao said confidently, "I meant to take you out, but I didn't say now." Sure enough. She would rather believe that there are ghosts in the world than Yi Qiao's mouth. Fortunately, he still has some confidence in Yi Qiao. The 5 sect masters listened to the conversation of several people. No one realizes how preposterous it is for 2 Jindan late stages to expect a foundation establishment to take you out of the sky. Song Hansheng was sweating coldly on his forehead. Hearing the sound of shouting and killing outside, he licked his dry lips. I still have a few teleportation talismans. But the probability of successful escape is not high. There are too many golden elixirs here, and using the teleportation talisman means that the breath will be exposed, and after the demons noticed that they had escaped, they had already cut off the connection with the outside world with the formation. In other words, even if there is a teleportation talisman, it can't get out of the range of the demon world at all. At this time, it will be more hellish than whose talisman. Yi Qiao took out a Zhang talisman from the mustard bag. I have the land escape talisman. The teleportation talisman is useless, and your earth escape talisman can't get out either. Song Hansheng rolled his eyes, and he didn't have the promise of being locked in the dungeon at the beginning. Yi Qiao raised her eyebrows. Who said I'm going out? She didn't bother to pay attention to these two people. Hide yourself well, don't wait for me to catch people later. When the time comes, use the sound transmission symbol to contact the location. After speaking, Yi Qiao crushed the earth escape talisman and ran away in front of the two of them. Yi Qing'an and Song Hansheng looked at each other, and they both saw speechlessness in each other's eyes. How to evaluate the absurdity of Yi Qiao? She never plays cards according to common sense, and with her hurried appearance, no one can guess what she will do next. _left previous home index next _right. Tap the screen to use advanced tools tip. You can use left and right keyboard keys to browse between chapters. I saved the whole sect by playing badly. Chapter 66. Of course I knelt down and gave Yi Qiao a 6. Once the earth escape talisman is released, it is easy to leak the aura. The demons quickly noticed the fluctuation of the aura. There is movement. The smell seems to be in the women's bathroom. Go and see. Yi Qiao got out of the women's bathroom, looked around, then ran away after stealing the clothes. She has been observing this demon for a long time, and she also touched the terrain. A ground escape talisman successfully dug into the women's bathroom, and Yi Qiao got out with her head. Taking advantage of the opportunity, he took an old clothes to the thief. In order to express her apology, she also placed more than a dozen high-grade spirit stones. Excuse me. Yi Qiao kept apologizing crazily from the bottom of her heart, while silently saying button 1 beauty forgive me. The demons were flying like dogs, and Song Hansheng also found a place to hide in fear. Unlike Yi Qing'an, he was a swordsman who was indifferent to life and death, and would do it if he refused to accept it. Their character is really like a dog. I like to hide behind and throw talismans, and it would be better to find a place where no one will notice. Seeing that Yi Qing'an wanted to rush out and fight him to the death, Song Hansheng strangled him tightly. Do you want to die? Take me. How hard did he think it was before he came with Yi Qing'an? Why is Yi Qiao not as reliable as Yi Qiao? When searching for Yi Qiao outside, Song Hansheng also had a hard time. The time seemed to be stretched a little bit, and the breath of the magic soldiers seemed to be pervasive as the air froze, as if they would break into the door in the next second. Song Han panicked a lot, his hands were trembling slightly. There was both the panic of the group of demons outside, and the nervousness of fear of being discovered. The intertwined emotions of the two made his heart beat like thunder, and he held his breath silently. I am back. When Yi Qiao used the earth escape talisman to get out, the two of them were shocked. Even though they knew that she was always elusive, the duo who was so unprepared couldn't hold back and flinched. Yi Qiao showed her head from the ground, and when she appeared in front of the two of them again, her clothes had changed. It was originally a magic soldier's costume, but now it was completely dressed as a woman's. Yi Qing'an was stunned for a moment, and his voice was cold. Where did you get the clothes? He really wanted to ask, where did Yi Qiao get her ability to gather materials anytime, anywhere? Yi Qiao, it was stolen from the women's bathroom. Song Hansheng's eyes widened. You are perverted. You're the pervert. Yi Qiao was not in vain for so many days in the demon realm. She pulled it out of the mustard bag, found the 2 clothes that the other demon soldiers brought along while they were taking a bath a few days ago, and threw them to the 2 of them. Put it on and follow me in a while. Song Han was stunned. What do you want? Don't you want to go out? I'll take you out. Yi Qiao tidied up her clothes without looking back. I've inquired about the specific information about that scent before. At first I thought she would arrive in the next 2 days, but it turned out that it was because the food from the demon race was too bad, and she couldn't think of leaving for the time being. Yi Qiao just had an idea at the beginning, but she didn't intend to take the risk, but now she can't tolerate any hesitation. If I'm faster, I can definitely go 1 step ahead of them and catch the turtle. The demons plan to unite with the people of Yanshui City, pass a dumpling to the 5 clansmen, surround them and catch them all. At this time, the comparison is who is more flamboyant. Song Hansheng silently spit out a word, 6. At this time, besides 6, what else can he say? Of course, he knelt down and buckled 6 for Yi Qiao. Now she is not Yi Qiao anymore, she is all hope now. Song Hansheng is a person who can bend and stretch, and after confirming who his father is, he resolutely chooses to follow Yi Qiao. Yi Qing'an expressionless, are you sure? She raised her eyebrows, what about you and me? Pay attention to the tone of your conversation with the Saint. No, in just a few days, did your mother adapt to her identity so quickly? Yi Qing'an and Song Hansheng finally changed. After the 3 days, did your mother adapt to her identity so quickly? Yi Qing'an and Song Hansheng finally changed their clothes reluctantly. At this time, they could only trust Yi Qiao. After the 3 of them changed their clothes, Yi Qiao purposely found a veil to cover her face, and then made a gesture with her fingertips, which was a bit incomprehensible. Song Han frowned. What is she doing? Yi Qiao's formation speed was a little slow. When the demons broke through the door, she paused for a while, put her hands behind her back, and continued the unfinished curse seal. The man headed by the demon clan pushed the door and entered, expecting to see a few people scurrying around in shock, but unexpectedly bumped into 2 men wearing the demon clan clothes, whose cultivation levels were undetermined. The remaining girl wore a veil and tilted her head to look at him. Her expression was extremely hollow and a bit penetrating. Yi Qiao's acting skills are not good, but it doesn't matter. People's eyes are the most frightening when their pupils are not in focus. Coupled with the opaque room, the horror atmosphere is well rendered. Who are you? The leading man's voice was very hoarse and unpleasant, with a strange arc on the corner of his mouth. If he was not satisfied with the answer given by the other party, he might be decapitated in the next second. Apparently after experiencing deception, they became wiser. It is said that if you let go of those 2 personal heirs, you can only build a foundation with cultivation. The reason why they can't see the depth of their cultivation is because their cunning human monks have a kind of elixir that can conceal their cultivation. Yi Qiao sped up her hand movements, and at the same time looked at the 2 of them unhurriedly. Yi Qing'an and Song Hansheng understood her meaning in seconds. Their hearts are trembling. To be honest, the 2 of them agreed to visit the demon race at night, and it was just to investigate the situation. They were not as bold as Yi Qiao, who dared to enter other people's base camp. Song Hansheng took a deep breath, expressionless. He showed his true colors of watching those casual cultivators with his nostrils raised in the secret realm on weekdays. A disdainful sneer curled up on the corner of his mouth, and after looking around, the coercion of Jinden's later stage was released, and the expression of the man with the gloomy expression just now froze, and his expression calmed down a lot. Yi Qing'an also released coercion, because it was the first time he had been cheating with others. His tone was a little stiff. You don't even know your saintess. Yi Qiao was very satisfied with him. Yi Qing'an is the kind of look that looks at everyone with contempt. His tone is cold and concise, and he has a good sense of forcing the king. The grades went up in an instant. The 2 golden elixirs in the late stage can be used as younger brothers. Now, Yi Qiao, who was in the early stage of foundation establishment, suddenly became the most unfathomable saint in the nascent soul stage in the eyes of all the demons. Saint. The man hesitated. When did you come back? Calculating the time, it seems that the saint is indeed coming in a few days. A demon whispered, Boss, but I clearly remember that the 2 personal transfers we captured yesterday were also late Jinden. He directly gave his subordinate a big sinus, disdainful, idiot, do you think those people are stupid? They will come back swaggeringly after they all ran away. Is this something normal people can do? Qin Fanfan who eavesdropped. We ran. Hey, lied to you. Who would have thought she was back? Still with Song Hansheng and Yi Qing'an, after playing with all the magic soldiers, they swaggered around and came back again. Yi Qiao understood how to play the carbine. The man collected his thoughts and looked at Yi Qiao. Are we leaving here? Going to Yanshui City? Seeing these people urging her to leave, Yi Qiao observed the formation she had set up quietly, and when she was about to leave, she stopped suddenly. Wait, how do I get out of the devil world? Quote. After these words, the atmosphere froze for a moment. My lady of saintess. The man squinted his eyes, his expression became more and more uncertain. Did you forget how to leave? Yi Qiao's expression became calmer. Oh, I know, I lied to you just now. The suspicion on the man's face was even worse, and he felt that there was something wrong with her identity. Qin Fan's heart sank. Xi Chuxu, who was on the side, blinked but began to force her loudly. She actually copied my words. Qin Fanfan slapped him on the ground. Shut up. Song Han frowned. He was not Yi Qing'an's kind of mindless swordsman. He could feel that Yi Qiao was delaying time. Otherwise, there is no reason to dawdle here. And rather than revealing her secrets, Yi Qiao was delaying time. Otherwise, there is no reason to dawdle here. And rather than revealing her secrets, Yi Qiao's actions are more likely to deliberately arouse the other party's suspicion. Just as he was thinking about it to himself, Yi Qiao stood with his back to those demon cultivators, and in the next second a gust of wind flew towards her suddenly. With the speed of lightning, everyone was already in front of her before they could react. Song Han's voice was horrified, but he couldn't stop it. What they cultivate is aura, and once they make a move, they will be exposed. The strong wind hit the front door, Yi Qiao stood there motionless, and soon the magic energy hit the invisible barrier and dissipated in the air. Shit. A false alarm. Song Hansheng was so frightened that he almost collapsed, thinking that the car was about to overturn. Yi Qiao knew that the demon race was a group of elders who liked to hide behind their backs, so she took precautions in advance. Except for some difficult ancient formations for talisman, other formations have no limit, but need to be laid out in advance. She dawdled and procrastinated for half a day just now, so that when someone attacked unexpectedly, the array she set up could block the attack. With just one click, she can completely confirm her identity as a demon. After all, what Yi Qiao learned from the old man in the secret realm was indeed the magic formation. Sure enough, at the moment when the surrounding formation was activated, except for the only talisman cultivator, Song Hansheng, who noticed that it was the formation, the other demons who knew nothing about the formation took it for granted that their saintesses were too advanced, and they could make them move without moving. Attack neutralized. Worthy of being their saint. In the future, the demon clan will unify the cultivation world, just around the corner, ha ha ha. The man who made the sneak attack was indeed tempting. While he was relieved, he hastily bowed his head and apologized, fearfully, "I'm sorry, Mrs. Saintess." Yi Qing'an, who almost thought it was cool. Yi Qiao looked around at the intimidated demons, and after making sure that these people believed in their self-conscious identity, her heart sank, and she also smiled. Did you know, the great Mozen once said that being beaten can make people younger. This kind of nonsense remark stunned the demons present. Really, Lady Saint? Of course, Yi Qiao hit the face of the demon who sneaked up on her just now with a heavy punch. For example, now, wouldn't you be beaten like a grandson by me? Coughing and wanting to vomit, is this virus really asymptomatic? Question mark. Are there really people in the Yin clan? A few days ago, I was still talking about entering the finals for the first time, but the next day it was sunny. Chevron underscore left previous home index next chevron underscore right. Tap the screen to use advanced tools tip. You can use left and right keyboard keys to browse between chapters.